Well, a very, very warm welcome to you here from a very warm Silverstone for the opening round of the British GT season. Silverstone hosting the opening round for the first time since 2001, and we have the added benefit of a 3-hour race coming your way. And David Allison, the commentator, 3-hour race, added complexity to what is a difficult start to the season.
Yeah, it is, and part of that complexity is the nature of the regulations, because you have to make 3 pit stops in 3 hours, so it's not quite as straightforward as race for an hour, pit, race for an hour, pit, race for an hour, take the checkered flag. So what do you do with the extra pit stop? Do you do it early and get it out of the way and drop down the order, or do you hope there's going to be a safety car or a full course yellow and like played as a joker car? Then everyone's looking for a free pit stop, if you like, and that's why this race is so good and it's so popular with the teams, because it makes you think.
It certainly does. We've been talking to a lot of the teams up and down the pit lane, and they've been saying it's a very, very tricky start to the season because of that extra element. I think we should keep it this way. It's very exciting. Let's always have a 3-hour opener. Now, there's also a bumper grid. 28 cars on the grid. Should be 29, but Ed McDermott's unfortunately not able to take his place on the grid now. So 28 cars split between GT3 and GT4.
GT3 are the faster cars. We're celebrating 20 years of GT3, which makes me feel old because I can remember commentating on the first races here all those years ago. Yep. Grown. So GT3 are the faster. They're going to be fighting for the overall race win, but don't think that GT4, because they're a bit slower, are less competitive. They don't have the same amount of aero. They move around a little bit more, so actually perhaps they're harder to drive. GT4 is hugely competitive, so whether it's GT4 or GT3, we are in for an absolutely fantastic race.
We are indeed. You can hear the cars now starting to make their way around onto the grid. It's a very, very, very lively Silverstone. Lots and lots of fans here, a lot of usual expectation, and we don't often get this many people here for a season opener, particularly at Silverstone anyway, because it doesn't often happen. So it's got the home of British Grand Prix. It is the start of a fantastic new season, and a lot of drivers out there that are new to British GT as well.
That's right, and a new circuit to some of them as well. And you talk about the crowd. I mean, it's busy today. It was busy yesterday. People have even dropped in from the heavens. The Red Devils have just landed as well, or are about to land, ready to come and enjoy the action. So whether you're watching on television at home or trackside or even from the sky, it's going to be good.
It certainly is. Now, we've got a lot of drivers coming around, making their way onto the grid. I know you're going to catch up with some. I'll catch up with others. Are there any you've got your eyes on that you're expecting to make a push for the title? Some on the sort of outside bets, maybe?
Well, one is Jared Weberski, who has raced GT cars in Europe, in GT World, but he's new to British GT. Another is Rob Collard and Hugo Cook, because you've got that continuity. They were together last season. They're back together in the same team. So everything fits together nicely for them. You've also got 1 or 2 drivers coming in this weekend who aren't doing the whole championship. They're here for the 3-hour race. They don't score points. Well, that's going to affect things when we get to the final analysis of the championship. So at the moment, there's absolutely no form on which to go other than last year. Well, let's wait and see, because a few teams will have tweaked things and moved on and maybe even gone in the wrong direction. So honestly, I think I said a while ago, it's all bets off. It really is wide open, this race.
It certainly is. And there's one driver pairing here, the Darren Lung, Dan Harper pairing, that have never not won when they've taken part in a Silverstone 500. They did it in 2023, they did it in 2025.
And Dan Harper's had the most amazing start to the season. I think he's had 9 races and 5 wins and 6 podiums, and that includes 2 class wins in Asian Le Mans. He won his class in the Daytona 24 Hours in America. He won the opening long-distance race on the Nordschleife in Germany. What else has he won? Oh, yeah, he's class in the opening World Endurance Championship race at Imola. So he's just a winning machine at the moment.
Does seem to be. And there's also a man joining the grid now who you'll know from British Touring Car, 4-time British Touring Car champion. You'll know him very, very well. Colin Turkington, starting way back down there where the parachutes are landing right now in GT4. It's great to see the likes of Colin Turkington on this grid.
It's great to see Colin Turkington, who's won the British Touring Car title 4 times. The team he's driving for is WSR, Dick Bennett's team, West Surrey Racing. And Dick traces his roots to BMW back to 1979, when he was a mechanic for Ron Dennis's Project 14, running Nicky Lauda in the Pro Car Championship. They used to support the Grand Prix. Yawn with your mouth closed at this point. But the team is new to GT4. OK, it's a BMW, and the team is used to BMWs from touring cars. But it's all new because they're longer races. You've got 2 drivers, you've got to compromise on setup. What's good for Colin might not be good for Ernie Graham, his co-driver. So there's an awful lot to learn for drivers, for team, as they go through the weekend. But WSR is a well-drilled team. They go back to 1981, winning British Formula 3 titles. So, you know, they've got a good brains trust there.
They've got a fair bit of experience, haven't they? Also, Darren Turner, a fair bit of experience, is back on the grid in GT4. It's exciting to see what he can do out there with a new driver pairing.
And back he comes to help a driver develop, because he's with Daniel Lavery, who is not that most experienced of GT4 drivers, but, you know, a great coach, and having Darren Turner, Le Mans class winner, and You cut Darren in half and it says Aston Martin because he's driven for them for that long. Yeah, I mean, everywhere you go on the entry list, you say, oh, that's interesting. That's going to be a good pair. They're going to be quick. You know, it's going to be a very, very interesting race, very interesting season.
And while we're chatting away, you see the Union flag coming down to earth there, which is fantastic to see with the Red Devils doing their usual thing they do for the Silverstone 500 for this blue ribbon event. Talking about other drivers that are very experienced, Phil Keane is here with Ian Loggy. What a great driver pairing that is. It's a one-off entry. Phil Keane, 19 GT3 race wins to his name. Johnny Adam, 20 GT3 race wins to his name, and he isn't here.
No, and Phil Keane has a golden chance to do something about it. So, yes, I think a win might be a tall order for Phil Keane, but we will see. We will see. I mentioned a little while ago, it is 20 years since GT3 began, and standing behind us on the grid is Stefan Ratal, and I think he can reflect on this with some pride.
Well, let's go and have a quick word with them, shall we? We'll wander over to Stefan Ratal, who's deep in conversation. Stefan, it's great to see you here on the grid. Absolute delight. It's the start of a brand new season. 28 cars, should be 29, but unfortunately, as you say, Ed McDermott's had to drop out for this one. But it's great to see a brand new season. Mind your back, Stefan, don't want to get you run over. It's great to see so many cars on the grid for a start of a new season, isn't it? And the excitement, all the fans here too. What a great spectacle for the first round of the season.
Yeah, British GT is back. It's been a long winter, but the grid is growing, the spectator attendance is growing, the weather is nice. I mean, everything for a success.
What's the special, what's the bit of dust that you sprinkle on this championship that makes people come back time and time and time again?
Oh, but I think GT racing in general is growing globally, and it's very strong in the UK. 34th season of British GT, so you know it means something, and it's a stable platform, and for the teams, for the drivers, for all the stakeholders around the championship.
And we've been saying as well, not only is it's a fantastic start to the season, but a start with a 3-hour race, the added complexity. We're loving this added complexity. I'm not sure the teams are, but we are as a broadcaster.
No, but that's good. The diversity we have of formats. You know, in British GT, you have 3 hours, you have 2 hours, you have the 2 sprint race format. So it's what the drivers like.
Absolutely right, Stefan. Thank you very much indeed. There you go, Stefan Ratal. Yeah, we'll have the race coming up very, very soon as well. David Addison is wandering around now. Who have you got for us, David?
Well, let's start with Ben Barnicoat, who amazingly enough is in his first full season of British GT3. What's taking you so long?
I don't know, you know, you just always want to get a good opportunity. IMSA's my kind of main priority with Lexus these days, and it's the first year in about 4 years that they had no clashes, and finally made it happen. Awesome to be here on the grid with Optimum and Morgan. I'm really excited to get going.
Yesterday went well in qualifying.
Yeah, it went really well. I don't think we could have asked for any more. You know, I was pole in my session. Morgan did a great job in his. I think if we have a couple more miles now on the straight, we might have had a shot at getting pole from the BMW, but we've got what we got. Car was handling fantastic. I managed to put it all together, and that was it. So we're on the front row, some clear track in front of us, and I think Morgan's going to have a great start here and see what we can do for the rest of the day. Excellent.
Ben, good luck. Right, Stuart, my cameraman, is going to try and wander with me, and let's go and try and doorstep Dan Harper for a moment. I know you're busy talking to Darren, but Dan, just quickly, won this race last year, and it's been a mega start to the season. I said you've been a winning machine so far.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely been going quite well. You know, this is one race that means a lot to me. We've won it twice. It's always good fun. I've got loads of family and friends here. Darren's the same, and I mean, this is actually the only race this season I'll be doing with Darren, which is
really,
yeah, it's a bit sad. So we want to make it count, and we know it's not going to be easy. This race is, you need all things to fall into place. We think we're going to be quick enough, but we know the competition is very strong as well. So yeah, we just need to keep it clean and do our thing, and then hopefully it all comes together.
How do you divide this in terms of getting into the car? Is it Darren times 2 and then you for 2 stints, or is it Darren, you, Darren, you?
You're asking the wrong person. No, I think it really depends how the race is playing out. Safety cars, when they come. Of course, the most important thing is saving as much as my driving time till the end. But of course, if the race plans out that maybe it just means that we need to keep Darren in for a bit longer, then that's what we need to do. So play it by ear, and I'll just be on standby, ready to go in.
Let's see what happens. Dan, good luck. Right, let's head further back down the grid. Let's rejoin Bryn.
Thanks very much there, David. Yeah, I'm actually here with a new driver to the grid, SRO GT Academy. You see that on the top end of this car here. It's Jared Weberski, second in pro qualifying, pole for Silver Am, starting 6th on the grid. But let's just talk about this SRO GT Academy, because you're one of a number of drivers on this grid. The prize, it's a big one, isn't it? You will share a car, or the winner of this particular competition, or this element, will share a car with the USA counterpart, the Asia counterpart, and the Australian counterpart for the CrowdStrike 24-hour at Spa. It's a big, big prize.
Yeah, 100%. I'm super grateful to be eligible to do the prize, and thanks again to SRO. I think it's amazing. There's not many prizes like this, so it's something alongside my main championship campaign that I'll be keeping an eye on and wanting to push as much as I can, and hopefully win that prize and show myself there next year.
Results aren't really the be-all and end-all when it comes down to the SRO GT Academy. It's down to performance as well. So, it's you and you alone, as opposed to what you can do with Alex.
Yeah, which is quite different. A lot of everything is what we do together as a team, where this is, like you say, on my own. So it's down to my own performance, making sure all my own stints are really good, all the qualifyings are really good. So that's the main goal, and that will then lead on to our main championship campaign.
Say you win and you end up going to Spa next year, the CrowdStrike Spa 24 next year. What would it mean to you to get a seat in that race?
Yeah, really good. Obviously, I competed in Spa last year, so it's an insane race. It's where the best of the best are in GT racing, so it's the right place to be to go and show your name. So for this prize to be available is a truly special thing.
I wish you all the best, Jared and Alex Martin. A very, very strong lineup here in GT3. Back to you, David.
Bryn, thanks. If there's a race on somewhere that has the word endurance in its title, Marcus Clutton will be in it, whether it's British GT or Fun Cup or Citroen C1s or anything. But inveterate enthusiast for long-distance racing, and another McLaren driver, and yesterday seemed to go pretty well in qualifying.
Do you know what? We're actually quite happy. 7th. Yes, there's a McLaren on the front row. We got our backsides kicked a little bit there, but it is what it is. I think we've got a good race car. I think we can be in the mix. And it's round one, isn't it? You've got to collect the points. We're a round short this year. We can't afford any mishaps. So we'll see what happens.
This is a tough race, though, to start the season, because it's the first time out of the blocks. You've also got to bed everything in, and it's the toughest race in terms of strategy.
Yeah, I mean, it's very strategy-led, isn't it? Your pace isn't really the ultimate concern. We've got a few options for strategy. We've tried to play an interesting card, but be safe at the same time. Let's just see how it goes. There's been a few red flags and a few spins in qualifying, in practice, so it's going to be an interesting one. It always is every year, and like I said, it's not necessarily about the pace. Let's just see what we can do.
Excellent, Marcus, good luck. Right, let's go and have a little wander and see who else we can grab before we go much further. I can see an Aston Martin with number 7 on it, which is Andrew Howard's car. Whether I can find Andrew is a moot point. Sorry, let me stand in front of everybody. Andrew is in the car. Let's see if we can be really churlish and open the door and interrupt things. Andrew, another season, here we are again. Looking forward to this?
Yeah, you've just woken me up of my afternoon nap, at this time of day. I generally have a nap now.
I do apologise. Now, look, you've got a really good chance, haven't you? Ross Gunn is your co-driver, real weapon in an Aston Martin.
Yeah, he's done brilliantly. The Valkyrie doing the whole job. And, we've got a car that in the right conditions should be OK.
Fantastic. We'll leave you to your nap. Andrew, good luck. Need to make the point that going back a long, long time, Andrew and Ross Gunn's father were teammates in mini racing, so things come full circle. And it was with Andrew's team that Ross was a GT4 champion a few years back. Now, let's have a final quick look to see if there's anybody else on the grid I might be able to grab before we let Bryn have a go. Yes, one more person. Stuart, let's quickly run, because he's about to disappear. I've talked about all these McLarens that are on the grid, and overseeing McLaren's customer racing is Rob Bell. Well, this is good for business.
Yeah, absolutely. What a fantastic day. Great crowd. Yeah. It took me ages to get in this morning, so that's a good sign. Lots of supercars here in the paddock, in the grid, and McLaren at the sharp end, so that's fantastic to see.
They're going to be quick and reliable for 3 hours?
Absolutely. That's what the aim is, always. Look, you've got to get through the first corner, you've got to do your best, and actually, let's see, there's always a bit of a tactical thing here with the amount of pit stops there are, what can happen with safety cars, etc. So, yeah, we very much hope we've got 9 cars, 7 GT3 and 2 GT4 in the end of the race. In fact, I think we've got 6 GT3 cars. But anyway, there we are. What 1 or 2 dramas with
Indeed.
drivers. But there we are. Let's see.
Yeah, good luck. Yes, the drama. Thanks, Rob. Ed McDermott trapped his thumb, or somebody trapped his thumb in the door, broke his thumb, and he's not able to race. Right, that's GT3. Now, the GT4 battle is going to be absolutely fantastic as well. Let's go and meet some of the stars. They're in the company of Bryn Lucas.
Before we get to drivers, though, I'm delighted to bring on Corporal Richard Kingston here, who is part of the Red Devils. We just saw them landing at Silverstone. It's always exciting to see you guys do what you do, but particularly here for the Blue Ribbon event for British GT.
Yeah, it's always good to jump here. So this is my second time this year, so it's always good to jump over Silverstone and obviously see all the crowd here and just get to jump into such a historic circuit.
Tell me what it's a bit like looking then. You jump out the plane, you're looking down, you see the circuit layout, and many people don't see it that way at all. But you see your position, your landing position, which isn't very far from here. Is there any pressure that you've got to get it exactly right in front of all these people?
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, one, it's on TV, and obviously jumping into here, there's obviously thousands of people, and obviously with social media nowadays, everyone's got a camera. So just, yeah, there's obviously some pressure, but it's just good to just take it in, look at the whole of the circuit, and then just jump in and try and put a show on for everyone.
We absolutely love having you here. Thank you so much indeed there, Corporal Richard Kingston. Thank you very much indeed. Now, I want to grab a quick chat with a couple of drivers. Thank you very much there to the Red Devils. They are fantastic. We love seeing them here at Silverstone. Hadley Simpson, it's great to see you here as well. You've got your co-driver in the car there, Thomas. You guys were so impressive in qualifying yesterday.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, it was a really special day yesterday for us. Obviously for me, debut in British GT, and a debut for me and Tom with Innovation. So just very special.
Stuff. Good stuff. I'm going to see if I can get Colin Turkington, who's just walking off the grid there. Let's see if we can get him. If you follow me. Thanks so much there, Hadley. Good luck to you. Let's quickly grab Colin Turkington. He's having a bit of a chat at the moment. I'm going to see if we can grab him and do something a little bit different. Sorry, Colin, can we grab you for 2 seconds? Sorry, Colin. It's great to see you here in British GT. Sorry to crash your shot just there, but great to see you on the grid in British GT. You bring a lot of experience and a lot of championship medals along the way.
Yeah, thanks, Bryn. Good to see you too. It's great to be here. You know, it's a really good atmosphere, good buzz on the grid. And yeah, just ready at the start of sort of a new journey here. You know, I think the hardest thing for me to get my head around is all the pit stops and doing everything in the right order and not starting the car before you should, etc., etc. So, but I've enjoyed learning those things and just looking forward to getting into the race now, getting some good driving. It's
a real baptism of fire as well, the 3-hour race. It's not like the 1 hours at Alton Park normally. There's the added complexity, which we talk to a lot of people about here. That's an extra challenge that you embrace.
Sure, it's more seat time for me, you know, I get a bit more practice. So I think we're going to aim to do like 40-45 minute stints between myself and Ernie. So yeah, I'm looking forward just to getting in the car and settling into the race and seeing what it's all about. So yeah, can't wait to my turn.
Your teammate, your co-driver, is extremely experienced, but mainly sitting alongside a co-driver in the car, taking on historic rally stages as well. So it's going to be a very different challenge for him, although he is experienced in his own right.
It is. We were joking and saying he would feel a lot more comfortable if we just stuck a few trees out around the circuit, but I just left Ernie there. He's pretty relaxed. You know, he's obviously very experienced from the rally world, but this is heavily into the deep end for him. So yeah, we just want to try and get around clean turn one, you know, with you know, no dramas, and let's see how the race unfolds. So we're going to be learning as we go through the season, so we just want to try and get to the finish of this one.
So your big task, your big challenge is really finishing the races as opposed to doing anything sort of barnstorming.
Yeah, no, we've you know, our expectations are in check. You know, this is the first time for any of us as a team doing a British GT race, so yeah, 3 hours feels like a long way when I'm used to 25 minutes. So yeah, we just want to try and have a clean race, to do everything correctly and just be consistent, you know, and see if we can work our way up the order.
I'm sure you can, Colin. Very best of luck. There you go. Colin going off to his garage. Adders, over to you for the opening round of the season.
Bryn, thank you very much. Engines are being fired up. That means that doors need to close. That means that we are ready to go racing for the opening round of British GT. Better introduce you to the other voice you'll hear a lot over the next 3 hours. Joe Osborne is with me as ever. And we talked on the grid about how strategy-led this is. And with no form to go on this season, it is going to be fascinating.
Yeah, it really is. And as a driver, this was always my favourite race of the season at British GT. Our best circuit, our best format, and it always led to the best race. And there'll be some heated discussions from those drivers to engineers. There's a wide pit stop window. What does that mean? Well, you could pit from around lap number 4 all the way through to 32 on this opening stint. So you are waiting for a safety car effectively. Expect that to be the strategy. Wait for a safety car. After 9 minutes, you can take it. They can't go over 65 minutes, so there's your window, praying for a safety car pit stop. Why do you want a safety car pit stop? It's cheap. You catch back up to the chain. You lose position, not time.
GT4, as we've been saying on the grid, the slower of the class cars, but a really fierce fight in prospect nonetheless, and GT3 is where you can anticipate the overall battle to come from. The cars have a mandatory pit stop time for the regulation pit stops. In other words, when they have to do the refuel and the driver change. In GT3, the pit stops run to a shorter time than GT4, and then just to complicate life a tad, in GT4, if you've got a silver graded driver pairing, then you have an extra 6 seconds to serve per pit stop. Different classes within GT4 and GT3. So your GT4 Pro-Am pole, Jack Mitchell and Luke Shaw in silver, Tom Holland and Hadley Simpson. In GT3, Silver Am, Alex Martin and Jared Waberski. And Pro-Am and outright pole, Dan Harper and Darren Lung. And the pole position time credited to each car is the combination of the time set by both drivers. So both had to deliver in qualifying. This is how the grid lines up. The driver you see is the start driver for the opening stint. Therefore, Darren Lung will go toe-to-toe with Morgan Tilbrook on the front row of the grid. And double champion Rob Collard is going to start third with reigning champion Charles Dawson alongside, ahead of Kevin Say and Alex Martin. Simon Orange sharing with Marcus Clutton, from whom we heard on the grid, is next. Mark Warren steps up to GT3 and he goes from 8th ahead of the Palestinian-born Australian Yasser Shaheen. Good to have him in British GT. And the redoubtable Andrew Howard ahead of Ian Loggy and Jonathan Beeson, new to the championship this year. Duncan Cameron in a Lamborghini for the first time ever alongside Andrew Gilbert. Then another driver new to Silverstone, Cameron Campbell, the Australian, lining up alongside Stephen Lake, the man behind Mahiki Racing, ahead of Mark Smith at Paddock Motorsport. Ed McDermott missing from the grid, but then you get to GT4 where Tom Holland goes alongside Luke Shaw for the opening stint. Will Orton and Daniel Lavery, both with Aston Martins, are on the second row of GT4. Luca Hopkinson is next with Brandon Templeton for company. Ian Duggan starts the sole Porsche on the grid, the Cayman, that he shares with Tom Bradshaw. James Townsend's Aston Martin is alongside. John Hartshorn, the oldest driver on the grid at 67, sharing with Ronan Pearson, is next alongside Ernie Graham. And then Blake Anglis rounds out the grid, sharing with Revy Lake, the youngest driver on the grid at 16 years of age and some days. Racing drivers getting younger and younger all the time. Rolling start as ever, they don't stop on the grid, we go straight into the race. And Joe, for the first couple of corners, keep out of trouble.
Yeah, exactly, and that's what these Ginettas will want. We've seen the Ginettas so fast over the last 4 years in GT4, but just haven't had the luck. Will that stay the same? Then you look at GT3, Darren Lung, nothing to lose, not scoring championship points, of course, against the full season of Morgan Tilbrook in the 77 Option McLaren.
The winner of the race, incidentally, doesn't just win the Silverstone 500, but also the coveted RAC Trophy, which was first run in 1932 at Brooklands. No, I was born, I wasn't commentating on it before you asked, but it's another fine trophy that the winners of the race outright can claim. Right then. Hold on to your hats, everybody. We're about to go racing. It's been a late start to the season, but we are now ready to pull the pin. British GT is ready to go in 2026. It is Darren Lung on pole position, number 91 in the BMW. It's Morgan Tilbrook's McLaren lining up alongside. The lights on the gantry are red. The race director, Peter Daly, gives the signal now to get the race underway. They go storming off down towards Copse Corner for the first time. Good getaway by Darren Lung. He commands the lead as they dive into Copse. Tilbrook goes second, and drama already. Dawson gets involved there with Kevin Say. The reigning champion goes around. The reigning champion is in the gravel. Keep it going, Charles, as he got the momentum to dig himself out the other side as Lung leads. They go up towards Maggots and then Beckett's for the first time, but that is a massive kick in the whatnots already for Charles Dawson.
Looked like Kevin Say turning around. We'll get another view, I'm sure, but you can
Say's
see
got
more
damage.
drama.
Say's got damage, hasn't he? He's had a puncture maybe on that right front corner where the contact came. Kevin Say there, look, limping through Beckett's. The car doesn't want to turn.
Yeah, good spot. Either suspension or puncture, like you said, David. But to me, Rob Collard got a bad getaway. Say was behind him. And I think Say wanted to get the momentum on Collard, and that momentum led him into Dawson. That's how it felt. But two C's cars, two coming together on lap one.
Yeah, 4 C's. The two merging, and troubled waters from 2 C's. Teammates driving into each other. Never a good sign. Never a good start to a season. Darren Lung, he's away and gone, isn't he? Look at the gap he's pulled. 2/3 of the way around the opening lap. It's Tilbrook second in the McLaren. It's Rob Collard third. They go over the Formula 1 timing line, past the wing. That takes you to the end of the second sector. And now the very fast right of Abbey. Then on towards Farm and up towards Village. But Lung has just rocketed away.
Yeah, he was 9/10 clear in qualifying, so maybe this was to be expected. Simon Orange fast. He's in 4th. He started 7th. Andrew Howard is saying now he hasn't learned, or has there been another failure? Because that looks like it's at Stowe Corner, and that's going to be a safety car, I think.
I think you're right. I just wonder, yeah, like it's been a breakage, damage picked up, and he's turned in, and it's something's given. I don't think a puncture would have put him into the gravel like that. So we'll try and get some replays and piece it together as you look at Mark Warren in the yellow McLaren, Mark Smith in the pink and black car, tucked up behind the Cameron Campbell Ferrari as they go down towards Brooklands, and a bit of hit and shoulder there. Andrew Howard getting involved with Simon Orange.
Tilbrook's behind them, so there's been a huge, all three cars have changed position in the last 2 corners.
Make that 4, because up the inside as well now goes number 3, Yasser Shaheen. So yeah, you're absolutely right. Morgan Tilbrook's had a moment on the first lap, and Darren Lung is laughing all the way to the bank, isn't he? He's 2.5 seconds clear. Collard is second. Andrew Howard is third there. Look in the Aston. In 4th place now is Simon Orange. At 5th across the line was Yasser Shaheen. Morgan Tilbrook down to 6th.
I say this in jest, but this is a compliment to Lung. Is we sure that isn't Dan Harper in the car? He has gone. Rob Collard is the only competition, but he's in his own field. And then we got this 5-car battle. Love to see how Tilbrook lost 3 places within a couple of corners, but there is our lead BMW. He won't know the drama. There may be a yellow flag as they come down the hanger straight into Stowe for that Kevin Say car, but at the moment we're still green.
Yeah, if they can get the car out under the so-called live snatch regulation, they will, not having to neutralise the race, just cover it off with a yellow flag. So Darren Lung is the race leader. Yeah, we piece it all together, I'm sure, in a moment to get the replays of how Kevin Say ended up in the gravel and how Morgan Tilbrook lost the places. Now, we haven't yet really touched on GT4, but that currently is being led by Will Orton, who's made a good start, hasn't he, from the 2nd GT4 row. Just there going out of shot with, in 2nd place, the Ginetta from pole of Tom Holland. That's 3rd, and it's Luke Shaw. And we've just had Charles Dawson come down the pit lane. So that's almost game over. They're sure to drop off the lead lap.
Yeah, it's going to be so hard to recover from there. Dan Harper already readied up. That's that wide pit window I was talking about.
Is he expecting an early safety car? They're going to try and exploit that. So if he's ready, he can jump on board.
Exactly that. There's no excuse for the driver not to be ready. It's uncomfortable being helmeted up for that long, but the teams do not care. Dawson unplugging, doing the radio. We're thinking maybe some suspension failure from that Kevin Say.
Right, well, Kevin Say he's not going to be a popular man at 2Cs, is he? Because he's out of the race, and it looks like Charles Dawson and Cian Jewis are out of the race as well. It's bad news for Kevin Say, particularly because he's registered for the championship. This is a car that's not registered for the championship, but they still want to try to do well, we're after a win. That ain't going to happen now. Safety car is indeed deployed, as Joe was suggesting, and it's all because of that car.
Yeah, it's actually at Club Vale corner, isn't it? I was confused by the large gravel trap. You can just see the historic part of Vale there. It's going to be a quick recovery, but this really does open the window. Teams are saying it's somewhere between 9 and 11 minutes this window opens, depending on how your math works. It all goes back from the Pro not being able to do more than 100 minutes, so the AM can't do more than 80. You can't do more than 65 in a single stint, but the pit lane time is no man's land. So with 3 pit stops at a minimum of 115 seconds, there's 5 minutes 40 taken out of there. So there's a huge amount of guesswork at play. I'd be surprised if anyone boxes this lap. If the safety car stays out more than this single lap, I expect the pit lane to get very busy. Look at the damage on the front left tyre. You can see the wheel has been ripped apart, so all of that air has been released out of the Pirelli tyre. And interestingly, it seems like the car unable to go around a left-hander, whereas normally when you've got the puncher on the left, the lefts are okay, the rights are not.
It's interesting the way that it had ended up in the gravel as well, like it had sort of snapped away under braking. So maybe there was, as we were suggesting, something in the suspension as well. Never mind just the wheel and the tyre, but maybe when Kevin Say stood on the brakes, maybe something gave way. Charles Dawson's car looks like it is going to go back out, but he's lost a lap, so it's going to be not Kevin Say's car, forgive me. Charles Dawson's car is going to go back out. It looks like it's going to be a very long afternoon for Charles Dawson and Cian Jewis, but as we have just seen, you never know what might happen. So potentially they could buy back some places, but it's going to be very, very tough this now.
Yeah, I don't see it being a lap down, and that wasn't one of their mandatory pit stops. They didn't do a drive change, didn't do fuel, didn't do tyres, so they still have the same amount of pit stops. Here we go with the replay.
Right, so they blast down towards Cops Corner. Have a look towards the sort of pit wall side when they get to Cops, because that is where the move comes. Kevin Say goes through the puff of tyre smoke as though he locked up and realised it wasn't going to happen, but he certainly made contact. Around goes Dawson, so there's been a big whack on the right rear of Charles Dawson's car. This is how Mark Warren saw it.
So you can see Say on the inside, the white topped part. You're right, the puff of smoke's interesting. Looks like it comes from his own car. He's hit the brakes and the front right is locked up. These cars shouldn't do that with ABS, but with cold brakes, cold tyres, anything is possible. Was the lockup because he broke too hard in panic, or was the lockup the reason there was contact? Hard to say from there. We're used to seeing Kevin Say being the sensible driver, being able to bring the car home, hand it over to his teammates in the past, and this time Ben Green, his new teammate for this season, will not get to drive.
So big surprise that we've lost effectively 2 from the lead battle. Safety car will be in this lap, so very brief safety car period. And let's quickly hear from Cian Jewis with Bryn in the pit lane. What news?
I tell you what, it's very fraught in the garage at the moment, Cian. Not sure what's going on, whether you're getting in the car or not. We thought it was terminal. They've sent the car out. What can you tell us?
Look, we got spun around in turn 1. We know we got a lot of damage on the rear. Whether it's drivable, we're not sure. We don't think it is. We got ABS errors, we got everything. So I think that's us done. Regardless if we get back out, we're a lap down and a 3-hour race, and yeah, that's us finished, unfortunately.
How frustrating is it, and how frustrated are you that it was essentially your teammate that caused it?
Look, it's racing. These things happen. It's a shame, but look, it's done now.
Certainly is. Well, let's see how major the damage is. Thanks, Cian.
Thanks. We're back racing then. Green flag flies at Silverstone. Darren Lung leads them away. He's, of course, very frustrated, having led by 2.5 seconds. The lead is next to nothing at all under the safety car. He's got to build it up all over again.
Yeah, he went really late as well. He kind of did give himself an option to get the jump on Collard. He was safe, but I'm surprised how late he went for that safety car restart. Surprised as well at this 78 Lamborghini here of Martin dropping back, starting 6th on the grid. Martin's been rapid in that 78, so surprised they lost a few places at the start. Of course, when there's so much carnage, sometimes you're just trying to survive and pick through gaps, and that's how you can lose or gain. But Howard is the biggest gainer, isn't he? He started 10th, he's up to 3rd. When the sun shines, the ice cream man is happy.
That nap he had pre-race has done him a power of good, clearly a power nap for Andrew Howard. Now, that's your GT4 battle. 21 is Will Orton in the Aston. Behind him is Tom Holland. This is the lead situation outright. So you've got BMW, Lamborghini, Aston Martin, McLaren in the top 4 places. Great variety as ever in GT3, the category that began here back in 2006. Ferrari, in fact, was the winning brand in the first ever race. Hector Lester and the late Alan Simonson scored honours in that first race. And through there, out of Abbey, goes the lead pack. So, as we know, we had that safety car because of Kevin Say. Let's have another look at what happened in the damage. So, Kevin Say on the inside locks up, hits his teammate number 1, Charles Dawson. Around he goes. Kevin Say picks up damage. He was slow around the lap, and then at the end of Vale, just can't turn the car. He's into the gravel and drives as far off the racetrack as he can. Interesting one.
Yeah, the initial contact, I just put it on Say's door more than Dawson. Just the trajectory of the car was moving outwards from the apex at turn 1. Dawson's sweeping in, so of course it's not clear-cut. It's not 100%, but I think I'd love to watch Kevin Say's onboard later on, and I think he's probably going to have to walk across the garage and apologise.
So what did we say earlier on about the first couple of corners keeping out of trouble? You know, it's a long race. You can bide your time to an extent, and instead of which, not only have we got 2 cars effectively out of the running, but they're out of the same team just to really add to the woe. Right, let's concentrate on what's going on track. Darren Lung is building that gap again. It's already up to 1.6 seconds over Rob Collard in the space of 1 racing lap. So the BMW booms clear of the Lamborghini. 3rd is Andrew Howard in the Aston Martin. The incident involving Dawson and Say is under investigation, but there's not a lot that can be done really to reverse anything because the damage is done.
At least only one team manager needs to go up to race control, so it saves a bit on that. I have to say, super impressed by the start and now pace of Howard and Orange. Those are the 2 outlier cars, I feel, that have got more pace in the race than they did in qualifying. You could say the same here of this Aston Martin of Orton. Started in 3rd place, now up to 1st. Interestingly, I think MKH here in this Aston Martin have started their faster driver. Tend to want to finish with your faster driver. They've gone the other way. Will Orton slightly quicker than Jess Hawkins in qualifying. Holland looks to be able to fight back at the moment. Shaw here in the 42 car, leading that Pro-Am battle in GT4, which will become crucial in the pit stops. Those silver cars are going to have a net 18 seconds more in the pit lane during the 3-hour race.
And also we're starting to get the track limit warnings coming up already. We've had one for Alex Martin in his number 78 Lamborghini, one for John Hartshorn as well in the GT4 Aston Martin, which we'll come to no doubt during the course of the race. As you look now at number 69, the Mahiki McLaren, Stephen Lake at the wheel of it. Behind him is Duncan Cameron's Lamborghini. 15 Mercedes is Andrew Gilbert, who raced one of those cars at Le Mans last year. Then the yellow McLaren, looking a bit sort of Yerst Porsche-ish in the colours, almost Newman-esque, is Mark Warren. And then behind him is Mark Smith McLaren. So quite a battle pack here building up, and this is all happening for 10th place.
Yes, Lake, isn't it, in the Mahiki 69 car, holding them all up. Warren with an awesome qualifying yesterday, first one in GT3, just seems to be caught in this pack, has the pace, but at the moment probably still learning about dirty air in GT3. When you follow another car so closely, you lose that front grip. Yes, it punches you a hole to follow through on the straight, but in the corner you lose that grip, and that's what he's struggling with. For you Dawson and Dewis fans, I think that car's going to box this lap. There's got no pace in that car whatsoever. Still circulating, but slowly.
Yeah, indeed, and there's not really a lot they can gain, perhaps. It's not like they're learning for later on in the season, because there are no other races they're going to do here. There's the GT4 battle, and you're right about Will Orton being a bit quicker than Jess Hawkins yesterday, but he's not escaping. Tom Holland is staying with him, but look at the gap they've pulled over Luke Shaw. And interestingly here, Holland isn't really darting around in the mirrors of Will Orton to try to get past. It's almost as though he's thinking, right, let's work with him here, let's just sit tight, but if we act as one car, if you like, not try and hold each other up, we can try to pull away and build a gap. And if you're a silver entry, and they both are, you need that over the Pro-Ams, because you've got an extra 18 seconds of pit stop time to serve over the 3 hours.
Yeah, so these cars need to be 6 seconds clear of that Shaw Lavery battle we should add in as well. Lavery going really well in the full send racing, Aston, that white one in the background, and there you can see the GT3 car, Dawson, trying to pick his way through. He has stayed out for now, so maybe the pace is because he's having to get through the GT4 traffic at the moment.
So Charles Dawson, last year's champion, had a great season with Cian Dewis, another much underrated driver who, even though he won the championship last year, Cian didn't seem to get the recognition he deserved, oddly. Here, nose to tail, Will Orton and 74, which is Tom Holland behind him. Tom quickest in the GT4 qualifying yesterday, but Will Orton fending him off. Now, had a shuffle here. Look, Andrew Gilbert has dropped to the back of that battle pack for 10th place in number 15, as up the inside goes Mark Warren, elbows out, gets past Duncan Cameron. The McLaren, the yellow and black car, twitches its tail, but Mark Warren getting used to GT3 machinery and going past. Now, how did Andrew Gilbert drop back? The answer here is that he had a look to the inside at the end of Vale and got squeezed a little bit, pinched up onto the curb, and the door was open for Mark Warren. Nice move.
Really, really nice. He kind of read what was going in front of him, didn't he? Gilbert had to back out of it, lost momentum, and then it's just the old school book of just fill the gap. Wherever there's a space, put your race car there and see what happens. And it was a great clean overtake. Now his focus is on another McLaren, this Optimum one versus the Mahiki one, and he'll want to clear that, because look at the space in front of Lake. That's the gap to Martin, the Lamborghini, 6.1 seconds. Warren will want to get into that gap and start to close the leaders.
Well, it's not your day, it's not your day. Charles Dawson, 27th, a lap down, and the pit stop is under investigation. Now, that could be for many different things. Too many people working on the car, not turning off the ignition, having a mechanic over the white line into the fast lane. It could be anything in the pits, but it's being looked at. So a penalty could come, which just condemns them even further. Mark Warren, then, you're riding on board with as he heads off down Hanger Straight. Stephen Lake's McLaren is ahead. The Mahiki McLaren versus the Optimum Run car. Diving to the inside is Mark Warren. He thinks about it, but he's not really able to commit there.
No, he's just trying to catch the mirror, isn't he, of Steve Lake. Steve Lake not faltering at the moment, but the Optimum car seeming to have more front-end grip, and he can place the car on top of the apex curb, but Cameron's right on the rear as well, and that's what the onboard doesn't show you sometimes. You're thinking all we need to do is overtake, but behind you there's another car ready to pounce.
Meanwhile, Tom Bradshaw's Cayman is fending off the McLaren of Luca Hopkinson, and then the BMW behind of Brandon Templeton. So good variety in GT4. Down towards Stowe Corner they come. Blake Anglis just up the road in the blue McLaren, got past on the previous lap. Oh, not Tom Bradshaw, sorry, Ian Duggan, I should say, forgive me, number 8. And so now Blake Anglis getting away. Duggan is under attack, look, as here into the braking zone. Luca Hopkinson closing up onto the tail of that Toro Verde GT Porsche. Brandon Templeton's BMW towering over them behind. So two low-line sports car shapes that are rather more touring car shaped. BMW, what's going on in Formula McLaren? Well, now Mark Warren under attack. Big dive down the inside from Duncan Cameron, and Brooklands contact, and Mark Warren gets fired wide and Cameron spins. Around he goes. Duncan may have been a bit optimistic in all of that, but the bite a bit.
Yeah, I actually think Cameron was relatively innocent at the start of that move. It was his move to get done, and then Warren just squeezed him over, and it felt like Cameron couldn't get out of it. And as we see the GT4 lead battle go now into the same corner, I just think Cameron actually should have sent it. It was him trying to back out of the move that caused the contact and himself to spin. I think that will go down as a racing incident.
Change of lead in GT4 then. The Ginetta goes by. Tom Holland ahead at the end of Wellington Straight. So Tom Holland back to where he qualified, in other words, at the head of the class. Will Orton drops behind him in second place, and now we'll see what the pace of that Ginetta is. Can Tom Holland start to gap Will Orton here? Seemingly, yes, because even coming out the other side of Luffield, he's, what, 2 lengths clear already?
Yeah, we're starting to get into that part of the stint, aren't we, where we see what the cars are like over a longer run. The tyres start to fade. In temperature like this, you even start to get the brain fade with the driver as well. It'll be super hot in these cockpits. The cars without air conditioning will be running at 45, 50 degrees Celsius, so that starts to take its toll as well, and we're well into this stint. Any point we get a safety car now, I think we'll see a very busy pit lane.
In third there, the orange Ginetta, third in GT4. It is Luke Shaw at the wheel, new to British GT, having gone well in the Ginetta 1 Make Championship, so staying loyal to the brand. Meanwhile, Mark Warren continues, having swatted aside, as it were, the efforts of Duncan Cameron, who came through in 14th place, still in the race. So you've now got Stephen Lake in the grey McLaren, Mark Warren in the yellow and black one. Behind is Mark Smith in the pink and black colours, and then something other than a McLaren, the Mercedes. Next up, Andrew Gilbert trying to recover, having lost ground at Brooklands a few laps ago. And another big dive up the inside by Mark Warren, and Stephen Lake, almost terrified out of the way there, has to give him racing room. He opens the door for him. Mark Smith tries to get up the inside as well. Mark Warren does not lack commitment.
Yeah, he will look back at that one and he will be sending a Christmas card as we see Gilbert now down the inside of Smith. That was because Smith tried to get involved as well. Gilbert looks like he should get this move done. Smith trying to hang it around the outside. It will come to his inside, backs out of it. Good move by Gilbert there in the sort of the lead 2Cs Mercedes that is left. But yes, Steve Lake will be on Mark Warren's Christmas card list. He had to give him the door. If there was contact there, that would have been on Warren's doorstep, I think. But Lake did the right thing and just opened the steering.
Whereas the move between that man, Mark Warren, and Duncan Cameron, who we saw spin, is under investigation. So that bit of contact is being looked at. So this is what happened on that previous lap. There, a little bit of contact between the two. And that's what delayed Mark Warren to give Duncan Cameron the chance to challenge on the inside. So Warren had tried the move and it didn't work, but he got it just about sorted that time.
It's quite bizarre to see the logic there. You've seen a move that hasn't worked for you the lap before, so you do exactly the same thing and get away with it. You can see he just goes in a little bit too quick. He's dancing on the pedals there, not spin the car. That gives the run to the Lamborghini behind, who gets the momentum. This is why I think it was a fair move from Cameron, but then he wants to get out of it, and that causes the contact, and he's the one that spins because he's got a bit of left-hand steering as the contact's there. And I think it's going to go down as a racing incident just because Cameron wasn't alongside enough to put it on the door on Warren's fault.
So we will see. Michael Burgers is the driving standards advisor. The stewards will be looking at it, and that is a sorry sight. That spells retirement, I think, does it not, for Charles Dawson's Mercedes AMG. The 2Cs team put it into the garage. Now, we haven't seen much of the race leader because everything else that's been going on. Darren Lung has a 1.7 second advantage over Rob Collard, and they're lapping not that far shy of one another. Just under a tenth quicker last time was Darren in the BMW than Rob here in the Lamborghini. So that's your top two coming up now out of Luffield into Woodcote Corner. This will put now 9 laps in the book as across the timing line they go. Very busy first 20 minutes of the race.
Yeah, it really is. And this was this second phase I was talking about. This is what we're seeing the car like over a race stint length. Is this Lung managing it, keeping the gap where he wants it, not wearing the car out? Or is this him flat out and actually Collard is gapping? In a multi-class race like British GT is, you want to keep the gap above 1.5 seconds, because once we catch the GT4s, you can easily lose that much time just falling over, lapping a car. So let's start to see if that gap continues to fall where it sits at the moment at 1.5.
The team manager of Kevin Say's Mercedes heading to the steward's office, so decisions about that first corner incident are incoming. Darren Lung leads Rob Collard. That's the third place Aston Andrew Howard. Fourth, Blue Nose McLaren, which is Simon Orange. Fifth and sixth going through, Yasser Shaheen and Morgan Tilbrook, who's not really recovered, has he, after losing ground early on, Morgan. And this is the battle for seventh. Ian Loggy, dark blue BMW, bright blue BMW, Jonathan Beeson, and then behind in ninth place, Alex Martin in the Lamborghini. So, good scrap going on there. But yeah, Morgan Tilbrook, second on the grid, but he's not, as I say, been able to recover.
No, and he had a good opening lap. It looked like the pace was there, as we see the tri-blue battle, the Martin car as well, failing to kind of deliver on its pace, and the Barwell Lambo of Collard's quick, so we can't say it's a car or team issue on that one. Loggy obviously getting himself into this BMW for the first time, still learning the car, and I think he'd be happy with 7th place from his grid position, but the sister car of Darren Lung is so far up the road. That's where Loggy's focus, of course, will switch to.
That's what he's judging himself against, isn't it? Last time around, by the way, Stephen Lake, quicker than anybody raced long within the first sector. So in clear air, not Stephen Lake, sorry, Mark Warren. So in clear air, Mark Warren absolutely flying in the Optimum McLaren. Here you've got the BMW battle. Ian Logie still fending off Jonathan Beeson, who I think is going really well for somebody that's new to GT3, new to the BMW. He's staying with Ian Logie, who has been around the GT block for many seasons. He's done a huge amount of racing, whether it's been here, in Europe, in the Middle East, has Ian, the Cheshire-based Scotsman. And he's coming up towards the line now. There is Alex Martin, who will give that car over to Jared Waberski, the young South African driver. And in GT4, Tom Holland is now building that gap, isn't he? Will Alton has dropped quite a long way back in a couple of laps.
Yeah, I actually think Shaw in that red Ginetta is gaining on Orton. He's dropped Lavery.
Final warning in this hour, car 97.
We just heard the voice of Peter Daly, the race director, saying final warning in this hour for track limit offences for number 97, John Hartshorn, in the GBR Stratton Racing run. Aston Martin out of the GT4 class, GBR being Graham Brunton Racing. Graham with a great track record in single-seaters, coming into GT racing now. And as he explained yesterday, the last time he had anything to do with a car with a roof was when he had a Hillman Imp in 1979. So he's getting used to a GT4 car.
They've got 4 tyres, haven't they? Can't be that much different. And
it's a doddle.
Off they crack, engines at the similar pace, right? So here we see the battle. Now Warren's gone, hasn't he? Look at that pace that he had. He's disappeared out of shot. Gilbert flushing the headlights, trying to catch Stephen Lake in his first GT3 race in that GT3 McLaren. Smith will have pace as well. Smith, towards the end of last year, I thought came on leaps and bounds, so I'm sure he's feeling frustrated in that pink-nosed McLaren.
Andrew Gilbert ahead, who came out of the British Ferrari Challenge and did a massive amount of miles in a short space of time, was on the grid at Le Mans last year in one of the Iron Lynx Mercedes AMGs, and Andrew Gilbert in the middle of this McLaren battle. Now look at this for the race lead. Rob Collard, fastest man on the circuit, fastest lap of the race last time through, and he's up on the tail of the BMW. So might have been a demon opener by Darren Lung, but Rob Collard now bringing the Lamborghini very much into the mix. Dan Harper ready just in case he needs to jump on board. Up to the line they come.
Yeah, Rob's pace is looking strong. Now we'll get to see where the strengths and weaknesses of these two respective cars are. Historically, the BMW very good at the end of the straights, the Lamborghini very good on the brakes. So it's going to be an interesting fight. Does Collard want to clear Lung? Is he happy to sit behind him and hand that car over to Cook, who can then fight Harper? We've got a long time left, still well over 2.5 hours remaining. So the move doesn't need to be rash, but is the move needs to be done efficiently and cleanly.
So Darren Lung, race leader, Rob Collard chasing on behind him, and it's important of course for Rob all of this because he is doing the full championship whereas Darren is not, so there might late race be an element of picking your battles, knowing who you're racing against. Are they registered for the full championship? But equally Rob Collard is a proper racer and he wants to win. Came out of oval racing like his late father Mick Duffy Collard, who'd been an absolute legend in hot rod racing, and Rob, after a spell on the ovals, came into circuit racing, spent many years in the British Touring Car Championship, but very quickly became a real force in GT cars when he made that switch for 2020.
Yeah, rapidly. And I said about the temperature of these cockpits. How about the vibrations? You're sitting on a tumble dryer here doing 240 kilometres an hour at points, and this is not comfortable. And that's what you've got to get used to as a driver. Here we have our first GT4 traffic, and it actually held Rob Moore. You could hear the downshift through the normally flat left-hander at Farm. So Darren Lung probably one up so far on the GT4 traffic, but the car balance looking good for Collard. Watching his hand inputs, he's able just to turn the car in, snap of oversteer on throttle is normal, traction control working hard. But how glorious does this V10 still sound in the back of this Lamborghini Huracan?
The car they were just lapping was only Graham's BMW out of GT4. You can see it in the background as down towards Brooklands comes Darren Lung. And he's not being able to rebuild that lead, is he? Last time around, it was just over half a second between Darren Lung and Rob Collard for the race lead then, as they come out of Luffield now ready to accelerate once more up past the pits. They will come through Woodcote Corner. And Darren Lung continues to hold sway as we nudge towards the end of the first half an hour. Lead gap gone up fractionally, 7/10. Darren Lung that time around just a little faster than Collard, but you could put that down to the traffic.
Yeah, I think you're totally right for that reason. They're now 5.7 ahead of third place Andrew Howard. So at the moment, these two in a class of their own there. You see the stint time on your timing tower, 25 minutes, the same for everyone at the moment, of course. That cannot exceed 65 minutes in any stint unless there is a safety car full course yellow at the the end of your stint. A slight change of rule to GT World Challenge if you're a viewer of that. Again, the teams need to be so sharp to all the subtle regulation differences in every series.
In the same way that you can't reset a stint just by driving through the pit lane, you have to get to the working area, turn the engine off, refire it. Battle on in replay, Andrew Gilbert versus Mark Smith, who tries the Warren dive, but doesn't work for him.
No, Gilbert gave him the room but kept the momentum, so clever by Gilbert there just to unwind the lock and just let it run. We see so many lunges there. It's an awful one to watch, and it's tempting because the car swings out wide to take its line, so it gives you this gap, but there's always a diminishing return of its opening. And yeah, just watching Collard now, it just looks like he's getting to that dirty air phase, isn't he? He can get to a second and then no further, as we hear a skid mark, I think, somewhere in front of these two.
Yeah, just wonder whether that's number 40. It is. It's the James Townsend Aston that's off in the gravel on the outside of Abbey. It's a long way off into the gravel, and that could trigger another interruption, couldn't it? That could be a full course yellow and all safety car. So everybody in the pit lane is now ready to go. This is the roll of the dice. That's Hugo Cook getting ready to take over from Rob Collard. Dan Harper was ready anyway.
Yeah, there's no excuse not to be ready. You can actually see Roberski in the background not ready at all. The team won't be happy with that. I actually saw Cook walking away, his earplugs plugged in. That's what happens when there's a panic. Things go wrong. If you don't get radio communication, his stint will be compromised.
And look at this for the race lead. The gaps come down even further. Ian Duggan's Porsche about to be negotiated by the race leader, Darren Lung. In second place, Rob Collard. So we're still under green flag conditions. Peter Daly, the race director, will make the call as to whether or not he thinks he needs the safety car to interrupt things to get that Aston out of the way. The leaders have gone through Copse Corner. They're heading up towards Maggots and Beckett's, and Collard looking closer again. It was back down to half a second. Wonderful part of Silverstone, this. Left at the Maggots kink and then through the Beckett's S's. Any car through there is spectacular, GT cars particularly, and it's game on for the race lead. We're on lap 14, but we're rather fearful as the leaders catch the traffic that the safety car could be brewing.
Yeah, and the problem as well here is the leaders are split in the GT4 pack, so effectively the GT4 cars behind the leader of Darren Lung go a lap down as well, so those GT4 teams will be praying to try and get the safety car when they want it. I just wonder if Townsend, it's an odd place to go off by yourself. I wonder if that was a GT3 induced spin there at turn 1. Was a GT3 trying to get down the inside of him? Maybe we will see.
We're preparing for a full course yellow, so the teams are being told a full course yellow is coming. They get a 20-second countdown, and the full course yellow then is now in operation. You see the way the car suddenly slows, so full course yellow is called, and at this point the race director will tell the teams whether it's going to be what is called a short full course yellow or, you guessed it, a long full course yellow. And my suggestion would be this is going to be a long one because you've got to slow everybody down and you've got to get a car out of the gravel.
Yeah, Peter Daly saying he was very unlikely to use the short full course yellow in that one. So I think we're going to see Townsend flying into shot. Just see if anyone else is in the vicinity. At the moment you would say not, wouldn't you? But yeah, an interesting place to lose the car by yourself. So the rear of that Aston Martin very, very loose, and it looks like we're going to get this first round of pit stops done. Full course yellow, a great way to get a pit stop done. Not quite as good as safety car. You're averaging obviously 80 kilometers an hour versus the green pace here at Silverstone, over 170. So time saved, but if everyone's doing it, it is negated as a win.
So we will go safety car in due course. The benefit of a full course yellow is you slow everybody down at the same time, and it's to 80 kilometers an hour, so you get control of the race. Once then people have made their pit stops, but it's all under a controlled speed, then you can put the safety car out and neutralise the pack. Going back to Joe's point about those GT4 cars not wanting to drop off the lead lap, there is something called wave by as well, which allows the GT4 cars to be permitted to overtake the GT3 and therefore get back onto the same lap as the GT4 leader. So it's going to be a long full course yellow because I think you're going to see a raft of pit stops, and we will go safety car inevitably.
Yeah, and when do you roll the dice? Do you keep your AM in now to get more of their stint done, which is risky in case it goes straight to the safety car? That's maybe what Optimum are doing with Hopkinson there in the 90 car there, sorry, yes. And just wondering, are we going to see another quick pit stop to get the pro out and back in? Yeah. And do their mandatory stop? That might make it a 4-stop race, but if that fourth one can be as quick as you can do it without needing fuel, that opens up another strategy option.
But if it's one of the regulation driver change stops, then it has to be done to a time. You see the cars coming down the pit lane, So that's Rob Collard ready to give way to Hugo Cook. Remember that for the GT3 teams, it is 1 minute and 55 line to line. What do I mean by that? Well, there's a line at pit in and a timing beam, and the same at pit out, and it's the time between those two lines that is your pit stop time, not the time that you're stationary. It is the pit in to the pit exit line. So 1 minute and 55 in GT3, 2 minutes and 25 standard in GT4, but if you've got a silver class car, an extra 6 seconds added on, just to equate things, because silver deemed to be faster than a Pro and an Am.
Yeah, it won't matter under a full course yellow safety car, but if those stops are done under green, GT3 can do their stop without losing a lap, whereas GT4 lose a lap. Their pit stop is longer than a GT4 lap time, interestingly. So Paradine getting to work. They're right at the end of the pit lane. There's a roll of the dice then. They're just, I think, trying to use Howard's stint up under full course yellow, because obviously if you had Ross Gunn in the car versus Andrew Howard at 80 kilometres an hour, they would do the same lap time.
Suggesting that when he does come in, there will be a clearer pit lane is slightly more academic, because you're not really racing against anybody while it's neutralised like this. It's all against the clock anyway, I guess.
Yeah, I don't think that's a consideration for the team in the pit lane here at Silverstone long enough where everyone's got their own space.
Just a quick word about the sticker on the side of the car you see in memory of Jules Battendale. Jules was British GT's pit lane manager. He sadly succumbed to illness over Easter weekend. Jules had been a marshal, a scrutineer. He'd been on the rescue unit. He became a pit marshal, then the pit lane manager for the championship. He was very, very well respected, and the pit lane came together to respect a minute's silence in his memory this morning, and the whole British GT family will miss Jules Battendale hugely. Right, you saw there Hugo Cook rejoining on the back of Dan Harper. That's Rob Collard, whose work is done for the moment, but he will get back into the car because there are minimum drive time regulations that must be ticked. So remember, we are still in this caution period. We're still under a full course yellow. Once all these pit stops have cycled through, and we know exactly what the order is, then I think Peter Daly can take charge by putting out the safety car, putting everybody in the correct order, as you look there at number 6, which is Ian Loggy, to give way to Phil Keane.
Yeah, Paradine servicing their second car, and I'll just say my part of Jules as a driver. You have an interesting relationship with a pit stop manager, pit lane manager, and I've always had a problem with authority, but Jules was always annoyingly correct, and he really upped the whole game for everyone here, working in the pit lane, creating a safer environment for everyone, so he will be very much missed. And actually, interestingly, you could see the Paradine car controller for Harper say don't go. I think Harper overruled him and drove through the lollipop to get in front of Hugo Cook. It was a good decision by Harper, but that is a brave call as a driver to look in your mirror and overrule your car controller, and it was the right one. But interesting to see there at Paradine, maybe they were too conservative with that.
So all these pit stops then cycling through. Darren Leung having given way to Dan Harper. 1 minute and 55 was the pit stop requirement, and 1 minute and 55 and 9/10 of a second. So yeah, if Dan did overrule it, he was absolutely on the money.
Yeah, and they're lucky being at pit exit. There's obviously not that much time to the exit line, so they know exactly when they need to leave.
So there's the top 2. Now Dan Harper versus Hugo Cook, same cars, different drivers. There is the replay of Dan Harper setting off. I know best, he says.
And the car controller lifts it up and like, well, if you're going, I might as well get the board out your way. Yeah. And it was the correct decision. And again, as a driver, you're looking in your mirror. You look at the pit stop countdown. You can see when you're going to go, and you've got to judge it. And a lot of teams and drivers also have a mark on the pit wall of when there's a car past that mark, that's your no-go. And maybe Harper just had enough confidence he could get going, and ultimately it's kept him the race lead. Correct decision.
Andrew Howard has stayed out. He has yet to pit, and Simon Orange has not yet pitted. Now, this is the notional race leader, but he is going to box this time. So Andrew Howard, the man behind Beach Dean Ice Cream, comes down the pit lane.
As long as they can get out of the pit lane, still under full course yellow, this is a win, because this whole time, this has been time used up by Andrew Howard versus the pros out there, same with Simon Orange. So that was 4 minutes and 20 seconds that lap. So that's 4 minutes extra for their pros. That's probably worth 3 to 4 seconds.
There's Phil Keane in 6, teammate Ian Loggy with Bryn.
It certainly is great to see you back in GT3, Ian. A bit of a one-off occasion for you, and it came about through a chat with Darren, who's just over your shoulder there.
Yeah, one of the cars I've never driven. I think I've been through all the GT3s at one stage or another, whether racing them or testing them. So I've always fancied to have a go with the BMW. So think one night after a bottle of wine, I decided I'd give Dan a call. And he said, yeah, we've got a car, we can dust it off, so here we are.
You've won this event as well before, 2019 I believe it was, and you've got a driver, a co-driver who's also won it, although 3 years before that.
Yeah, correct. 2019, long time ago. That was in the Mercedes. Yeah, it's a great event. One of the reasons I chose this was that I knew coming back to after a year or 18 months, I wouldn't have the front pace. So if you want to get a podium or the top step, this is the race, because you don't really need to be the quickest. You just need to stay out of trouble, move up the grid slowly, maybe get a strategy break, etc. And all of a sudden you're in the game. I think we started 11th and got up to 7th, 6th, something like that. So it's all to play for.
There's always a full course yellow, there seems to be, or a safety car or something like that for yourself. Though, what's the BMW like to drive? How does it compare to other cars you've been in?
For me, when I got in it, I thought this is really safe. It's easy to drive, etc. But that's one thing. And then when you look at the times, you think, okay, it might feel easy to drive, but the times don't come. Whereas if you drive a McLaren or Lamborghini, it feels like a proper race car. And you feel as if you're going quick, but sometimes the times don't come there either. So, yeah, it's a proper big bus, but really nice to drive.
Not tempted to come out of retirement for a full season? Go on.
Not sure. I think I'm going to do some legend racing, but I love Alton Park, so who knows.
See you at Alton Park then. Thanks, Ian.
Which these days I think is his local circuit. And when Ian Logie says he might do some Legends racing, I think we're talking GT revival or Le Mans Legends, as in historic GT or sports prototypes, rather than the motorbike engine pocket rockets. But with Ian Logie, frankly, you never know. Right, that's Andrew Howard's car. It has now got Ross Gunn at the wheel of it, Aston Martin factory driver, and that led, of course, when Andrew Howard brought it in.
Yeah, so he'll be happy. There's the lead gap. GT4 cars are in the right place, so there's going to be no split on the lead lap there, because you can see GT4 leader in the background as well, so that's good. Ross Gunn will be happy that there are two GT4 cars in between him and Marcus Clutton, who's now taken over from Simon Orange. Here we see a race under full course yellow. Whoever would have been leading at safety car one line should be the car that's in front, and you would suggest it's probably going to be the 44 Century car of Charles Clark.
And Jack Brown, former GT4 champion, takes over from Mark Warren in the yellow McLaren. So now the race order is
safety car procedure. Safety car lights on. Ahead. All cars accelerate, catch the safety car.
Peter Daly gives the command. His wife Lorna Vickers is the safety car driver, and we are now, as you see, under safety car conditions. Now, what's the difference? Well, when you full course yellow, there is a regulation speed, whereas the safety car can go faster than that. Loose euphemism for this is motorway speeds, but the benefit of having the safety car partly bunches everybody up, so it makes the track clearer for much of it for people to work, although now I think the work has been done to get James Townsend's cars out of the way. However, what the increased speed can do is get tyres back up to temperature, pressures back up, brakes up to temperature as well. Now, the negative is that safety cars breed safety cars, but now at least people are going faster. That brings tyres up to temperature and therefore makes for a safer restart. So there you have got Andrew Howard, his car with Ross Gunn at the wheel of it, in third place. But he's going to be on the tail of Hugo Cook when we go back racing, because, as you heard, everybody has to catch the safety car and bunch up behind.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what Ross Gunn can do here. I think this could be a car that shoots forward as we get back to the restart. And just remember, that car has got 5 more minutes done with its AM time as well. So effectively they're in the same position, but we're going to see at some point 2 more pro laps for that car and the Clutton car, of course. And that roll of the dice was risky, but correct.
The team manager of Charles Dawson's Mercedes has now got to go to the steward's office. So, assuming it's not the same person that had to go for representing number 18, we are ready to go. Here's 74 over the line, the GT4 leading car. You'll also see on the right-hand side of that graphic the little medal and the background to it, whether it's a platinum, like Dan Harper, in the white background, or a silver graded driver or a gold graded driver. And the FIA, the governing body of the sport, grades drivers based on their age, their successes, and part of the entry for British GT is combining the required grades of driver. For example, you couldn't have 2 platinums because that would be 2 manufacturer pro drivers who just run away with the races. So very much a pro-am format is what we're aiming for, but there's also that silver am element to it as well. Driver gradings is a bit of a minefield at times.
In this lap.
Safety car is going to be in this time as you look at now 74, Hadley Simpson, who's taken over that Ginetta. Right, we're going to go racing this time. The lights will be extinguished on the safety car, the Lotus, to say that the race will be back underway this time. And it's going to be good, this, isn't it, with the top 3 effectively together.
Yeah, I think your movers are going to be the 7 Aston and the 77 Barnecoat McLaren as well. I think those 2 cars are going to move forward in a nice rate. And yeah, all the drivers now really trying to get these tyres back up to temperature. Warm day here at Silverstone. It has been all weekend, but the drivers always trying to make sure they're ready for the restart. When's Harper going to go? When's he going to drop the pin? I think somewhere between Brooklands, the last left, and then the very short run before Luffield is a nice place to go here at Silverstone.
Confirmation from Geraint Rees of the timekeeping force that everybody has now done 1 regulation pit stop and they've all been okay in terms of the time. So much mopping of brow up and down the pit lane. Few, they all think. We haven't got any issues there in terms of pit stop time. So all is good as you look at Dan Harper leading Hugo Cook, Ross Gunn in 3rd, and then you've got some GT4 traffic before Marcus Clutton in 4th, having taken over from Simon Orange. So the cars in towards Village, although we are being told the safety car is in this lap. The lights have not yet been extinguished, but that is probably on Wellington Straight.
Yeah, exactly. That is in the driver briefing note. And there's always a gripe in mind as a driver. If you know the safety car's coming in, just turn the lights off earlier so everyone knows. But rules are rules and we must stick to them.
As the safety car comes then through Aintree. But very fast left, named after another British circuit that used to host the British Grand Prix. Lights are indeed out on Wellington Straight, so now the safety car will peel for the pit lane, and it is up to Dan Harper to control the restart. He slows everybody down, and he will decide when to pick up the pace. And this is the view down towards Brooklands.
Quite punchy with his accelerate and brake. It should be once you go, you go. And he's on the borderline of sort of mocking the start. And you can see him backing him up. This is where I would go.
And he's still on the brakes. Didn't think he could do that.
You can stay on the brakes, but you can't slow the pace down. For me, he's done it a few times. He goes right in the middle of Luffield, a conservative place to go, and it should be a good restart for all. Of course, now Clutton is going to get stuck behind those GT4 cars, so the front 3 will break away.
Yeah, because Marcus Clutton can't overtake until he gets to the timing line, which he's coming up to now then as they go down towards Copse Corner. So Dan Harper leads over the line by half a second.
Terrible restart from Clutton. I don't know if he didn't get told the safety car was coming in, but he was 4 or 5 lengths behind a GT4 car over the line.
That's maybe there's a problem with that McLaren. Fingers crossed there is not. We're back racing. You've also then got Ben Barnicoat on his toes. That is Hadley Simpson being forced wide, so Clutton is under attack. There is Ben Barnicoat. The McLaren between them is Garnet Patterson, the Australian driver. GT4 lead might yet change here, might it not? Because Jess Hawkins in 21 much closer to the Ginetta. This now is Jack Brown's view, having taken over from Mark Warren onto Hanger Straight.
Doing really well. He's got his ex-teammate from GT4 days, Charles Clark, in front of that blue BMW. Here's the illustration, GT4, GT3. Yellow headlights on GT4, the black windscreen banner for them and the white for GT3 if you want to quickly distinguish. But you can see the pace difference here. There's 2 of them running side by side. Where are we going to go now? We're going to have to go all the way around. 3 wide has the Aston Martin seen us. Should be okay by the time we turn in.
Jack Brown new to GT3, right round the outside in the faster car. The Optimum McLaren. That's Matt Griffin, 55 Lamborghini, getting himself up the inside to go ahead of Aaron Walker, another of the SRO GT Academy drivers. He goes through on the inside line. Hadley Simpson coming under attack as they're diving up the inside is Jared Werberski. There's enough room. He goes through. Charles Clark's BMW is next up. Then Phil Keen's BMW, and while they go through the GT4 traffic, the lead gap comes right down. Hadley Simpson in 74 being reeled in by Jess Hawkins. Now Jack Brown gets up the inside. Life is hard in GT4 because you're trying to have your own race and get out of the way of the quicker traffic.
It's really difficult. You've got to rule with an iron fist, and I'm saying now that Simpson Ginetta in front will block Werberski next time in that 78 Lamborghini. That was not a good move from the 78 Lambo into new turn 1. You can see he's now on the back foot having to defend from Phil Keen.
So the race leaders again heading up towards the end of the lap as they're Phil Keen in a car that yesterday he wasn't overly happy with. I think whatever they've done to it overnight has worked a little. It's getting a bit more racy. Ben Barnicoat's just cleared Garnet Patterson in 77. Ben Barnicoat's up into 5th place. They're diving to the inside line with Aaron Walker. They're also going through in number 13, the sole Ferrari. Josh Buchan, the Australian touring car champion, won the touring car gear race at Macau on the streets last year, the reverse grid Sunday race for the gear award. And in GT4, big battle on then. Josh Stanton versus Jack Mitchell, who goes through on the inside in the Ginetta. Jack Mitchell, an absolute star in a GT4 car, and he's flying.
Really is, isn't he? And he's able to pick his way through nicely, sweeps through. McLaren battles side by side through Magnus and Beckett, so they're both going to stay on the track and then they load each other up. That's done well to stay clean so far. We go on board with the Optimum one. The yellow one we were looking from the outside is going to try and get the cutback. Damage on the Mahiki. You can see the bodywork flapping on the left. The slipstream will start to kick in now, but this is an amazing 6-car battle.
Is indeed, with McLarens, Porsches, BMWs, Aston Martins all involved, and it includes Colin Turkington now, who's aboard number 61 there, but Ronan Pearson, his former touring car rival, comes up on the outside line to try to go all the way around the outside. Ronan's going to have the inside line down to the end of Vale, but that will quickly become the outside line for Club. Colin Turkington, who's not raced on the Grand Prix circuit very much, only in historics rather than the BTCC, secures the place ahead of Ronan Pearson. He's got another BMW ahead of him he's got to worry about in a moment, which is the Jack Collins car, the orange Century car. Tom Bradshaw's taken over 8 Porsche and he's flying just up the road ahead. He in turn is behind Josh Stanton. And then you've got the blue McLaren of Revy Lake, who has got himself to the head of this queue. So a lot of shuffling in GT4 on this lap.
Yeah, I think Turkington will feel at home, won't he, here as he's trying to get down the inside of the Century BMW. But instead of racing against Larders, he's racing against Porsches, Aston Martins and McLarens. Was their contact there? It looked like Bradshaw got forced wide. They're 2x2 contact between the BMWs. Potential suspension damage rear right on the Century car. Front left for Turkington. Look okay at the moment.
Down towards Brooklands they come. Ronan Pearson on the inside in the Aston he shares with John Hawthorne, the Graham Brunton run car, number 97. Don't forget that was getting track limit warnings earlier on, but through goes Ronan Pearson. So Pearson ahead of Turkington. It's just like winding the clock back for a touring car battle, this. Ronan was a race winner in the championship, 4 times a champion. Colin Turkington up front, though. The recovering Jack Collins trying to get himself back past Tom Bradshaw. No, you don't, says Tom. The Porsche will be ahead as they cross the stripe.
Good straight line performance from the Porsche. Maybe the Aston too now trying to get down.
Car 1 has a drive-through penalty, a pit stop infringement. Car 1, drive-through penalty.
Not that it does us much good because the car effectively is a retirement from the race, but the pit stop was being looked at. Well, the process is concluded, a penalty will come, but the car is no longer circulating. Meanwhile, here, look, Jack Collins has been shuffled to the back of the GT4 queue.
Yeah, mega move from Turkington there. You could see Pearson getting over the curb and unsettling it, but look what that battle has done. It's released those 2 McLarens, Revy Lake with amazing pace. It was a dicey move a lap before Maggers and Beckett's, but the youngest driver on the grid seems to have the pace over this battle pack that they're following. Turkington still looking racy, trying to get that place back from Pearson.
So those drivers down through Vale once more, and a big battle is going on ahead of them as well, because those 2 McLarens have got themselves together. So Revy Lake then now is in second. There's the blue McLaren, Revy Lake, second in GT4. The yellow McLaren behind is Josh Stanton for third. But Jack Mitchell, who's taken over from Luke Shaw, leads GT4. He's well clear as Colin Turkington comes back there at Ronan Pearson.
Full course yellow speed. Car 9797, drive-through penalty, full course yellow speed.
And 97 there is in this battle. So Ronan Pearson is being done, or his car is being done for speeding under full course yellow, and a drive-through penalty comes. So a little bit too much pace, but really these things are a slam dunk. There's so much data available, you can't say, no, it wasn't.
No, exactly. Unless you've got evidence that you can present straight away to say you're wrong, you've got to come and serve it. The good teams will be telling the drivers, like Bradshaw in the Porsche, Turkington or Collins in the BMW, that that car has got a drive-through, so don't worry about fighting it too hard, because within the next 3 laps, it's going to disappear away from this battle.
Number 1, by the way, the Kean Jewis, now driven Mercedes, has crept back out again, so it's becoming a bit of a glorified test session for them. The car is 11 laps down, but it is circulating, so it will have to do that penalty. So also will Ronan Pearson's Aston. The message will get through. There's the drive-through penalty board in this high-tech era. Still a good old-fashioned board shown to the drivers as a backup. That's Colin Turkington going through, taking over from Ernie Graham. And Cian Jewis, having just mentioned the fact that he's got a service penalty, has indeed rumbled his way down pit lane. We're currently on lap 21. This battle now is between Marcus Clutton and Ben Barnicoat. Ben, a very much in demand GT driver, and as I said on the grid, it's the first time he's had a full GT3 season. Great to have him here, the Chesterfield driver who came through the single-seater ranks, part of the Racing Steps Foundation, which was designed to help British drivers and give them a proper programme for a given number of years, not just a bit of money for one season, and it really did give Ben a big leg up. He's raced GT4 McLarens in this championship, but not GT3, and he's about to have a go at Marcus Clutton, who doesn't give him a huge amount of room. Two wheels on the lawn, Ben Barnicoat keeps on coming, and he goes through. That was brave.
Yeah, great move. Just about fair from both. Clutton closed the door, but too late to stop the momentum of Barnicoat. Hard to get a run there, so the slipstream, of course, helped, but Barnicoat seemed to just have the pace out of the slower corner before to get the traction done. Let's see what pace he's got now. What's this unlocked for the 77? Big gap to the car in front, 7.5 seconds to Ross Gunn in front.
Yeah, because that McLaren flattered to deceive early on, didn't it? Morgan Tilbrook, as we said, had that good opening lap, lost ground somewhere, fell back. So this is the race leader, and it's Dan Harper, who has cleared off now from Hugo Cook, but in third place, what's happened to Ross Gunn? He has fallen away also to the tune of 3.7 seconds. You notice also that number 40 is circulating in the background, so the car that triggered that last interruption has now got Joe Wheeler at the wheel. There is Ross Gunn, but he's not been able to stay with Hugo Cook, which might be a bit of a surprise. And what that is doing, in turn, is bringing Ben Barnicoat very much into the mix. Ben Barnicoat has done the absolute best first sector, as you see there. 21, Jess Hawkins coming under attack from Jack Mitchell, who goes through to secure the GT4 category lead. He was already Jack leading in Pro-Am. Now he's up, into second in GT4, because Hadley Simpson is just up the road ahead. But the shuffles continue. The team manager of 27 now being summoned to the race director as well. 27 is the Darren Turner, Dan Lavery, Aston Martin.
Yeah, it's a good move from Mitchell there. So it's a Ginetta 1-2 in GT4. Here's Jess Hawkins in the Aston Martin. We've ridden on board of the GT3 cars quite a lot through Magnussen Beckett's. Now you can see the slower pace of the GT4s working their way through. Now onto the hangar straight, blasting away. And Hawkins will probably just have to start to look in her mirrors. We're very late behind as well in the McLaren. Here we see the battle. It's all kind of strung out. Apart from this one, look at the gap that Barnicoat has pulled in on this lap. Visually, that looks like it could be well over a second gained on this lap alone.
I'm wondering whether Ben Barnicoat could be on for the fastest lap of the race here, because this is really the first serious flying lap we've had for the pro drivers. So the best lap thus far claimed by Darren Leung, but everything is aligning here for Ben Barnicoat to do the fastest lap of the race as he chases Ross Gunn. You can see how the gap has been coming down over the last few laps. Up towards the timing line they go. Ben Barnicoat goes through. It is the fastest lap of the race. So he's just done a 1:58.229.
Yeah, 1.4 seconds quicker than Ross Gunn on that last lap. So they're within striking distance by the end of this lap. And that will definitely be a consideration for a race win. If Barnicoat's pace is like this, he's standout at the moment, well over a second a lap quicker on average than anyone else. Now he's in that clear air. Clutton's really struggled to stay with him as well. So yeah, seems like JMH haven't quite got that blue McLaren in the background in the same window as Barnicoat, weaving left to right. I wouldn't expect that to be trying to distract Gunn. Maybe he just picked up some dirt on his tyres through Magnussen Beckett's and cleaning up before he hits the brakes for Stowe.
Joe Wheeler, incidentally, currently at the wheel of number 40 Aston Martin, is under investigation for speeding under the full course yellow. The full course yellow was called for to get his car, when it was in the hands of James Townsend, out of the gravel. So having triggered the full course yellow period, the car has then gone too quickly under the full course yellow that it caused. Are you with me?
We see that quite often, don't we? When the car finally gets going, they're kind of oblivious to the full course yellow being in procedure.
Car 40, drive-through penalty, full course yellow speed.
Talking about shooting yourself in the foot with your own gun, that is yeah, really tough and hard for the Fox guys there to try and get a result out of this race today now.
Phil Keane, number 6 BMW, in a big battle here. So he's trying to pick his way through the order, and he is succeeding in so doing by the look of it, because now he is clear of Charles Clark. In the background, Matt Griffin having a go at Jack Brown. Well, on the basis that those cars have clashed in co-drivers' hands, Matt wants to redress the balance, and it's good to have Matt back in the championship in a car that's so quick. Last year in the Ferrari was a tough year for them both. So there, Jared Werberski making progress. So is Phil Keane, dropping back a little bit Charles Clark. And here, Jack Brown adapting well to GT3, fending off the Irish driver Matt Griffin, but only just.
Yeah, it was a slight bit of contact, but both drivers just about will get away with it. But like you said, this battle raging on, and that's the great thing about GT racing. It's two for the price of one. Their co-drivers are at it, and now the pro drivers are at it just as hard.
Right, this is Hadley Simpson leading in GT4, but Jack Mitchell reeling him in to try to get the category lead. He'd got the class lead anyways, we saw a little while ago, but now the outright GT4 lead beckons. Jack, who's been busy raising money for charity by running, I think he's done 60+ kilometres to Silverstone, and he gets another little bit of a ground gained there by going up the inside, takes the lead of the class. And although Hadley Simpson fights back on the inside at Aintree, Jack Mitchell knows every trick in the book, goes a bit wide on Aintree exit, but job is done. He leads in GT4.
Great move, and yeah, start the race weekend running 63.9 kilometres from home to Silverstone. He's going to do that for every round of British GT. Some of the numbers to Alton Park are scary.
Good luck with Spa.
Yeah, exactly. I think he did say he's only doing the British rounds of it. But yeah,
Brexit for you.
Yeah, check out his Just Giving page, Jack Mitchell, Just Giving, Google it. It's some phenomenal numbers and a great charity he's raising money for.
And also the Catherine House Hospice being supported this weekend. That was where the late George Battendale spent his last days, and that's for having money raised as well. As there you see Ben Barneycoat dive bomb Ross Gunn, who is savvy enough to think that's a quicker car, I'll give him the room, there's no point causing an incident. He tries to stay with Ben, but that Aston strangely has not had the pace since this restart.
No, and I tipped it to go forward after Andrew Harrod's phenomenal opening stint and Ross Gunn being on the top end of the pros in this stint. I thought that form would only sort of accentuate in its pace, but Ross maybe not happy in the car. There's obviously strategy on tyres. This is the stint you would use your worst tyres. You would save your best till last, and then the second, then the third. So be interesting to see what they're doing.
This is Ben Barneycoat then down towards Copse Corner, using all of the road as he swings through Copse Corner, rides the curb on the inside, lets the car flow to the outside line. And although Ben hasn't done that many miles around Silverstone in recent seasons, he's absolutely bang on the money. As I say, he's done the fastest lap of the race. Now, he is 7.6 seconds back from the race leader. In a sense, we need to look at this gap now. First to third, don't we? He's catching up.
Yeah, he might not have done many laps on Silverstone, but Ben is one of the best, and he's just able to cut the inside of these apex curbs, take some radius out the corners, go a shorter distance, and it really only the track limits being policed on corner exits at 1, 7 and 12. It is a track limit, but he's not getting caught for it, so he keeps doing it, and it's working for him really well. And it almost looks like Optima maybe set that car up slightly softer to be able to take the curb and abuse it. The sausage curbs on the inside here at Club have been removed, so you can use even more at the first right and this second part as well. But the track limit is monitored on the exit, so he'll keep it off the green stuff, sure enough, and he carries on. He just seems to be able to manipulate the line around this Silverstone GP track better than anyone.
And it's working for him. Another absolute best sector one posted on this lap. What's sector one? Well, it's from the start of the lap to just about the braking zone for Stowe Corner. So that's your first sector. There are 4 sectors to the lap. And there is Ben Barneycoat then coming now up through the loop, speed building into Aintree. Race leader remains Dan Harper, who's getting away from Hugo Cook, but it's the gap between Cook and Barneycoat we need to be monitoring, as there is Tom Holland getting ready to take over again the number 74 Ginetta. So suggesting that Hadley Simpson is not going to be in for that long, but I think we were saying yesterday that Tom, the quicker of the 2 drivers in that car, they want to get him in that and bring it back into contention.
Yeah, we're in the window where they could stop again without adding an extra pit stop. You can see the stint time there again at that 25-minute mark. This stint could be anything, I think, from a minimum of 35 for the pros all the way up to the maximum of 65. I think they'll go full 65 because they will, again, gamble for that safety car like we saw in the opening stint. Stay out until there's a safety car, or you get your maximum stint time of that 65 minutes.
Now there is Barneycoat. You can see how he's absolutely on the limit here. Closing on the back of Hugo Cook.
Car 44 final track limit warning in this lap, in this hour.
3.2 seconds is the gap between there, the multicoloured Lamborghini, and the orange and blue McLaren in the background. Ben Barneycoat storming along
We spoke to Rob Bell on the grid, didn't we? He was confident about reliability for the McLaren brand, but that is brutal assault. And I did the development of this car alongside with Rob Bell and Ben Barnicoat, small world, isn't it? And the splitter will be taking a pounding. Yes, it's had an update with the E though, so the old splitter stays used to snap under that sort of duress. They are better now, but that pounding for 3 hours, 500 kilometres, be interesting to see if it can get to the end.
All of this for the RAC Trophy, as about to put a lap there on Darren Turner. Ben Barnicoat storms past on the inside. Ben, a very accomplished LMP2 prototype racer as well as GT driver. He's racing in the States next week. If you're a star GT driver, you find a berth somewhere around the globe every weekend, it feels like these days. There's also GT World Challenge Asia next weekend, as well as sports cars in America, and there's GT World Challenge Europe. So if you fancy coming to have a look at the European equivalent of British GT World Challenge Europe Sprint Cup at Brands Hatch, 2 1-hour races next Sunday.
He's still just, if there's a curb, he's smashing it, isn't it? It's not a nibble, it is a smash over every single one of these curbs around the 7 kilometres here at Silverstone. Great shot of Ben behind the wheel, working it nice. Darren Turner helped him out nicely, rolled out the throttle into new turn 1 as well. So the experienced pros in GT4s know how to help each other as this battle still raging on between Clark, Brown and Griffin.
And it is for 9th, 10th and 11th places. Charles Clark in the BMW, Jack Brown in the McLaren, Matt Griffin behind in the Barwell Run Lamborghini. There you can see the drivers behind the wheel. Charles Clark raced one of these cars in Europe last year. He's also raced an Aston Martin in GT World. Comes then through Woodcote Corner. Charles's dad, Steve Clark, used to race in this championship as well in a Viper going back a long, long time. Down towards Copse, you're riding with Jack Brown, hustling that McLaren through Copse Corner.
Yeah, keeping legal on track limits. That's the hot spot I was talking about. You can see the green light on that Delta display, the blue one in the middle. Green means good, red means bad, so that's to his best. So you can see now the tyres dropping off, unable to maybe carry as much through the mid part of the corner, but getting a good exit, and he's just in that dirty air, picking up understeer, and he's able to stay with the BMW. Does the BMW pull away on the long hanger stroke? I think so, as Turkington gets the move done now on Stanton in that 59 Optimum car.
So what is that doing to Colin Turkington's position? It's moving him back up the order, but he's about to have to let Ben Barnicoat go by. This is something all a bit new to Colin, with all due deference, because he's not been in multi-class racing that much. It came from one make into touring car racing, but having to be mindful of that speed differential, something everybody has to factor in, whether you're lapping or being lapped.
Yeah, and it's really difficult, and I would say Ben's been lucky the last 2 laps into there, because that could have cost him a lot of time. He was just in the right place. You make your own luck, you've got your own pace, you get away, because look at Ross Gunn getting held up by the Porsche there, and that's exactly what happens. Now, next target, Barnicoat. Cook in the 63 Lambo.
Yeah, that gap was 3.2. It's been coming down, 2.8 last time around. And now it's down to 1.4 as Brown is almost in the back of the BMW of Charles Clark. What did Ian Loggett call it? A big old bus. Well, it occupies quite a lot of real estate in order to be overtaken, doesn't it, the BMW? But Charles Clark hanging on to position, at least for now. Jack Brown behind him as they again run out of Aintree along Wellington Straight. Incidentally, we have now come to the end of the first hour of the race as they drop down now towards the stadium complex. Through Luffield they go. That's Matt Griffin at the back of the queue in 11th spot, going a little bit wide but looking for a good launch out of Luffield.
Yeah, it's like the McLaren hasn't quite got the punch at the end of the straight to get past the either McLaren in front of it or that BMW ultimately holding them up. I think the lunge has got to come into T14, that slow left-hander at the loop where we saw contact earlier for the 90 car trying to get down the inside of Lake. But I think that's the only place the McLaren has a massive advantage over the BMW.
There you've got your 2 category leaders, GT3 ahead of GT4. So Dan Harper now a lap up on Jack Mitchell in the 42 Ginetta. There it is, the car leading GT4 from 74 Ginetta, second in GT4. Jack Mitchell has raced in 1 make Ginettas, he's raced minis, he's raced touring cars, he's raced GT3, raced GT4.
He's made a child with the Ginetta owner, Amy Tomlinson now, so the
list goes on.
He's well in the family.
Absolutely. And a very rapid driver as well is Jack Mitchell. There you've got Hugo Cook. So that's the second place car, but have a look how much closer Ben Barnicoat has got. He's almost with him. It's game on for second place as they come through the traffic up towards Village. Ben can't make a move there. He's going to have to be bold if he's going to try it on the inside of the loop. Is he bold? Is he bold? He thinks about it. Hugo Cook gives him racing room, and the road's going to come to Ben Barnicoat. He'll have the inside line for Aintree, but he doesn't have the drive off the corner. So now he's going to have to be at the end of Wellington Straight. He gets a bit of a toe on this part of the racetrack. But Up ahead of them both is Jack Mitchell, who will see them coming. Hugo Cook thinks, do I go for it? Yes, I do. Ben Barnicoat thinks, yes, I do as well. But he's not able to make the move there. So Hugo Cook, at least for now, hangs on to second place. Ben Barnicoat, number 77 McLaren, crawling all over the back of him. This for second place. And Barnicoat, remember, was at sixth when he got into the car. And now he's about to go second. So it has been a great opener to his driving duties for the day. Down towards Copse, near enough to make a move there. Not quite.
Not enough big brake zone these days in the GT3. It was a good initial move by Barnicoat. Then it felt like he didn't want to be there and backed out of it. That then gave the momentum to the 63 Lambo just to get the traction and get gone. It's now going to be awkward if he tries the same move, because he's going to expect Cook to give him the space like he did then. Is Cook now going to go, actually, I'm closing the door, I didn't like that? And then that's where potential conflicts could happen. I think it's the best move. It was the same place I was thinking Brown should do Clark in that BMW McLaren battle further back. At the moment, this is the first time we've seen Barnicoat not get through cars in front of him like a hot knife through butter.
And that is a hat tip also, isn't it, to Hugo Cook, who has been racing at this level now for, what, 3 seasons, and has come on hugely, having come through the brick car ranks. His dad used to race GT cars, largely Porsches, Peter Cook, the family from Northwich, not far from Alton Park, which is where we go next for British GT over the end of May. Bank holiday, Saturday and a Monday weekend, the 23rd and the 25th. Qualifying on the Saturday and support races, and the 2 one-hour races on May Bank holiday, Monday the 25th. So home soil next for Hugo Cook. Right now, though, yes, you're right, Joe. He is being able to hang on to this over Ben Barnicoat, who is trying, but life's becoming tougher now.
Yeah, and I think what Cook's done there, intentionally or accidentally, he ran too fast into the first low corner at T13 there, which then naturally means he's tighter into that next left, and it stops Barnicoat's attack. It will give Barnicoat a better exit here, where we saw him overtake Clutton, but I think the Lambo's just got a slight torque advantage out the corner, so it's going to negate that run that Barnicoat's got. Barnicoat's got to get it done quickly. Why? The closer he sits for longer, the front tyre will start to give up. You could see him laying some 11s, he puts it to the inside of Luffield. That is a great move, and I don't think Cook saw that coming. That is phenomenal, and he is really mugged Cook off there.
Really nicely done. Ben Barnicoat goes by. So this car rebuilding its race after Morgan Tilbrook lost ground earlier on, down towards Copse. So now 7.7 seconds is the gap between Dan Harper and Ben Barnicoat. You've got 2 absolute stars of GT machinery, first and second, but quite a bit of a gap between them. Don't forget, Ben Barnicoat has the fastest lap of the race to his name. He's absolutely on the limit again as he goes through the Beckett's S's. Aero working overtime to stick the car to the ground.
I'm not sure what he had for breakfast or lunch, or I'm not sure it's 100% legal, because he is fired up, and he will just be able to see Harper there turning in. That's his next target. I think they're going to do another 14 to 15 laps of this stint. What can he do? This will be our first lap in a while where we'll see what his pace is like now versus Harper.
And effectively in this lead battle, everybody is equal at the moment, because they've all done one of the 3 regulation pit stops. Barnicoat's done another absolute best first sector time. What does that prove? Proves he's flying, and it proves that he can bring down the gap potentially against Dan Harper. They've just put a lap on Joe Wheeler in that rather badly delayed once gravel-bound Aston. But look, Barnicoat has checked out from Hugo Cook in half a lap.
Yeah, and it's gone. It's easy. Yes, he's on the edge, but the balance looks good. The thing I'm thinking now is, where's Tilbrook's head at after a good qualifying and a difficult start to his stint? He'll be going, where can I get this car? I can see it can do it. I had a similar thing myself in a McLaren, and I was actually got the co-driver, Nick Moss, then to watch the live onboard, and I spoke him round the lap on the radio. Ben might be trying to do the same, saying, this is where I'm braking, this is the gear, this is what I'm feeling. Trying to live coach his teammate from the car might be his best option.
Now this in the pit lane is number 3 McLaren from 6th place. Garnet Patterson potentially to give it back to Yasser Shaheen. Now, do we worry about this being a bit early, or is this clever?
Left field strategy from Will McKelvey there, the engineer. They know they're not going to win the race without something different. So the thing they will want is a safety car with around 70 minutes to run, so they can get Patterson back in for free, where everyone else would not be able to take that. So that's a far left field strategy with 70 minutes to go. I'll try and remember that one.
Yeah. Amazon doesn't deliver safety car periods to you, so you're going to have to cross your fingers that comes. So as you say, it's a gamble. There is Dan Harper. Now he's decided it's time to be a Barnicoat and bounce it over the curb at Beckett's, which he does. Here is Ben Barnicoat in second place. Gap 7.5 seconds. It was down a fraction as the McLaren sweeps through. Then Hugo Cook third, and Ross Gunn fourth. He's a further 4 seconds back. So although the lead gap potentially is coming down, what we thought might be becoming a cue for the race lead is now starting to drop Cook and certainly drop Gunn. 5th is Clutton's McLaren, 6th is Weberski's Lamborghini.
Yeah, just looking at last lap pace, Barnicoat here took 2/10 out of Harper, so not a huge amount, but it's a trend, isn't it? Gap at 7.5 seconds, so if he was to do that, he's probably going to still pit 3 seconds behind or so when they finish this stint. There you can see the stint time, 36 minutes, can't go over 65, so we're getting into the halfway point of this stint for these drivers.
Ben Barnicoat out of club corner. Didn't improve in the first sector of this lap, so maybe that suggests the tyres are just starting to lose their edge. Pirelli tyres on which everybody runs, whether it's GT3 or GT4. One type of Pirelli slick, one wet, but they don't need to worry about this weekend. It's been great weather at Silverstone, the home of British motor racing, for this opening British GT round. First time, as Bryn Lucas said on the grid, that the opening British GT round has been held at Silverstone since 2001. For that, you go back to the days of Vipers, Lister Storms, TVRs. A very different feel now to GT racing. GT3 began here way back, 2006, and that was then the FIA GT3 European Championship. There is one driver on this grid whose uncle was in that very first race. That's about the only connection in terms of drivers I can offer you.
Your knowledge always amazes me, is the politest way.
Thank you, yeah. The driver is Josh Stanton, incidentally, whose uncle Richard was in GT3 European. No, I know, but I just thought I'd finish the point because I knew you wouldn't ask out the principle. There is Jack Brown, meanwhile, who is in 9th place, and for now that car almost looks calm, doesn't it? It's sorted out all its dramas.
Yeah, and it's lost the back of Clark, so Clark's obviously found a bit of pace. Is that GT4 traffic induced? You'd say possible with the amount of cars they've cleared over the last lap or two, and yeah, now this BMW running in its own air won't have to look in its mirror at Jack Brown in this Optimum liveried 90 car. Great livery, one because it's easy to spot, but Optimum just a refresher look this year, running 4 cars, 3 GT3 and 1 GT4 is a big operation now for Sean Goff out of Huddersfield.
And Optimum has really positioned itself as one of the top McLaren teams, whether it's GT3, whether it's GT4. I know there are others that do a good job, but Optimum really excels with them.
Yeah, and he's clever, Sean, there. He's creating his next customer, his son winning Ginetta Junior races, 4 out of 5, and his daughter, Faye, as well, now racing in GT Academy of Ginetta. So he's got his next driver lineup, although I'm not sure how that finance would work.
Now, this little battle is between Revy Lake, the youngest driver on the grid at 16 and a bit, and Colin Turkington, who's couple of months older than 16, and the 4-time British Touring Car champion, looking for a way to get past. This will be a real test for Revy because Colin Turkington, a very accomplished driver. He's come out of that school of hard knocks, the British Touring Car Championship, adapting now to GT racing. He's done a little bit of endurance racing last season, Colin, whether it was in historic racing or indeed in the BRSCC's Supersport Endurance Club Racing Championship. He was here, for example, in a Mazda MX-5 in a long distance race, and Colin Turkington now lines up to make the move at the end of Hanger Straight. The BMW is almost alongside. Now it is, now it's through.
Mega move, got the speed, got the slipstream. Revy Lake deciding not to defend. I think that's the right thing to do. Want to get to the end of this race as fast as you can. We're a long way from home. So Revy not wanting to lose time defending from Turkington. He's now going to try and latch on the back of that WSR BMW and try and learn something. First race in GT4. Ginetta Junior driver last year. That's a fair jump up into a McLaren Artura GT4.
And Colin in a really happy place without all the stresses and pressures of a British Touring Car Championship weekend. Also keeping an eye on one of his 2 sons, who's now racing in Fiesta Juniors, fresh out of Autograss. So the Turkington dynasty looks set to continue, and Colin just getting away a little bit from Revy Lake. His dad, Stephen, is in the Mahiki GT3 McLaren. So busy time for not only Mahiki, but for the Lake family as well. Although at the moment, I don't think the stints are coinciding. So Revy Lake out of Ginetta Junior racing, big step up for him.
Yeah, huge amount, but Revy very good on the simulator, and obviously so many drivers now using simulators to help bridge gaps when they do change classes, change cars. And at the moment, that seems to be working well for Revy because he's dropped the Optimum McLaren there, the Stanton car, hasn't he, with the Porsche and the BMW in close pursuit. Remember, all of these cars were one bunch, weren't they, when they started this stint? So they're now fanned out and found their respective pace.
Now, Jack Mitchell has just pitted. The GT4 leader has come into the pit lane. So has Josh Rowledge out of the Mahiki GT3 McLaren. But interesting that Jack Mitchell has pitted. There he is. So down the pit lane, there is the Rowledge Lake driver change happening ahead. Luke Shaw then new into British GT, will get back into that car. What they're trying to do here, I guess, is to save Jack to the very end, because you want your quick driver in for that last stint, just in case there's any late race safety car, fire extinguisher, just in case while the refueling goes on.
Multi-purpose. That's Jack Mitchell holding the fire extinguisher. So just done a stint to get you to the lead. Got to hold a fire extinguisher, put the fire extinguisher down, and strap Luke Shaw in. That boy can do anything.
Hold a baby, hold a fire extinguisher, you know, do it all.
Run 64 kilometres home. Can't even afford a road car, bless him.
Quite. Well, you know, now he's involved with a Yorkshire family. Frugality. So the fuel into the car, the Ginetta, which gives up for now its GT4 lead. But it will buy that back. So now you're starting to see how the structure of the race changes, with some cars dropping away because they've done 2 regulation stops, others only having done 1. So the order is shuffled accordingly, and Ben Barnicoat has done another fastest lap of the race. The gap for the lead is down to 6 seconds, as now Jack Mitchell hasn't quite finished, because the other thing on his to-do list is open the door in a gentlemanly fashion for his co-driver.
There's a bit of confusion there, wasn't there? They weren't sure how many dump churns they were doing. 2 ways of refueling. The dump churns we just seen on Ginetta, where you could do up to 5 to get the car full, 25 litres in each dump churn. They've obviously decided they only needed to put 50 litres in to get to the end of Luke Shaw's stint, to get him up to his maximum 80 minutes of drive time. So bit of confusion, bit of time lost. They should be fine. The minimum pit stop for GT4 long enough to allow effectively for a safe pit stop, which this one will still do. Changing tyres, 5 wheel nuts on each one, unlike GT3, which just has the centre wheel nut, so it takes that bit longer. A lot of the teams using quite a special socket which captures all 5 nuts and then puts them back on under spring-loaded tension. Very clever system to stop your nuts flying everywhere.
So Dan Harper, race leader, the gap down to 6 seconds last time around. Just looking to see whether any notifications come up on the timing screens, and it hasn't, about that restart, because we were, as you look at the lead car, just pondering whether the way that Dan Harper was going through this part of the circuit was okay. And the fact that he was, you know, the brake lights kept coming on did gain a bit of attention, but nothing has come up, and I don't think anyone has complained about it yet, if at all.
Maybe it's just us that had the problem with it then, luckily for Dan Harper. But yeah, the general rule is once you go, you have to commit to it and go. It stops the concertina effect behind you and causing accidents. And to me, I get the accelerate brake to get the tyre temp and the brake temp up, but for me it was too aggressive. The de-acceleration part of that was too much and could have caused an issue. But like you said, race control, I haven't seen it, so it doesn't matter.
What they have seen, though, is the gap come down to 5 seconds as Barnicoat blasts through the Beckett's S's. 5 seconds between Harper and Barnicoat. So over the exit of Chapel Curve comes the McLaren. Dan Harper still leading the way. Another fastest lap done last time by Ben Barnicoat, a 1:57.7, whereas Dan Harper is lapping in the 58, so a second pullback last time.
It's rare to see a stint this good, isn't it? And it's been standout, and this is the first of 2 stints, and I think the second one could be even better because it'll have a set of new tyres as well. Did they save another set of new tyres than other teams? 6 sets at the start of the weekend. I was looking at the strategy, maybe if you could get through 3 practice on 1 set. That was a big ask. It was 2 hours of driving, use 2 in qualifying. That would leave you 3 for the race. So you would start on a qualifying set. Has Ben been given an extra new set over other teams potentially? Let's keep an eye on that second stint. If his second stint isn't as standout as this one, which for me goes into a top 10 stint I've ever commentated on, that could be a reason why. And we may have to change the C in his surname to a G and make him Ben Barnicoat.
So as the McLaren accelerates again towards Brooklands, another big battle is on here. Martin Plowman, number 9, versus Josh Buchan in 13, and they're both trying to get past Stephen Lake, who is back into number 69. So there you've got an AM effectively against pros, haven't you? So Stephen's pace not going to match that of Martin Plowman nor Josh Buchan. Josh doing a pretty decent job here because he's new to the car, he's new to Silverstone, he's new to GT racing. There's an awful lot for the Australian driver to get his head around here.
Yeah, and the team being new to the car is a big ask as well, to understand these very complex machines now. They may look like road-going cars. General rule, 90% road-going buses. Ben Barnicoat does pit. I am surprised by that one. It's kind of in the middle of this stint. So
car number 9 is being given a black and white warning flag. Final track limit warning in this hour, car 9.
Thank you, Peter. I think this is just in the middle. I think this is safe. This kind of covers bets on if a safety car comes out. Did they short fuel Ben? Was that why he was so fast? He only had the fuel to do that 40-minute stint he's just completed. This does mean that his final stint is going to be that longer end of it. So it does open that safety car window that I was talking about earlier, where Optimum are running on the sister car.
So Barnicoat gives way to Morgan Tilbrook, and that's the next fascination, isn't it, to see whether Morgan can deliver with respect to him in a way that he didn't in that first stint. We said he had a good opening lap. He then seemed to lose time. What this also now does is take the pressure off Dan Harper a little bit. The gap had been coming down. Now he will be a long way clear of Hugo Cook. It's about 13 seconds between what was first and third, now first and second. So Dan Harper can breathe again.
Yeah, there's Barnicoat dropping Morgan Tilbrook in. What tyres are going on? Look like new tyres to me, quite a matte finish on it. Couldn't see the physical sticker, but they look new as Harper dispatches the Full Send Racing Aston Martin GT4. Expect the AMs to do 50 minutes now. This is kind of the stint they need to do to not make their pro exceed. The only differences on that are the Clutton and the Gun car. I've got that 5 minutes difference, so they will only have to do 45 minutes or so. Maybe slightly less with the pit stop allowance. You can see just holding. The pit stop time will get to 0. Rob Cornish, race engineer on this 77 McLaren, will release the lollipop and go pit lane nice and clear at the moment.
Away goes Morgan Tilbrook then, who has spent a lot of time in GT cars in a short space of time, because he's racing not only in British but also in occasional GT World, but Asian Le Mans GT outings, and now a very experienced GT campaigner. And there, the car just stays on the lead lap, but Dan Harper wanting to try and put a lap on him here as they go through the Beckett's S's. So this is a big test for Morgan Tilbrook. He's got to defend from Dan Harper, keep the car on the lead lap and get himself dialed back in. He's back into the car. He's trying to work out what the car feels like, what the track is like now, having changed a bit, rubbered in since he was last in the car. But more than anything, keep Harper at bay as they come down Hanger Straight. And I think Dan is going to put a lap on the McLaren, but there's traffic up the road as well. Dan does it.
Yeah, really nice move. Simple. 3 wide round Stowe is not simple, and you could see there them going on. And this is where Tilbrook has just been fired back into the car. The GT4 McLaren defending from him. Was he just trying to overtake the McLaren? Sorry, the Ginetta, I think it was the former, wasn't it? And this is the problem. They're now a lap down. So if a safety car comes out, they are that lap behind. But I would expect Harper then to box to long, and they would get the lap back. But they've done this pit stop under green, whereas if there were a safety car full course yellow, others could benefit.
Now let's try and hear from Ben Barnicoat. Mega stint. Let's find out more about it all.
Well, Ben's watching on at the moment. Ben, you were absolutely on it. Really rapid out there. Was that a low fuel load, or was it absolute genius behind the wheel?
I'd like to say option 2, but I mean, if I'm being honest, look, like Optimum have just given me a fantastic car this weekend. Just pull up TSL, we're not the quickest in a straight line, but it's really, really good around the corners, and was able to get the most out of it there. All my overtakes were kind of on the brakes, so yeah, just thankful to all these guys and girls for making me look good.
Well, you've got 1 hour and 37 minutes left on the clock there. What is the strategy for you guys going in? What can you tell us?
Not too much. Obviously, we're a bit off sequence here at the minute. We're going to be exposed to a small disaster if there's a safety car before the rest of the guys pit, but I think, you know, we've got a fast car, and I was able to move forward then, so hopefully we just get to that last round of pit stop somewhere in a shot, and I can have a good fight with Dan. I think it's probably going to be me and him having a shootout at the end, so he's won enough this year. I'd like to get a few off him.
It's going to be a very, very good shootout if that is the case. Good luck, Ben. Very quickly, David, I was just talking to Morgan Tilbrook before he got in the car, and he was saying that he's focusing purely on this at the moment. He's not working at the moment, so he's really, really focused on this championship, and with this lineup, you certainly wouldn't write them off.
Yeah, very true indeed. Thanks, Bryn. Right, so you've heard from Ben Barnicoat. We'll probably hear from Dan Harper at the end of his stint, in which he's trying to build that lead. Paradigm are getting ready, though, for either this man, Dan Harper, or for the sister car, Phil Keane, to give it back to Ian Loggy. But Paradigm, Darren Lund's team, operated by Simon Traves, who, when he's not doing this, races a Bristol Formula 1 stock car. They're having a good stint. There is Ian Loggy getting ready to take back number 6. He's put some sticky tape over the 2C's logos on his overalls now that he's at Paradigm. But anyway, late decision to come and do this, and it's good to have Ian back on the grid. So we've got the cars on lap 38, and we're not far off halfway, 1 hour and 35 minutes to go.
Yeah, the throttle input sounded interesting there for Dan Harper in the middle of club. It kind of went on and off, normally easy flat in a GT3. Hopefully it's not a problem, or he's not got an issue with the rear. You can see Phil Keane talking to Ian Loggy there. It's an interesting pit stop we have in British GT. Both drivers out for the refueling. Ian Loggy looking happy. Does give you a chance to shout a few last-minute instructions to your co-driver about to get in, and then it's eyes focused on the refueler. As soon as he comes off, you can get round and get your pit stop started as the GT4 battle rages on once more.
We understand that the Ian Duggan and Tom Bradshaw pit stop out of GT4 may have been short last time, so that's going to get looked at potentially, as you see a real scrum here with McLarens, BMWs, Aston Martins, all trying not to trip over one another. You're on board with Josh Stanton. That's Darren Turner ahead. Darren's having a red-hot go at Jack Collins in the BMW. Darren Turner to the outside line, gets the job done and tries to get at the inside and contact. Darren Turner was caught in the middle. Damage to the Aston, damage to the McLaren. Drama, and this is the last thing that Ben Barnicoat and Morgan Tilbrook needed if cars are going to be stranded on the outside of the road. Darren Turner tried to go for another move, and most unlike Darren, it's not worked for him, and he's got damage, and that's 27 Aston out of the race.
They're going to get out of there and not get a safety car. That's what Ben Barnicoat will be praying. I think this car's in a safe enough spot where Darren has parked it. The McLaren, I'm not sure if it's not able to move from the exit of Brooklands. I think this could go full course yellow, and that would kill this car's momentum. It really would, unless they get lucky with how cars box around them, and then the safety car lets them go. Let's see when the safety car is called.
Darren Turner, I think, was trying to get the car to the pit in lane, but he's, with that damage on the right front corner, going no further. Revy Lake's car, after the contact, is stranded on the outside of Brooklands. Now, he might be trying to get the engine fired up. Peter Daly, in fairness to him, always gives the driver a good half a minute or so to let the car power down and then reset, cool, start again if it will. In theory, if the car can refire, it can drag itself out of the way. You saw Darren Lund getting ready to take over, but yet again, dramas mean that the teams have to be on their toes to react. But that was a strange one. Darren Turner seemed to get one move done and almost thought, I can go for another place here.
Yeah, the initial move looked clean, didn't it, on the BMW, and then it's kind of Revy Lake appeared from nowhere, and it was an odd one. And is that overtaken under yellow flag?
I would think yes. If not, it was very, very close, but
it's such a hard one, that, because I've asked race directors around the globe, is it when you see the yellow flag or when you're level with it? And no one ever gives me a clear answer. He could see it, but he wasn't level with it. So which one do you want to take?
Well, let's have a look at the incident first up. So Darren Turner, white Aston, he clears the BMW and then thinks I can have a go at the McLaren, which sort of turns into the corner. And Darren got pinstered in the middle, didn't he?
The reason I say it's an odd one is that the BMW on the inside here and Darren Turner, I think, are going to make the apex. So it's not like Darren's gone in hot and understeered into Revy Lake in that car. It's just that he's approaching faster. Revy, fully innocent, of course. I think Darren will watch it back and go, you know what, the move on the BMW was good. I just didn't anticipate the McLaren being there, but the McLaren deserved to be there.
We've got a full course yellow. So the race is being neutralised, and there, Dan Harper, who, of course, had just gone out of turn one, so he wasn't able to head for the pit lane. Now, that might go against them. He's got to
really
do a
will.
Slow lap, hasn't he, to get back in, is what I'm getting to.
Yeah, everyone behind should be able to get to pit entry and win. That's negated if they get to the end of the full course yellow lap, of course, and it's still there. But this is pro time at 80k. I said earlier, this is a negative now for the 91.
I think this is going to help fourth and back, because I reckon that Dan Harper, Hugo Cook, Ross Gunn, your top three, had gone over the timing line. But Jared Werberski, who is in fourth place, number 78, should be the first of those for whom the pit window, if you like, has opened. There is Revy Lake explaining what happened. Darren Turner is going to wander over and either apologise or say, oi, what did you do? Let's have a look at the body language as Darren picks up bits of his helmet and his earplugs and says, are you all right? And will no doubt apologise. But I think Revy's a bit grumpy about it.
Yeah, and looking at the body language, one of the older drivers, I won't say which one, and the one on the right, Revy Lake, just 16, and yeah, I think Revy is confused of what's happened. He's kind of like, what happened there?
Yeah.
And I think Darren, until he sees the replay, probably doesn't anticipate the closing speed between those cars. You're right with the cars that didn't make pit entry. I think some of the teams may be distracted because actually we had a notification at 14:25:24 seconds local time, prepare for full course yellow, which I think were most cars were just before pit entry, but they weren't willing to commit until we saw the full course yellow called.
But Werberski has come in, so Jared Werberski, part of the SRO GT Academy for the young silver-graded drivers, he is into the pit lane. Let's have another look at the dramas, though, quickly.
It's not the biggest of contact, is it? But it is wheel on wheel, and you can see it peels off the Aston Martin front right suspension. Brutal way. And yeah, this one here, I just think both BMW and Aston are actually making the corner, and Revy there. But I think Darren's going to look back at it. There wasn't contact. He would have been hard in his left mirror, making sure he was clean over on the BMW. But I think that will be investigated by Peter Daly. And there you can see Versky handing back over to Alex Martin. And they, I think, will be the biggest benefactors at the moment.
Also in the GT4 leader, Jared Weberski, I keep saying, is part of that SRO GT Academy. We have one in Britain. There's also the same going on in America, in Asia and Australia. The ultimate prize being to put the different regional winners together for a seat in the 2027 CrowdStrike 24 Hours of Spa. The driver assessment process designed to reveal a driver's true ability and that driver alone. So you try and reduce factors like co-driver performance or, I don't know, reliability or luck, for example, and it's created to focus on the driver itself. So SRO looking after the next wave of drivers, looking for a GT star to take from the academy through the ranks to go into Intercontinental GT Challenge that sits at the top of the SRO pyramid, if you like. We've got within this 5 drivers: Charles Clark, Aaron Walker, Josh Rowledge, Luke Garlick and Jared Weberski, all eligible for the SRO GT Academy. And it operates within French GT, GT2, a European series that's not yet started for the season, and also the CrowdStrike 24 Hours of Spa, GT World and British GT. So some of the names in the academy you're going to hear a lot more of. We know a lot about Dan Harper, and in he comes. But I reckon Paradigm will be a bit miffed that they weren't able to get in a lap earlier. Now, what does it do to this car as well? Morgan Tilbrook doesn't need to pit. Of course, he needs to stay out. And now we'll buy back some places. He's also going to put himself back on the lead lap eventually.
Yeah, but they pitted under green, and this pit stop now is effectively nearly 60% freer, so they're going to lose a lot less time. Collard ready to jump aboard, looking pensive as any driver would to get aboard one of these GT3 machines. 550 horsepower, serious weapons of a car. Harper struggling to get out there. Something caught up is his radio with the window net. At the moment, just about okay on time. Darren preparing the seat, so when he gets in, it should be okay. Door didn't close. There's something jammed there. Harper did well to react to that and not lose any more time. Because they had to do an extra full course yellow lap, it will be obviously now Martin versus Lung. It does mean that the Pro is going to get another 2 laps in these cars that pitted a lap before. So again, I said it earlier, that's worth 4 or 5 seconds. So there's a few things in play here we kind of have to remember, don't we, when that final pit stop will come round.
Hugo Cook out. Just trying to eavesdrop on what Dan Harper was saying, but Darren Lund gets ready to leap on board. Darren takes his racing hugely seriously. He's been a late starter who's only been racing for about 5 seasons, but from Ginetta ranks all the way up to the World Endurance Championship, he's won this title, he's won bronze in GT World Challenge Europe. He has been an absolute star. A huge amount of effort on his fitness, and he's represented the UK in the FIA Motorsport Games. A really, really accomplished bronze.
Yeah, now investing in Ginetta Junior teams as well. I got Augusta Farfus's daughter racing in that series. So, yeah, I've got a lot of time for Darren. Love speaking to him. He's fully invested and addicted to our sport, that's to say the least.
So you look there at Rob Collard back on board 63. Darren Lund back on board there. And that car ready to blast back out of the pit lane.
There you see the multi-car problems for Barwell. They've just managed to squeeze Griffin in. They're trying to work out, are they in a good place? I think they're trying to get Griffin to get out. Griffin wasn't sure if he needed to help the team get the car in a better position, but it looked like they're actually going to fuel from dump churn, so they don't need it to be so precise as if they were going from the rig.
One report we've had is of the 78, that's the Alex Martin driven Lamborghini, leaving the pits with a bit of liquid spilling out of the back. That could just be an overfill of fuel.
Yeah, quite normal, especially on the Lamborghini, where the cold fuel goes into a hot car and it obviously expands quicker than there is capacity left. So we'll keep an eye on it, but not too much of a concern. The cars are built in for it. And yeah, as long as it starts to use its fuel up and gets below the breather, no issue, I don't think.
So there you've got the race once more under full course yellow conditions. And the fact that it is still under FCY means it's going to become a long one. In other words, we'll get the safety car back out ready for the resumption of the race. So driver changes cycling through, order shuffling as a result. And at the end of the next lap, we'll start to see the order. Matt Griffin's car is into the pit lane as well. So we'll see how the most recent interruption has shuffled the order when they come across the line. But Darren Lung's BMW goes down through Vale. That's the Revy Lake Blake Anglis McLaren being retrieved, and the Darren Turner Dan Lavery Aston, which did take quite a lot of damage on that front right corner, being craned away. It'll be interesting to see, won't it, actually, if that wrecker truck spins around, what the damage is to the other side of the McLaren.
Yeah, it's going to be somewhere around the left rear suspension, isn't it? And it's probably just pulled out one of the wishbones or track arms, and Revy unable to continue. But I really feel sorry for Revy. He'd been mega fast earlier on in his stint, and yeah, I think he can look back at this opening round of British GT and be very proud of himself.
Mahiki has had a pretty tough time since it came into the British GT Championship. Initially with Lotus, they switched to Ginettas during last year, now McLaren's, but they've also stepped up into GT3 as well as GT4. So Stephen Lake, the man behind it all, has a massive enthusiasm for the sport, but they've been notoriously low on luck. They've even lost one car before the race when poor old Ed McDermott had to withdraw because of an injury sustained at the end of the warm-up. I mean, they just do not seem to have luck at all, as Hugo Cook talks to Jared Wilberski in the grey jacket. Garth Wilberski, who used to race in this country in Formula Renault going back a long time, into the 1990s, and Formula 3 as well.
Yeah, they'll be getting ready for one more stint, so trying to hydrate as quickly as they can, and they're probably going to have around about a 45-minute stint to finish off with, so a bit more of a sprint than usual. No tyre management really needed for a 45-minute stint in the GT3 car around here at Silverstone, so they will be flat out. And it does look like the 77 car and the 3 Optimum car on that other strategy are not going to be a lap down, so they will be on the lead lap, but they will have lost a lot of time and track position. Not great for them, not a disaster, the safety car.
That's John Hartshorn back at the wheel of 97. Is that somebody on a limiter, or is that something flapping I can hear in the background?
I think it's the latter. Yes, we have a limiter to hold us, but it's normally electronically controlled through the fuel pump, so it's a lot smoother than that. That was not a good noise. I can't see anything underneath it, but didn't sound normal.
I was just wondering as to whether the Aston was going slower than anticipated, but under full course yellow, it's hard to gauge. Now, Dan Harper did a really good job in his first stint, and Bryn Lucas is with him. The car's about to come across the line, but let's hear from Dan Harper. Bryn, he's all yours.
Yeah, thanks, David. Dan, we were talking a few moments ago, when you had that full course yellow come in, became implemented, we were thinking maybe you were in the wrong part of the track and actually it was going to hamper you, but you seem to think it's happened at the right time.
Yeah, I think it couldn't really have happened at a better time. To be honest, we were going to pit, or the end of our stint was in 2 laps, so we were either going to pit on under green in 2 laps time or pit under full course yellow. So it's of course there's a safety car afterwards, but at least we keep the track position, which is quite important here. So yeah, it's definitely not a bad time.
Ben Barnicot was behind you, chasing you down. There were times where he was managing to get sort of a second a lap out of you at certain points there. Was that you just taking care of things, or are you slightly concerned about the pace that Ben's got?
Yeah, slightly concerned. For sure, they are very quick. We hadn't really seen that all week until now, so we knew it was always going to be there with a couple of people, but they're just hiding a little bit. But yeah, I mean, it's good. We like to have a competition, and it's going to be fun now to the end.
Darren's got a lot of experience, as we know that, but what have you been saying to him to help him keep his head on those shoulders for his stint? Yeah, I mean, we know Darren has plenty of experience now. He's been and done all the different scenarios, so he had a great first stint, just sort of getting into the lead, settling into the rhythm. And that's exactly what he has to do now. Just get a clean safety car restart, make no mistakes, and keep allowing the clock to just tick away. Good luck. Thank you.
You've just seen the safety car go past Darren Lung, so Lorna Vickers back on track.
To catch the safety car.
And,
all cars speed up to catch the safety car.
Regulation.
42,
so the
please
lights
speed up.
Go on, and you can see that some of the back of the GT3 train just ahead of the safety car. So this is going to take a while to get the Crocodile as one long line, isn't it?
Yeah, Yasser Shani, so lucky there. We said it was going to be a roll of the dice, that strategy, and that was teetering on not being good. The 97 Aston making that strange noise was very slow through speed trap number 1, only doing 65 Ks rather than 80. Sector 2, it was back up to 80, so hopefully okay. And now it's gone to a full safety car. Of course, everyone was sped up at 42. Interesting, getting told by Peter Daly specifically to speed up. Looks slow. I think that's because Peter knows that's going to be our cork in the bottle to get everyone back round onto the main group.
Yeah, because a GT4 car won't even flat out be able to get the same speed as a GT3 car, so they want Luke Shaw to press on to get onto the train as best he can. The next car, as you see 42 go into Abbey, the car ahead is down at Brooklands.
Safety car 100k, we need to get the train to catch you up and then we'll do a flyer.
So a slow lap for Lorna Vickers in the safety car, and then once everyone's in a queue, then a quick lap is what Peter's just commanding.
I wouldn't dare speak to my wife like I just did to his, but braver man than me. Just wondering, is Shaw just trying to save a bit of fuel potentially? I don't see why, but he's definitely not as fast as he could be now the safety car has been called. Maybe he's picked it up a bit. We saw into the garage there, Toro Verde, but yeah, wise move from Peter to get Lorna Vickers to stick to 60 miles an hour just to try and get this done. So by the end of the next lap, we can go green flag racing.
Yeah, in fairness, Lorna's a quicker driver than Peter anyway, so she's probably got this all taped. She'll know what to do. Up towards the loop, then goes the safety car. Lorna herself, very rapid Formula 4 driver. Peter Daly likewise. And it's one of the good things about having a race director who races still as well himself. He knows how to look at this from a racer's point of view as well, from the rule books side of things. So everyone weaving around to keep tire temperature up, pressures up as they head down Wellington Straight. And as you've just heard, and the message will get through to the teams as well, we're going to do a slow lap to let everybody catch up, and then we'll do a quick lap before we get ready for the restart. So the plan is there. Number 8 Porsche. Now I just wonder whether there might be a wave by here, because 8 Porsche is off that lead lap. The GT4 lead car is in the queue.
Yeah, the way I read the rules is the wave round was only applicable when all 3 mandatory pit stops had been done, and there were only 2 mandatory pit stops through this race. So guttingly for the 8, I don't think the wave round will come into effect this safety car period.
So that therefore drops that out of the battle within GT4, and the car that it was chasing is 42 Ginetta, which is going to put itself on the back of the queue, so they'll never catch that.
And they're run by the same team, so shows you the fortune there. Different cars, but both Toro Verde run cars.
Yeah, you're right. The David Fairbrother-owned Julian Westwood run team, so they're going through Copse Corner, the Porsche of Ian Duggan. It doesn't seem right to say the Porsche, like the only one, but that is what we have, just the one Cayman on the grid.
The visualisation that will be interesting here is where's Morgan Tilbrook in the 77? That is what has hurt them, this pit stop. They're only just coming into the final sector, so that is what they've lost. They should have been somewhere around, well, either in front or behind that GT4 Porsche. That's where they should have been if they'd done the same strategy. They rolled the dice. Did they have to do it because Barnicoat was short fuel? That was that.
Safety car in this lap.
Pretty punchy by Peter Daly. He's kind of putting the onus on the 42 here, short to catch up. He's like, I'm not waiting for you. I've given you the chance. If you don't want to catch up, that's your fault.
But the one car that's really struggling is 97, John Hartshorn, and Joe and I both touched on it in different senses about the pace of that car. It is slow, and it is nowhere near anybody. It's fallen off the back of the queue. It's almost in danger of being caught by the safety car, in fact.
Yeah, and I think it's been overtaken by a lot of cars. I think a lot of cars have realised that car isn't running cleanly and have decided to overtake. Be interesting to see if there's any investigation on that. Normally, when it's such a disparity of speed, you're unable to do the 80. You ask the team, can I overtake? They go, it's your call. They never want to be at fault, so they leave it to you as the driver, so you only ever get shouted at. There's never any praise in this game. But yeah, you're right, they are struggling big time with pace.
And it may be that the car comes into the pit lane this time, because if it can't keep up under safety car conditions, then it really is in trouble, that Aston. John Hartshorn, who said he was retiring, but it's good to have him back racing. John, who goes back to the 1980s, and the MG Maestro Challenge is one of his early racing exploits. Safety car in this time, as you've heard. You're on board then with the lead car, Darren Lung, the winner of the Silverstone 500 last year with Dan Harper. Looks like they could well be doing it again here, because they have just been so strong. And now with number 77 McLaren, Ben Barnicoat, Morgan Tilbrook's car out of the reckoning, because they've been dealt a bad blow with this yellow flag period. Looks like they're even stronger.
Yeah, I really do. So I think they're going to do 30 more minutes from now in this stint. So although the maximum stint time is 65, so you think, why wouldn't you get your pros in with an hour and 5? They can't go over 100 minutes, and most pros did 50 minutes in that opening stint. So it's going to be more like 50 minutes remaining when we see those drivers come in.
So safety car lights extinguished, and it's now up to Darren Lung to control the restart. Interesting to see how he does it relative to Dan Harper. 97 has carried on, John Hartshorn, despite the fact that the car had a problem. And actually, that last lap that it has just finished was an out lap anyway after a pit stop. So something desperately not right for that car. Anyway, we're about to go racing. Let's worry about the healthy cars. And Darren Lung goes early, in contrast to Dan Harper. And so he's building the lead. And this is a shrewd move, because nothing can happen for Rob Collard until the other side of the timing line, because he can't overtake until he gets there. And he has to overtake that back marker. This is massively frustrating for Collard, but a really savvy restart by Darren Lung, because all of this is free time. He's away and gone. And Rob Collard still can't overtake, Now he can think about it. Is he close enough for Copse Corner? Yes, he is. He's also got Andrew Howard right there behind him. Darren Lung, 3 seconds clear on the restart.
Perfect, isn't it? And Cook there will be frustrated. Nothing his teammate Collard could have done. We saw a very aggressive and fast open stint for this Aston Martin. It's going to be the same. Collard got stronger at the end of his opening stint. Let's keep an eye on that trend too as the next 30 to 35 minutes unveils.
But this is like lap 1 of the race again, isn't it? Darren Lung on his own, being chased by Rob Collard, then Andrew Howard in the Beach Team Aston third.
3-second stop-go penalty for a short pit stop. Car 8, 3 seconds stop-go.
And so that's the Toro Verde Porsche. There, the Cayman we were talking about. Well, it was given a bad hand by being off the lead lap for the class opposition. Now a stop-go of 3 seconds for a pit stop infringement is coming. I said it was short. Well, that's the penalty. 3 stop and go as Duncan Cameron and then Mark Warren dive down through Stowe Corner. Morgan Tilbrook's got cars to the left of him, cars to the right of him, and he can't find a way through.
Plenty of jokers around him as well, and he'll be frustrated with this. And this feels like there's something going to kick off here. There's a lot of cars not in the position they should be.
Big drama, and that is damage on the number 13 Ferrari. It's stranded on the exit of Stowe through Vale. It's Cameron Campbell at the wheel. You can see he's cut a tyre. There must have been contact in all of the commotion coming out of Stowe Corner, and so that I don't think is necessarily going to be able to move on its own. So as off the road goes Rob Collard. He's got problems of smoke billowing out of the car and flame as well. That looks like an engine has let go. That's Rob Collard's race done, and suddenly with 2 cars stranded around the circuit, surely we're going to have to neutralise the race once again. So you've got Darren Lung in the lead. Andrew Howard is up into 2nd place. There's a Barwell Lamborghini that's trying to catch fire. Black smoke billowing out of that, and he's not anyway instantly, I don't think, near a fire marshal.
No, that is going to go big, and yeah, you're right, it's going to be a safety car. It's a big one to call early. I think the number 3 Optimum car is in a huge position to win this race. Remember, they boxed early. Yeah. They're massively off strategy. Cook walks away, engine cooked.
Full course yellow, and Hugo Cook's race is done. So is Rob Collard's then. So that is our 3rd full course yellow. It's our 4th interruption to the race, and Hugo Cook walks back into the garage. Excellent stuff. The Silverstone fire marshals are there. Rob Collard overseeing all of this, and of course, relatively speaking, it's early into a stint, so there's a lot of fuel on board.
Yeah, they've done a phenomenal job there. I thought that car was going to become a summer barbecue. Maybe you want to try and get the engine cover off as well. Rob helped the marshals get that off. This car, it was either contact with Tilbrook or the Century GT4. They went into Stowe together. You can see near Oxbridge there, not Oxborough, sorry, walking away. Interesting, it only went back to green. That's the engine maybe not fully up to temperature, oil cold, and something's gone. But yeah, I think we're going to see the Optimum number 3 car be able to box, I think, in the next 7 to 8 minutes.
And that, as we made the point earlier, was a left field strategy, but it's heading their way, seemingly, as Darren Lung leads the way. So that car having done 2 of its 3 regulation stops, so is Andrew Howard there. Number 15 Mercedes is a lap down, and they're the Barwell team.
Okay, so at the moment, box 3 is closed. Right, so reset, we're all disappointed, we're all annoyed, breathe, stay calm, we're professional, back to it. Beware on the 63 crew, you will need to go and collect the car. All right? Just stay calm, it happens, it's racing, move on.
So the team being debriefed, that's the sign of a proper team, isn't it? Because although they are disappointed, straight away, team manager takes charge and says, right, okay, now all the efforts concentrate on the other 2 cars. We know we're disappointed, it's racing, we live with it. Some mechanics will be deputed to go and collect the car. Rest of us, now let's concentrate. That garage is closed. We don't worry about 63 anymore. Now let's try and work out what happened to the Ferrari. Look in the background. Look at the top of the shot. So there's contact between the Ferrari and the BMW, and around and around and around goes Cameron Campbell. That was a big, big spin. It looked like number 24 BMW that he rubbed against. It just cut the tyre straight away.
Yeah, for me, that's on the Ferrari. Campbell, he's tried to let the car run out wide, and the BMW's got nowhere to go. You can just see him now going to edge out the McLaren's blockers nicely, but for me, no fault at all at the BMW, and Campbell there has just tried to open the car up and has caused the contact himself.
Goes around like a top, doesn't it? Meanwhile, other incidents, team manager of the Darren Turner Aston being summoned to race control. So the stewards, Ian Watson, Trevor Parry, Alex Maunders, think the blame is apportioned to 27, seemingly. So they want the team manager of that Aston Martin to go to see them. Meanwhile, 13 is being removed. Again, in a sense, he's kind of come to a decent place to stop, because you're not far off the Formula One pit lane entry there. So Breakdown Bob arrives on the scene, get the car out of harm's way. Ernie Graham's BMW comes towards us. Now, what about Rob Collard's demise? So here he comes. Look, there's a little wisp of smoke at Farm. He comes up towards Village. Another puff of smoke. Rob knows off all the dials and the noises that something's not right. Straight away, he pulls off the road, and the Barwell Lamborghini now has smoke billowing out of the back of it. That is day done.
Yeah, interesting. It didn't seem to be dropping any fluids, did it? So it was coming out of the airbox on the top, but something is detonating it. Yeah, they've done a good job to get that engine cover off to the side, like I said, just to inspect. Look at the heat haze still coming off that Lamborghini, but Marshals have saved a €400,000 asset there.
Now, Hugo Cook can tell us more. He's with Brent.
Yeah, with a very disappointed Hugo Cook, because it was looking good for you guys out there.
Yeah, I mean, the strategy was perfect. You know, we sort of went as long as we could to get the safety cars, and we got both of them. So yeah, gutted, to be honest. It started in my stint. You know, I felt something weird with the car sort of midway through, but you know, you can't stop and have a look. So we just kept going. But evidently, whatever was the issues, it's an engine failure. So yeah.
Do you know if there was something showing on the data that they could see?
But to be honest, I'm not sure. I looked at the car and then walked out of the garage, so I need to speak to the engineers and have.
For yourself, obviously, clearly frustrated that your race is over, and for the start of the season, for the campaign, it's not the best start for you. It's a long campaign, though. Yeah. Championships aren't lost in the first one.
No, for sure, and you know, it is what it is, but it's a big haul of points which you've lost out on. But you know, we'll have to regroup and go again at Alton. You know, no pit stop penalty at least at Alton in the first race, so hopefully we can claw some back there.
Appreciate you talking to us. Thanks, Hugo.
Thank you.
That point Hugo Cook makes, though, he's right. It is a big haul of points lost, but the same is true for quite a few cars in this that have had a bad race. And the car that's leading isn't doing the whole championship season. So, you know, the winner won't take any points either. The car that's looking good points-wise is the Andrew Howard Aston.
Yeah, I agree with that. The attrition rate has been higher than we've used to seeing in a modern GT3 race. Just speaking to Elliot Cole, team owner at Full Send Racing, saying apparently with the conversation between Turner and Revy Lake saying he didn't have his left-hand mirror active, it'd been knocked in, so he couldn't see down that inside. So another factor in why that contact occurred on our previous full course yellow to safety car procedure.
So, as we stand, we have an hour and 7 minutes and change still to go. Darren Lung is your race leader, and that car, the white Aston Martin of Andrew Howard, is in second place. And quite a gap between them while we have this full course yellow, but it's going to come down, of course, when we go safety car. No back markers between them. And then in third place now is not that Mercedes, but that Lamborghini. 78 then, Alex Martin, taking over from SRO GT Academy driver Jared Waberski. That's in third, and that now for Barwell becomes the real focus of attention.
Yeah, I'm just working out some numbers. So I thought Patterson and Shaheen, they'd boxed earlier. They hadn't actually. So Patterson had done 35 minutes in that opening stint, so they can't do more than 55 of him at the end. So we're still 12 minutes away from what I consider to be the first GT3 to be able to pit and do its final compulsory pit stop. We'll run some more numbers to check, but is this full course yellow safety car period going to last another 12 minutes? It's on a knife edge that. I think it's going to be slightly shorter because the cars have been recovered quite efficiently thus far. But also remember, we've got a lot of the recovery trucks out of action, still delivering Revy Lake's car back and Darren Turner, so it's really down to Silverstone what they've got. And there is that number 3 car doing its final change.
Indeed so. Once those recovery vehicles have collected the car, as you say, they've got to deliver it and then get back on post. And if, you know, there's no recovery vehicle on standby, you probably can't restart just in case. So there is Yasser Shaheen, Garnet Patterson's pit stop cycling through. Meanwhile, 44 BMW, that's now Jonathan Beeson. That car running in 4th place and has done a nice solid job. There's the safety car on track. We're not yet under safety car conditions. That has not been activated, but clearly we will go safety car. And that, therefore, is just going to elongate this caution period. Yasser Shaheen, Garnet Patterson's McLaren good to go.
Just running my numbers. I was right the first time. That's why I should never try to work things out. This car can go to the end now, so he can do 65 minutes of his stint. Be interesting to see if their pit stop is massively over. Why do I say that? I think they're trying to get this done, but he can't leave pit exit until there's 65 minutes remaining.
Yeah.
So let's have a look at what their minimum pit stop time is.
So they need to wait for another half a minute, really.
And look where the safety car is. It's coming into the final sector. So they need to wait, but they can't go a lap down either. They're stuck between a rock and a hard place.
It's going to be touch and go, this. Safety car, well, we're not under safety car conditions yet, so it sort of doesn't matter where the safety car is. It needs to.
It's where the 91
the lead
is.
car in the race is where, yeah. So we are under full course yellow, which is slower, remember, than a safety car speed would be. 91 is coming into Brooklyn. 6 seconds of the dead time to go. I think they're going to be okay to leave the pit lane and stay on the lead lap. We've got less than 65 minutes to go in the race. 65 minutes is a stint. Number 3 McLaren is on the move. It's back on track and it is on the lead lap still. There it is.
Only car to do full 3 pit stops. So what does this mean? If we go to green to the end, that car's won without it having an issue, because everyone else will have to do a pit stop and they'll have to be stationary for 1 minute and 15. So that would mean this car probably wins by 30 or 40 seconds. If we get another full course yellow or safety car, and other cars can get a free pit stop, that will negate the loss. What do you do with your AM now? Because you want to go long with them to try and get luckier to get a safety car, but every lap you go over what they would have to do as a minimum, you're losing time. This is a really hard call. We said at the time, didn't we, when they did their the second pit stop, that's left field. They have lucked in massively. You make your own luck. Will McKelvey, former WRT engineer, made a lot of good calls there as well, remember, in GT World Challenge. I'm not surprised.
So it seems unfair in a sense, doesn't it, that after the domination of this BMW, it could end up losing the race just because of the nature of full course yellows. But that is endurance racing.
Yeah, it's frustrating unless you're this car that's sat by himself. We've still got a long way to run. Think what's happened in the first 1 hour and 57 minutes of this race. But at the moment, Garnet Patterson, the young Aussie driver, is going to be sitting pretty.
But could we now anticipate Darren Lung to make another stop under this full course yellow to get Dan Harper in? Because there would then be Dan could then run to the end. What do your numbers say about whether Darren's done enough drive time?
He has not. I don't think Harper can get in much before 55 minutes to go. So we're still 10 minutes away from that. That was because of Patterson doing his first stint very short. So he went short there to go long here.
So down towards the end of Vale comes number 3 McLaren, Garnet Patterson, in 11th place, but everybody ahead has to serve another pit stop that is going to last under the regulations for 1 minute and 55 seconds, and there'll be teams up and down the pit lane crunching their numbers as well to see when they can get the car in, because if you can do it under full course yellow, it is far, far better, of course, than to do it under a green flag. And a number of the teams wanting this to remain under caution for as long as possible to help them on the numbers. Of course, although we're looking at full course yellow now, we will go safety car. Safety car is on track, ready to be activated. That will be at least 1 lap, maybe 2. So as the cars then come down Hanger Straight, the race has 62 minutes to go. And Joe was talking about 10 more minutes for Darren Lung before Dan Harper could get on board, make that now 8 minutes. So, yeah, by the time they've done a couple of safety car laps, it won't be that far off.
Yeah, the only thing is, remember,
Safety car procedure. All cars speed up and catch the safety car.
I just heard race director Peter Daly say safety car procedure, everybody speed up and catch up, and their cars are dotted all around the circuit, including, of course, number 3 McLaren, that's only really just ahead of the safety car. So as they come along Wellington Straight, now Garnet Patterson has really to turn up the wick and try and catch the train of cars. 21 we got excited about early on in GT4, and that car is now second again in GT4. Will Orton back at the wheel and going after the Ginetta of Tom Holland.
All cars, can we catch up? Safety car is sitting at 100k. Give you a chance. You all need to catch up, please.
Safety car sits at 100k, says the race director, so please speed up, catch up. It's not very often a race director tells you to go faster under a safety car period, but it's happening at the moment as the field turns again here up towards Village. So that's 21, the green Aston, Will Orton, who's got GT3 cars all around him, and he's chasing after number 74 Ginetta for the category lead. And as you can see, there's quite a bit of traffic between the two.
Yeah, sorry, just crunching the numbers. So Harper's in the worst position. His opening stint was the longest. That full course yellow at the end hurt. So actually, he can't do much more than 42 minutes of this race. They're in the worst position. Next best positioned is Barnicoat and Clutton on 54 minutes. So I think they're going to be our next cars to pit, the 77 and the 67 McLaren respectively. Everyone else is kind of in the middle of that range. So it's going to be interesting. You're going to get a lot of pro laps against a lot of am laps in GT3 towards the end of this race.
I'm not sure pro lap sounds a good thing to do, but I know what you mean. That's Colin Turkington and Ernie Graham's car, which is now leading the Pro-Am section of GT4, 19th overall. It's Ernie Graham back at the wheel, and this is something rather different. Yes, he's done some historic double driver races, but largely it is rallying, Ernie Graham's background. In modern cars, admittedly, done the odd World Rally Championship event, but it's in historics that he has really excelled, and was a medal winner in the FIA Motorsport Games in the historic rally competition when we were in Spain 2 years ago. So the BMW around Copse Corner. Right, we're into the last hour of the race then now, just over 59 minutes to go.
Safety car, speed up. Safety car in this lap.
And we're on the last lap of the safety car process, as you hear. Safety car in this lap, so speed up, he says. Peter Daly says to his wife Lorna Vickers, who's the safety car driver. The pace will quicken, everybody catches up, and this is a chance to finally get warmth into the rubber. Pressure's back up as well in the tyres, and then it is going to be up to Darren Lung to control the restart. And significantly this time, he doesn't have any GT4 traffic that he can bank on, has he? Now, you've got Andrew Howard behind him and Alex Martin, so all those GT3 cars are in a line. No back markers to delay, no back markers that Darren Lung could take advantage of.
Yeah, when we're going to see the restart, we've seen a few options from the Paradine car, haven't we? We saw the odd one, shall we politely call it, from Dan Harper, the go stop, go stop, go stop and repeat. And then we saw the early one from Lung, but that was with the GT4 traffic you were talking about. It doesn't have this time. So when is he going to go to try and get the very experienced Andrew Howard behind, and the hard charging Martin as well? Beeson, a name that we're not used to talking about at the front end of British GT in his first season. He's going to fancy this as well. Can he make a name for himself? Interestingly, number 3 McLaren, the one that we think's on the mega strategy, has just caught the back of the pack. Going to be a hard stint for this Ford Patterson. He's got to get past those GT4 cars efficiently but safely. And where does he go? He doesn't need to be 100% potentially to win this race, but where does he put his stick? Where does he gauge it?
Yeah, I was just thinking that. He's got, as you say, a lot of traffic to get through. He wants to get past, but he doesn't want to get himself in jeopardy if he can avoid it.
The other thing, I know that McLaren is going to be on the fuel light as well. 65 minutes. Luckily for them, 7 has been done under safety cars. High fuel usage here at Silverstone because of its fast-flowing nature.
And Morgan Tilbrook in 9th place as well. So the field has bunched up a little bit to help to an extent, but another pit stop is due for that car, as it is for those around. So this safety car at least brings them back into the game. It reduces the gaps a little bit.
Yeah, it makes it spicy, doesn't it? We've had plenty of spice in this race. Not that we needed any added seasoning to this, but...
got Luke Garlic if you want it. All yours. To Brooklands they come then. We've got another investigation happening, and it is the Cameron Campbell Ferrari, Jack Collins, Brandon Templeton BMW. Right, again, Darren Lung goes early. Is Andrew Howard going with him? The answer is yes, he is. Alex Martin in 3rd place as they come then up now through Luffield then to get things back underway with just over 57 minutes on the clock. So at the end of lap 48, Darren Lung will lead them across the line then. Through he comes, out of Woodcote Corner, speed building. We're green again at Silverstone, down towards Copse. Darren Lung goes goes to the pit wall side and then back to the racing line, just trying to encourage a bit more warmth into the rubber. He leads by 9/10 at the restart. Another good restart from Darren Lung.
Really good. He's like a pro in that sense, put so much into his motorsport. His mindset is correct. Martin looking good on the back of Andrew Howard as well. The gap we're going to check is the 3 car. As long as it's within a minute and 55 of the leader, that's where they are going to sit at the end of the race if it was to finish right now.
Now we're going to get a change for second. Alex Martin looked right under the rear wing, almost hidden by the Aston Martin. Andrew Howard has to go defensive. Alex Martin can't get the inside line. There's no room. He has to go to the outside line into Stowe corner. Wide in, tight out may be the answer, but then he's got to run it all the way side by side through Vale. Andrew Howard may not have the quicker car, but he knows exactly where to position that Aston Martin. Diving to the inside line, Alex Martin, that's brave on the brakes. Andrew Howard just able to chop across, close the door, lock the door, bolt the door.
And then now getting on the exit curb has given the place. I thought it was an amazing cut across the inside by Andrew Howard. And actually Beeson's going to get a run now. You can see Howard on the dust. And I think, unfortunately, Andrew Howard, that's going to be 2 places lost after I thought was a mega defence into Vale and Club.
Jonathan Beeson looking really handy, isn't he, in this BMW? Having come from Caymans into Carrera Cup GB, now into British GT. Seems to revel in this car with all the aero and the downforce, and he has been one of the really impressive rookies of the weekend, if not the most impressive.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I thought Mark Warren in the McLaren in qualifying probably just edged Beeson, but now Beeson in the race is absolutely on one. And interesting to see what the pace is like to Martin, who looks strong, doesn't he? Hadn't really seen the stints I thought out of that Barwell Lambo in second place, but now we're getting to the crunch point. It finally seems to be coming alive.
And in the meantime, where is number 3 McLaren? Well, it's still chipping its way up through the traffic as you see Morgan Tilbrook have a go against Simon Orange and can't get through. 55 Duncan Cameron at the head of the queue. The Ginetta goes way, way wide out of the way and skips back onto the road right in the way of Morgan Tilbrook, who is therefore impeded by a slightly errant Ginetta. And another switch is up the inside now. Number 90 McLaren goes by, so that's Mark Warren getting through, but Duncan Cameron comes back at him on the outside at Woodcote. Simon Orange next up as they go across the timing line, side by side to Copse. Cameron on the outside line. Mark Warren defends the inside line resolutely and he hangs on to the place. But look at Simon Orange. He's going really nicely as well in the McLaren, ready to pounce on Cameron as they head up towards Maggots.
I mean, Cameron and Warren have been at it for the whole stint, haven't they now? It's been an amazing battle between those two. Orange looks quick. Where's Tilbrook gone? I can't see him anywhere in this shot. He was somewhere around here, wasn't he, as we went into Brooklands just half a lap ago.
And that's a little bit like what happened on his earlier stint, as though he has a sort of bogey corner. He's lost chunks of time. That's 42 Jack Mitchell's car getting back into the race, into the pit lane. Remember, he had that. Oh, there's Morgan Tilbrook. That's the answer. So he's pitted to presumably give way to Ben Barnicoat, but the numbers have not worked for them because they're having to do it under green.
Yeah, but they are going to get the most pro time now to the end with Barnicoat. But they're just always pitting under green, like you said. They've just, that pit stop where they got Barnicoat out early, I'd love to know if he had fuel to go longer, because if they did in hindsight now, that was the wrong call.
Let's see whether they stay on the lead lap as well, because although they are on the run towards pit out, the leaders are coming up towards Village and then the loop, so there's not much more of a lap to go for 91 Darren Lung.
I don't think they will, because they've got a minute and 55 in pit lane, so you've got about 4 seconds to be within the lead, and they were not that. As Orange sends it to the inside of Cameron, they're going to run side by side. Now Gilbert getting in the action in that 2C's blue Mercedes, trying to go around the outside. Cameron does well to not cause contact.
And Aaron Walker, who's another of the SRO GT Academy drivers, he's a lap down, isn't he? So he's not really part of that battle, but he's mixing it as though he's got the pace, but he's lost a lap through earlier dramas. And look in the background, there's number 3 McLaren. That's Joe's tip for success in all of this, creeping into the mix. The Loggy Keen entry is under investigation for full course yellow speed.
Penalties for car number 6. Car number 61, car number 97, 6, 61, 97, drive-through penalty, full course yellow speed.
So you heard that's the Loggy Keen car, it's the Ernie Graham, Colin Turkington BMW, it's the John Hotstall, Ronan Pearson, Aston having another penalty. So it doesn't affect what's going on at the pointy end of the order. That is Ben Barnicoat back out on track. Remember, this is the car with the fastest lap of the race to its credit, but it drops off the lead lap. Look, it's now behind the Andrew Howard Aston Martin.
It's not important if it stays green, because these are all laps Barnicoat is getting over pros. So I don't think we're going to see Harper maybe for another 3 or 4 laps. So Barnicoat now needs to pick off these AMs that are in front of him, maybe to get his lap back, but more importantly, when their pros jump in and their pit stop has happened, they'll filter in.
Have a look in the background. There is the number 3 McLaren in the hands of Garnet Patterson, trying to get past 55 Duncan Cameron. It's a battle for position, and the McLaren does go through. So Garnet Patterson here is climbing the order very, very rapidly indeed as they go out of Stowe Corner. And that car, remember, has done all of its regulation pit stops, and Cameron comes back at him. This might end in tears yet, you know. Yeah,
it's was the odd weaving from Patterson, like he had a problem. I think, again, just cleaning the tyres up. It wasn't defence. It was just, caught me by surprise. At the moment, I think this car is going to win the race by 50 seconds. But Patterson has got such a hard call to make, overtaking all of these AMs. Here's the other car that I thought was on the similar strategy to the 77 Optimum. So this will be Clutton. Where are they going to end up? They haven't had the luck or the pace, it felt like, that they've shown at times, especially over the winter. They've done a huge amount of racing and testing to hit the ground running. It doesn't feel the car was fully dialed in, and it would have been a hard problem, really, for Clutton to hold on from Barnicoat.
And we understand that 77 McLaren, Barnicoat and Tilbrook are under investigation for a short pit stop. They were a 10th and a half short on that last pit stop. So 77 McLaren, I'm afraid, looks like it's about to have another punch in all of this. There is Marcus Clapton's car on the move again. 67, Simon Orange brought it in, and Marcus Clapton takes it over. 91 then, Darren Lung still leads the way, but as I say, you've got that potential penalty now brewing for 77. That pit stop just fractionally short.
Yeah, it'd be interesting again to speak to the team. The driver and engineer work in unison. Most of the cars using a GPS timer, and the driver is told this is the delta you need to leave at. And has Ben just gone a little bit early? They were obviously keen to stay on the lead lap, but in the end they weren't really close, were they? No, so the fraction they were under the minimum pit stop time wasn't worth it. And we talk about fractions, just over 1.5 tenths under. It shows you how tight margins can be.
Exactly right. Looking back then from the Optimum McLaren, this is Mark Warren's car, and Aaron Walker closing up, trying to get that place, or get that lap back, really, in his case. 12th is where he runs, so it's a bit of a frustration for Mark Warren. He doesn't want the car to get past him, but it's not the battle he wants to have. He wants to be attacking number 9, but Walker goes round the outside. Nice move that at the end of Vale.
Really nice, and it is awkward as a pro against the AM. You've got the speed, but you're in a similar speed car, of course, so you've still got to manipulate the pace out of the car, and it's very easy to trip over the AM, and you have to appreciate they are an amateur. They're working 9 to 5 jobs in the week, so that isn't their game, so you can't expect them to react like you're used to racing against other professional drivers.
Race currently is on lap number 52, just under 50 minutes to go. Big puff of smoke there under braking. Was that Mark Warren locking it up? And Patterson goes wide, and he makes a small error as well. So Garnet Patterson, who is the notional race leader, is 7th on the road and is, as you see, pressing on very, very ferociously indeed. Little error made at the approach to Village then.
And is there going to be team orders? The yellow and orange McLaren run by Optimum, so maybe they're going to get him to move over, but Patterson will be looking at this battle and his eyes will be on stalks. Not just the potential overtake he's going to have to do, but is there going to be contact? Is one of them going to spin? Is he going to have to decide how to avoid an accident? And again, the team will just be telling everything they want from him. At the moment, he can take a fair amount of caution with any move he needs to do.
You saw a bit of a moment from Mark Smith going out of Brooklands. You see damage on the left rear corner of 15 Mercedes. Mark Warren, who's been really feisty in this race, is a bit stuck, but he's certainly gone very, very well in his GT3 debut as Mark. And Garnet Patterson closing up all the time. I can't think that either he nor Yasser Shaheen have ever raced here before, because I don't think either of them were doing WEC or ELMS when those championships, well, did ELMS contain Garnet Patterson last year? Possibly. Anyway, they are inexperienced in Silverstone, if not complete rookies at Silverstone. And there, heading out of Stowe Corner, is Morgan Tilbrook, the team manager of number 13, which is that Ferrari now heading to the stewards.
For car 77, short pit stop. 1 second stop go.
1 second stop go for there. Number 77, that's it, game over.
Ben Barnicoat's emotions after that amazing opening stint. We're never going to take it away from him. Did they have to stop early because he didn't have enough fuel? Now the short pit stop. I'd love to see in at Optimum right now. There's going to be mixed emotions. I am worried about the 3 car. That lockup it had here last lap. just shouldn't happen. Are they nursing an ABS issue? Is there going to be something there that Patterson has to worry about as Barnicoat sends another move there, but they're going to have to trundle through pit lane like the WSR GT4 car there, and obviously time loss, massive disadvantage there. They're going to finish well down the order after a promising looking day.
Absolutely right. So very, very disappointing indeed, but they will bounce back. And with so many of the other championship registered front runners having had a tough day, then they're not out of it yet. Although, of course, big points are on offer in this race. They're not points you want to lose.
We're seeing the battle between Barnicoat and Martin. This is to get him second on the road, but still a lap down, and Darren Lung is so far ahead. I wonder if Barnicoat will be able to catch him before we see Darren Lung box and hand over to Dan Harper. Expect that in the next 3 laps with the stint remaining that Harper is allowed to do. Drivers unable to go over 100 minutes of drive time in this race. Dan Harper doing 58 minutes in his opening stint.
There's confirmation of the penalty coming to 77 McLaren. 1 second stop go for being short on the pit stop. The answer to Garnet Patterson, yes, he has raced at Silverstone before because he did do the European Le Mans Series races in a McLaren here last year. So although Yasser Shaheen is a Silverstone rookie, Garnet Patterson has some experience and he's been putting it to very good effect. So a job well done here in number 3 McLaren. Further back, Mark Warren has just got himself ahead of Mark Smith, so those McLarens switch sides. Not only has Morgan Tilbrook got this stop go to serve, but he's also stuck in traffic, isn't he now, because he's on the back of 78 Lamborghini, which is in 2nd place in the race, isn't in the mood to let him go. And Jonathan Beeson in 3rd in the BMW, closing up into the mix as well.
Yeah, it's an awful place to be right now, and the Lamborghini has looked strong, and I'm still a bit surprised we haven't seen more from it. But like I said, at this restart, as Barnicoat gets to the inside finally and gets the move done, should be able to scamper clear now as Beeson looks down the inside of Martin.
To no avail, door closed. So yeah, Ben Barnicoat through the traffic, ready to jump away now, try and build that gap. Down through the left of Aintree they go, onto Wellington Straight and heading towards Brooklyn. So Barnicoat still not back on the lead lap, but in a sense it's all academic anyway because of this stop-go that he's got to serve, which, you know, it might be 1 second, but you add on the drive time down the pit lane, it's a massive time lost.
Yeah, 30 seconds gone, evaporated for 1.5 tenths of infringement. Sometimes the punishment doesn't feel like it fits the crime as Barnicoat peels out of shot and takes that drive-through penalty now.
Darren Lung's car, we've been saying, not registered for points, nor is the number 3 McLaren, as in comes Ben Barnicoat vigorously.
Yeah, well, he also kind of stopped behind the board, and I think he expected it to be a removable board. Luckily, the marshal got out of the way.
And that is off the road coming into the pit lane, seemingly. Andrew Howard, who's had a moment as though he dived for the pit lane and got it wrong. So he was on the grass. We need to have a replay of that to try and work out what happened to Andrew. But the drama's for him. The team ready to put Ross Gunn back in the car. I still think this is the one that's going to come out best in terms of points by the end of it. But we will see, because not only is Darren Lung, Dan Harper's BMW not registered for points, nor is the Patterson Shaheen McLaren. So they, of course, stay in the result, but for points, move them aside and allocate to the first registered car. Andrew Howard's day is done in terms of driving, so he stalks around the front of the car, and Ross Gunn will be putting the barrel ready to go. There, Marcus Clutton diving up the inside of Jonathan Beeson. 67, though, is a lap down. That's not in this fight. It's lost ground early on.
But the cars around it still need to do their final pit stop, which effectively loses them the lap. They're the same as the Barnicoat car, slightly worse off, but now better off because they haven't had to do the drive-through. But yeah, hopefully Barnicoat got out okay, because he only had to be stationary for a second, but that board was definitely in his way. I think the fast-acting marshal did get it out of his way, so he continued on his path.
Right, Marcus Clutton versus Garnet Patterson. Who's the quicker, Marcus? I think he is, isn't he?
I think with the experience of the car and the track, yes, you would say so. But at the moment, I think Patterson's just going to have such an advantage, he's going to be able to manage it still.
Right. We'll see whether there's any drama for that number 3 car. Joe was getting concerned about brakes early on as Marcus Clutton then has stormed his way ahead of 78. Now, although I say he's out of the reckoning for the moment, that car is another of those that has served its regulation 3 pit stop. So it'll come back to it. It'll buy back places. Now, this is why number 7 was on the grass. That looks like it was a mechanical problem that had caused Andrew to pull off, and then he reset and got going again.
Was it low on fuel, and that's why it had to pit, as we finally see Darren Lung pit with 42 minutes remaining. They're finally going to see where everyone is in the food chain. And quickly to answer you, in the opening stints, Clutton was 0.6 a lap on average faster than Patterson, so a bit but not much.
Right, so we need to see what the gap's going to be between them, as around the side of 78 comes Jared Waberski. Dan Harper, who's probably already worked out where this trophy goes on the mantelpiece. He's won so many things already this year. He's about to relieve Darren Lung. The number 3 McLaren is heading up through the Beckett's S's.
It's gone already, hasn't it? And so much of this pit stop to do. So expect the number 3 car to be, I think, a minute and 20, a minute and 30 ahead by the end of this lap. Harper maybe just asking Darren, what does he want from him? Full push. And that sometimes is the pro. You have to ask the owner of the car, what do you want from me? Do you want me to write it off but be fast? Or do you want me to be cautious and bring it home for you?
And even though 67 has done its 3 stops, that is a long way back in the queue. It's nearly a lap behind the number 3 McLaren anyway. So Dan Harper relieves Darren Lung.
Yeah, as expected, all cars taking new set of Pirelli slicks as well. We saw Roberski getting a set, and now Harper will as well. I think the fastest lap of the race may fall to one of these cars as well. At the moment, Barnacote has it.
Now, we understand that the number 3 McLaren does have an ABS issue, but they reckon they can reset from within the car, and also a bit of a downforce issue, we understand as well. So maybe life is not, not downforce, down on power as well, number 3. So maybe it's not quite as plain sailing as we thought.
That's a worry, and you can reset it in the car, but only once the error pops up. You can't preempt it. So what will be happening most probably is the wheel speed sensor is faulty, it's noisy, so it works, doesn't, and when it doesn't, you lose ABS, and then an alarm will come up and the driver can reset it, basically saying to the car, shut up, I know what's going on, just carry on your job. And then it will do it again. Tends to get worse, never fixes itself, that's for sure.
Is that like one of those infernal lane assist things in a road car that you never seem to be able to turn off or shut up all the bleeps? Coming up towards the line then is number 3. So we need to see where this car is in relation to 91, and the answer is seemingly way ahead. As over the line it now goes. So it is the lead car now, those that have done the 3 regulation stops. Number 3 McLaren has lucked in or inherited this after clever pit strategy. But as we said earlier, you've got a feel for the Paradigm team. They've dominated the race, but they're not going to win it.
No, what else could they have done? Roll the dice harder on the strategy. Pace for Patterson being okay. It's in the mid 2 minutes. Remember, Barnacote's fastest lap of the race in the 1 minute 57s. That was, of course, prime time of the stint. So Patterson being in the 2 minutes is fine at the moment, and this is the car that could, should, maybe would have won.
What this team needs now is another safety car to bunch them all up and give Dan Harper a chance to have a go. If only they had another BMW they could sacrifice somehow to trigger a caution period. No, they wouldn't do that. I'm being facetious. But as the Dan Harper 91 BMW heads through Abbey, that's the car they're chasing, which is, as you can see, 3/4 of a lap up the road.
Yeah, no team orders, I don't think, going on at Optimum here between their two. But now they've got the paddock car involved as well of Martin Plowman. It's going to be tricky here. And if you've got an ABS issue, very easy to suddenly just lock a brake, run in deep and tag a car that's only a length or 2 in front of you as well. So jeopardy seemingly everywhere for an easy win for this orange number 3 McLaren we're looking at right now.
Yeah, Garnet Patterson trying to get through the traffic, doesn't want to be delayed, but equally doesn't want to get himself in jeopardy. So the lessons learned from the ELMS races of last year being put to good use. He comes now out of the fast left of Aintree onto Wellington Straight, speed building. The top 2 cars in the classification are Jonathan Beeson's BMW and this car you're riding on board with, Mark Warren's McLaren. They have yet to serve their 3rd regulation stop.
Interestingly, they could actually box and get Jack Brown in that 90 Optimum car and get home. I think they're just rolling the dice and trying to get a safety car and get a free pit stop with their AM driver Mark Warren in, but they are losing time. Every time you have a lap of Mark Warren versus Jack Brown, very quick AM Mark Warren, but it's going to be a 1.5 to 2 seconds lost, but they feel like they've got nothing else to lose. Sorry, as well, I also think Beeson, our race leader at the moment, is doing the same thing. They're just going long now, praying for a safety car pit stop.
Now, there was an incident, by the look of it, that involved Andrew Howard and car number 15, we are being told. which would be the Aaron Walker Mercedes at turn 17, and that's under investigation. And that potentially is why Andrew Howard was on the grass, because if he came into contact with the number 15 Mercedes AMG through the stadium, it would have put him on the grass, and that is why we saw the car rejoining slightly strangely. So it wasn't Andrew having a drama on his own, it was that there was potentially contact that put him there.
Yeah, I said when we were watching Walker getting past traffic, that is hard, overtaking the different graded drivers, the bronze graded drivers, sometimes not doing what you expected, but it is on you as the pro, the onus firmly on you to make the move cleanly and safely. I thought I did see a bit of damage, to be fair, on the 15-2C's car, so let's keep an eye on that one too, as our race leader, who owes us a pit stop, Beeson, has had a great opening round of Silverstone, and really happy to have a quality AM like this in the championship for his first race.
You're right about 15. He did have that damage, as we said, on that left rear corner, but I think that was there before any brush with Andrew Howard, so it may have got worse as Jonathan Beeson. Yeah, he's been really, really impressive here, hasn't he? There is the 15 Mercedes behind. So down towards Brooklands they come, and number 3 McLaren, the lead car that's done the 3 mandatory pit stops, and when these two ahead serve their last stop, it will position itself as the on-the-road leader as well as the notional race leader. So another lap done by Jonathan Beeson, staying out a little bit longer. And there's no suggestion of dramas that would trigger a safety car, but you never know. They've come out of nowhere over the course of this race. Still the fastest lap to Ben Barnicoat, who after all the travails of late, down in 12th position. And Darren Lung saying, what? How is this possible? How are we not winning this race? What's happened here then? We've dominated it, and now you're telling me we're not going to win. You're telling me we're where? We're 6th? We're behind Ian Loggie's car? What's going on?
It's really, especially for Darren, who's so data-driven, he just needs to be told the 3 cars on every pit stop under a yellow flag.
You see the realisation coming into Darren's face, like hang on a minute, we're not going to win, but we've dominated it. How are we not winning?
A lot of his business background as well to do with the gambling industry, so he'll watch us back and realise I should have put it all on 36.
Well, we need to go and ask Darren for his thoughts about this. Brady, you're a brave man if you go near Darren Lung.
Sometimes I have to ask you the uncomfortable questions, looking at the screen there, and you're not where you thought you'd be at this point. What's happened, what's gone wrong, and what can you do about it?
Yeah, so as I said at the start of the race, the great thing with this race, and sometimes the heartbreaking thing with this race, is there comes a point whereby everybody puts the chips down in different boxes, and you can't cover everyone. All you can do is go on what you believe is the optimal strategy when you've got pace in hand and all that sort of stuff. So we did that. And unfortunately, there was just a real knife-edge scenario with one car in the safety car. They just seemed to have just done really well out of that. So we need a good bit. We need some good fortune coming our way if we're going to win the race.
What is that good fortune, the safety car?
Yeah, something like that would be good, yeah. Can you arrange for it?
Not sure I can arrange it, but good luck.
Cheers, thank you.
So Darren Lung at least can see sort of the light side of this. But yeah, the disappointment must be absolutely huge, because they have been the star team in terms of pace, the star team in terms of strategy, as Joe's been making the point, this number 3 McLaren of Yasser Shaheen and Garnet Patterson, and drama there for the number 90 McLaren. That has got a problem.
Yeah.
Let's listen.
I think it's got puncture front left by the way the car sat, and this was the car that was trying to get lucky on a pit stop, wasn't it? Oh, looks okay from the front, can't see anything obvious. Just thought as we cut to it, it definitely looks okay on the front left now, but going slowly, let's have a look at the front corner. Tyres definitely inflated, so it's not a puncture, but it's coming to pit lane.
So something mechanical. In comes Mark Warren. Just wonder whether it's not low on that corner. Maybe not a puncture, but is the suspension not quite right?
We said about the curb strikes, didn't we, would be a problem maybe for Barnicoat. It definitely looks low on the front left. Watch as this car stops. The Optimum guys will get it up in the air. Well, actually, they'll probably go full service still. They'll probably go for the fuel, and then when it goes up in the air, I reckon they're going to go straight to that front left, give it a wobble, and then the hand across the throat, and I think that car will go into the garage.
Meanwhile, in GT4, this car leads the way. Tom Holland's got back in it at the expense of Hadley Simpson. They've had a great race. They were good in qualifying. There is the charging Dan Harper in 6th place. which just seems wrong. Anyway, it is what it is as far as the Paradigm team is concerned. Dan Harper charges past the Ginetta, which ends up being crowded out a little bit wide. So down Wellington Straight they come. We've got 33 minutes to go, and the next target for Dan Harper would be the sister car of Ian Logie, which is still quite a long way in the distance.
Yeah, and it's going to be hard just working out where they are on track in relation to Jack Mitchell's car, who's the only GT4 car that's done all 3 mandatory pit stops. And I think it might swing back in the favour of Jack Mitchell once everyone has completed their mandatory 3.
Yeah, because a lot, even with only just over half an hour to go, a lot still need to make that last pit stop, including here number 21, which is second on the road in GT4, but owes us a pit stop. Has anybody done 3 in GT4 as yet?
Jack Mitchell. John Hartshorn's car's done 5, but
penalties.
Yeah, 3 are not of the mandatory, so they still have 1 to go as well.
Yeah, so there's still quite a bit for the GT4 fight to shake out. Jonathan Beeson staying out, but up into second place on the road now with the demise of Mark Warren has come Garnet Patterson, and it won't be long before that car is officially the race leader, but it's in real terms the race leader anyway. Now, as far as Optimum's other black and yellow McLaren is concerned, the GT4 version is still going strongly. Now with Luca Hopkinson at the wheel, who got all of his bad luck out of the way, it seems, last year, had a torrid season, and Josh Stanton, new to GT4, new to British GT, going really well, first time out.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think Beeson's going to have to pit this lap or next to not exceed his 65-minute driver time. So they've tried to hang out for a safety car pit stop. It has not worked for our lead car at the moment, the 44 Century BMW.
Team manager of the road in Ferrari being summoned to the stewards. That was the car that had that incident over at Stowe and then ended up on the racetrack. You've got John Hartshorn here in number 97, leading in GT4 Pro-Am, which is, if they can hang on to it, quite a result for a new team, GBR Stratton Racing, Roger Bennington Stratton Racing, and the GBR element, Graham Brunton Racing. Graham, who's been an absolute hero running single-seaters and indeed racing them himself for many, many years, but now turning his attention to running the GT4 Aston, and with a very quick Scottish driver on board, Ronan Pearson, as well as John Hartshorn, who's a massively experienced GT racer, and also a bit of driver coaching coming in from Graham's son-in-law, Johnny Adam. Then it's all put together very nicely. They've learned a few lessons about processes and penalties and whatnot, but going strongly. It's been a good day out this for them.
Yeah, they've still got to get Pearson in for his final stint, of course, and we're hearing now that the 90 Optimum car is actually getting fault neutral, so the gearbox not being able to find a gear. And we listened in, and there's Griffin, or is it Cameron, sorry, in the car?
That, I think, is Duncan Cameron, and this is exactly what Dan Harper needed. That's going to be a safety car, potentially. It's not got all 4 wheels in the gravel, but it's got enough in the gravel that it's not going to go anywhere at Abbey, and this turns things upside down, doesn't it now?
Yeah, it really does, and Duncan Cameron has had a big loop there. You can see the marks from the 40 Aston Martin that went off there earlier, so this has been a safety car race, hasn't it? Is this our 4th of the race now? It's come through thick and fast. This is going to bunch people up, but the 3 Optimum is still going to have a lot of track position. They're the biggest losers, but still in a strong place.
Yeah, it's going to be a 5th safety car, but I suspect we'll go full course yellow first, because as we've seen, that brings everybody to a safe speed and you can get the incident sorted. Duncan Cameron trying to get out of the gravel, but it's just too far off, and all he's doing is digging himself further in. And I just fear that because it's a long way for the marshals to have to run, even if they were able to push the car out, you're putting them at risk by making them run a long, long way from post to get to the car. So I'm waiting to see Peter Daly put the instruction on the screen, prepare for full course yellow, and there'll be teams then now instantly trying to react to it. That will go badly for the number 3 McLaren. Prepare for full course yellow, it's coming. So the race is going to be neutralised once more then. 44 is the on-the-road leader. They've got a box this time.
They do for drivers too, but also for performance. This suddenly opens up. This was the luck they were looking for. This is going to be an interesting fight as they get down to 80 kilometres an hour. So Patterson was behind, obviously, and closing on Beeson. And they're going to drop behind that 3 car, but how far are they going to drop? And then once we finally go to the safety car, we'll get to see what cars are in between this number 3 Optimum McLaren that's going to inherit the race lead when the BMW pits, to see what he's got to do to win this race, with probably only a 20-minute dash to the lights when we go back to green.
And that McLaren is also leading Silver Am. The last time this race was won by a Silver Am crew couple of years ago, Adam Smalley and Sean Balfe in a McLaren, but I'm not convinced they are going to be winners because the safety car now has the potential to bring the other 3 stoppers back up to the tail of that car, including Dan Harper. Great news for Paradigm. This is exactly what Darren Lung was asking Bryn Lucas to organise. So Bryn, well done for organising that. You've probably upset some other teams. But the full course yellow called, and so the field now turning its way up to Luffield. This is the car that leads on the road but owes us a pit stop, and Jonathan Beeson is in this time, looking at the angle he takes of the line he takes coming out of Luffield. So he'll give that car back to Charles Clark, but will drop down the order. So you're going to have number 3 McLaren ahead of number 91 BMW. The gap before that full course yellow was 1 minute and 50 seconds, and it's going to be massively reduced. There might be some traffic between them, but the advantage is ebbing away from this car.
Will McKelvey will be saying to Garnet Patterson here, when we go back to green, you need to slow right down. When the safety car takes its lights off, slow it right down and go as early as you can to string the pack out as we see the 21 in for its final stop.
Now, GT4 for a moment, we're going to be into the last half an hour. We are in the last half hour. This sorts out the last round of pit stops. Can we now do a wave by for GT4?
Yes, we can. That's a very valid point, but that takes up more time, doesn't it, of non-green flag racing. But the regulation says it should happen now.
So, yes, it takes more time. The flip side is it perhaps clears some traffic out of Dan Harper's way.
True. Not all of them, but the majority, sure. You are right.
Yeah. I'm trying to find the positives here. For Dan, at least.
You're a nice guy, sometimes. And then, yeah, it's really pace. I feel Clutton is going to be up there as well when this all shakes out. And they've all completed their final stops as well. And we said he had a bit more pace than Patterson. This really is what could have been for the 77 if they hadn't had that drive-through for their 2 quick pit stop. They would be well up there as well now.
Yeah, so don't go anywhere, anybody, because this promises to be a really good fight to the very end. 26 3/4 minutes are on the clock, but we haven't yet finished a full course yellow, which will tip into safety car. So Peter Daly keeping an eye on what's going on in the pits, making sure the stops are all done. He's keeping an eye also on deploying the safety car to help get 55 out of the way. And the longer he has to wait for people pitting, the more likely we are to go full safety car, because the tyre temp under full course yellow will ebb away. 74 pit stop completed. You see the opposition behind as well, so you've got the battle of the top 2 in GT4 together, nose to tail in the pit lane, never mind on the track.
What pressure.
Yeah, quite. Hadley Simpson takes over 74, Jess Hawkins to take over 21. So there is the Aston ready to drop down, and it does so now. The team will release that car on instruction. How's the clock doing? Into the last 26 minutes. Garnet Patterson might yet be saved by the lack of laps, and that's interesting because without the need for a safety car, 55 is out of the gravel. Now, the safety car is vital to help Paradigm, but there's no need to have it unless you do it purely to restart and get tyre temperatures up. So the car's out of the gravel. Now, this, what do we do now? What does the race director call for?
He seemed pretty adamant in his driver's briefing that he was never going to do a short full course yellow. It's in the regs, it's allowed to be enforced and happen if it needs to be. I don't know where you go. We should be going back to green, in my opinion, without the need for a safety car, and that isn't anti-Harper and Lung. No, that's just positive and pro-racing, in my opinion.
But it's taken a lap or so of full course yellow, tyre temperature dropping. You know, a full course yellow, a short one, can often just be a little bit of debris. Marshall runs out, collects it, runs back again. That's fine. But when you've lost 2 or 3 minutes, right, this is why Joe and I are very glad we're not race directors, because what we see, we don't necessarily have access to everything Peter Daly does, the race director in race control, but even Peter, I think, might be saying to people around him, oh, now that's a toughie.
Yeah, and well, let's see what happens. I'm also excited to see the wave around. It's a good thing for British GT to have, as many GT4 races I was involved in as a driver, though. You were just in the wrong place through no fault of your own with where the GT3 leader was, and you basically lost the race.
But that only happens under a safety car, and the safety car is not on track. We're only under full course yellow. I'm looking at the tracker, and the safety car has not, as far as I can see, been released onto the circuit. We think it might be, but it hasn't happened yet. And all of this takes away the time Dan Harper has available to him to catch Garnet Patterson. The number 3 McLaren then is coming through coming into Brooklands, and up at Beckett's is Dan Harper. So it's the best part of a lap between them.
Yeah.
3/4.
Yeah, and that would obviously be compressed if safety car comes out. Just looking for the 44 car, and interestingly coming in, I can't see why.
That's number 3 into the pit lane. So that's the leader coming in for another pit stop, a 4th pit stop. Explain.
Stint time, it was fine when it left, wasn't it? Because it was 65 minutes. But now if you look at its stint time, it stopped at 41:29. It still would have been fine. If you had the remaining time on, that doesn't go over 65. I said fuel could have been an issue, but we had 7 minutes of full course yellow safety car. This is going to be a splash and dash.
I think you're right.
It's just a driver reset time. So
engine off, clock ticks, fire up.
Why were they stationary for so long? The only other thing, and this is a real left field one, is that ABS issue causing so much of a problem, it was worth turning the car fully off, turning it back on, and getting rid of that. Now it's going to be a proper fight. They need to give the best tools to Patterson to fight back. I think they turn the whole car off, reset the systems, and go again. Let's see.
Good shout. Yeah, I think you're probably right. You can't do that on the track. You have to do it in the pit lane. So the car is back out on track. It will still lead the way, but the gap will be reduced a little.
You say you can't do it on track. You can actually in development. I actually did that a few times. It's a bit scary because you lose everything. Let's listen to the engine. Does it go off? Watch the lights. Do they go off? I think that's my guess. Everything was off. Full electrical power was killed. Normally in the pit stop, you kill the engine, the power stays on. Power was fully off. I think that's to give Patterson a chance to clear that ABS issue, and now he's involved in a fight to the end. That's their best chance.
Yeah, I think it's the best suggestion yet as to why it's done that extra stop. So number 3 continues to lead the way. 22 minutes and counting, so there aren't going to be many racing laps at the end of this, especially if we have to worry about a wave by and a safety car aspect to it. There, just to add insult to injury, is Ben Barnicoat's McLaren almost being lapped by number 3, Garnet Patterson, then at the wheel. So that car is on hanger straight. Over at Abbey is the 2nd placed BMW. So as we've been saying, the gaps will come down, but then even if we were to get a safety car, Dan Harper would have a lot of traffic to get past. Now, we're under full course yellow. The next question is for how much longer, because the safety car's on track now.
Can I give you another one?
You still here? Yeah, go on.
The winner of that, Ben Barnicoat, because he got back on the lead lap.
Yes, true. Yeah, so now he can fight for places.
Teammates.
There's a thought. There's a thought. Let's go to the pits. Bryn has news and can possibly get to the bottom of exactly what's been going on here. So there's number 3, McLaren. And Bryn's down there. Bryn?
Yeah, thanks, David. I've got a bit of news for you, and it depends on which way you want to take it. So their official line is ABS reset. It just so happens that when you do an ABS reset, it allows the 77 car to get back on the lead lap. That is just what happens when you do the ABS reset, okay? That's all I'm going to say.
Right, a politician's career beckons for you, Bryn. Well done. Yeah, so they had the time in hand to be able to do that. Like it. So you couldn't let 77 overtake on track under yellow flags, but you could if you were in the pit lane.
I think Yasha Shane is going to get a very big Christmas card from Morgan Tilbrook. And, big IQ move there from Optimum Motorsport potentially there. You can see the benefit of the 77. Let's hope it doesn't affect the number 3 car negatively. You could argue actually it helps them. Barnicoat would have overtaken this car on track. That might have lost them more time than what they've just done anyway. But interesting one to try to dissect there.
Right, we're now expecting to have the safety car procedure triggered. There is the safety car. It is waiting, I think, for number 3. So the observer in the safety car waves the traffic path that it doesn't require. So they'll let 77 go. No, that's the wrong McLaren you've picked up there. Oh dear. So if we are heading towards safety car procedure, 77 needs to be allowed by. So it's an orange McLaren, but a very orange one, a very papaya one that they need. Not that one. That needs to be released. That's the lead car. So number 3 McLaren, Garnet Patterson at the wheel, comes down through Brooklands, and we've got 19 minutes on the clock. So even if Dan Harper closes, he's running out of laps in which to have a go.
Who do you fancy? I mean, to win the race.
I need to see how many slower cars are between the two before I commit to that.
Safety car lights on, safety car procedure. Safety car maintain 80k, let the train catch you up. All cars accelerate to catch the safety car.
And we are now with the safety car conditions and the right McLaren behind the safety car.
All cars accelerate to catch the safety car. We will calculate if we need a GT4 wave-by.
So the GT4 wave-by we've already touched on, but that basically is to let the cars that are off the lead GT4 lap be waved by, so they catch back onto the lead lap of the GT4 leader.
Yeah, and Peter needs to calculate it because now we finally got the leader. We'll see what lap everybody is on as they cross the start-finish line this time by. And what a shot. That's the lead he would have had if this safety car wouldn't have happened. And yeah, you're right, David. We need to work out where the traffic is, who's in between who at this point.
So that GT4 Ginetta that's just gone through is...
That needs the wave around.
That needs a wave by. Yeah, so that's one car out the way. Then you've got 69 and 55. They're GT3. They don't get a wave by.
Even though they are a lap down, it's not an American-style wave around where everyone gets a lap. It is just to keep it fair between classes.
Between the classes. So what this does is put Charles Clark, number 44 BMW there, the blue car, in second place, and it's going to put in third number 91 of Dan Harper potentially. Waiting for him to cross the line, and it's a long wait, but that should be the order. But you can see the amount of time won back under the safety car by the BMWs. There is Dan Harper, who hasn't even got to Woodcote yet, never mind the line, never mind to the leader. And so the trouble for Dan is he's behind a GT4 car and he can't overtake. And Ernie Graham, Colin Turkington's BMW, Colin Turkington at the wheel, going as quickly as it can as a GT4 car. And Dan Harper saying, come on, Colin, get on with it. You might be from the same neck of the woods, the two Northern Irish drivers, but I need to be as close as I can be to the traffic. And also, Dan can't overtake him until he crosses the timing line for a green flag, by which stage Garnet Patterson could be away and building the lead.
Do we think Turkington's eligible for a wave around at this point? Would that help Harper get him out of the way?
Yeah, it would be, because he's off the lead lap of the GT4 leader as well.
I think Mitchell, Pearson, Turkington, Bradshaw should, but he's 2 laps down. So this is new to us. This is interesting to see how Peter Daly is going to play it. But Dan Harper will be definitely saying to Turkin, get out of my way, Noi, and seeing where they go. Just looking at the average stint times from these pros in their opening stint. Patterson, 2 minutes 0.4 is an average. Clark, 2 minutes 1.1, so slower. Patterson should be safe. Harper, 59.2, so 1.4 seconds quicker than Patterson on average.
That's your GT4 lead battle. So in theory, all the GT4 cars ahead of them should get a wave by. They should be released. And therefore, you're looking at Ginetta and
a couple of Aston
Martins. So is Colin Turkington behind all of that? Yes, he is. So he may be stymied. Let's wait and see. We'll see how Peter Daly calculates this.
But look at the time remaining.
I was about to say, yeah, we're running out of laps, running out of minutes. It's 15.5, so we could be on for sort of 3, 4, 5 maximum flying laps at this rate. Silverstone's a great lap. It's nearly 6 kilometres long, but it's a long lap, and therefore to get cars around it under safety car conditions is not the work of a moment. And all of this, of course, is the kind of perfect storm. You're trying to calculate the order and worry about clearing an issue and keep an eye on the clock and think about stint times, and then you've got wave by to factor in, and you can't do that until everyone's done the last stop, so you have to keep the full course yellow to let people do the last. Oh, on it goes. There's a huge number of people in race control with lots of numbers to crunch. So the wave by to be triggered. Meanwhile, we're under this safety car condition, as I say, wave by only for GT4.
GT4 wave by, pit entry closed. Safety car stay left. Eligible GT4 cars move to the right. All eligible GT4 do not overtake. You move to the right and you hold station.
And that message got through to the number 42 Ginetta a bit late, Jack Mitchell, so he's gone.
Commence wave by. GT4 eligible cars may commence wave by, catch the train.
Well, 2 have gone already.
I'm pretty sure they just read the future and they want to get this motor race back under green, so let's hope they don't attract a penalty for that.
And there's another one we think that hasn't gone, number 97.
Eligible cars move to the right, commence wave by.
It's snooze or lose at this point, 97. If you're not moving, I think we're going to have to keep you there and go back to green.
But I think the problem is that's 2 laps down on the leader, not 1. So he can't get the lead. He can't get back on the lead lap anyway. So that car.
Wave by complete. Pit entry open. Safety car 100k. GT4s, catch the train, please.
Right, Peter wants to get this race back up and running as quickly as he possibly can. So if 97 hasn't done the wave by, and assuming it were eligible for it, that's the kind of process learning aspect. And
I think they were, and I think Turkington was as well. And we saw Wheeler do it, and he was 3 laps further down on the rest. So some grey areas in the rules not used or exploited by others. And there is Dan Harper.
The one thing that wave by is all about, well, not all about, but the one thing it always has is it puts the onus on the teams to understand whether they do it or not. The race director does not say eligible cars are 42, 97, whatever. Well. The team has to know the wave by is there. If you don't exploit it, if you don't take it, or you take it in error, well, it's on you. The wave by procedure is there. If you're eligible or not, you need to judge rather than race control judge it for you. So 1 or 2 cars perhaps could have benefited. They're new teams to GT racing. WSR, they're running the Turkington BMW. GBR Stratton as well, new, so that might be something else. They go away and think, oh, yeah, we slipped up on that. Or they may be right and we may be wrong. The safety car brings them down Vale, and we've not been told it comes in this time, but the wave by is being completed. We're waiting for the GT4 cars to catch the train, and they're only at Brooklands. So 42, Ginetta, which went early, of Jack Mitchell. You could hear the concern in Peter Daly's voice because he could see what was about to happen, but still the Jack Mitchell Ginetta went for it. The number 40 also, Joe Wheeler's car, which is many, many laps down after being in the gravel. They are at Copse. So do we get another lap under safety car? Darren Lung doesn't want one. He wants as many fast laps for Dan Harper as he can get out of all of this. There's a lot of traffic, though, between the top 2 and the top 3.
Harper's going to be on a big send here, isn't he? Expect to see some moves with potentially a low chance returns on it from them. What can Charles Clark do? Like I said, didn't have the best stint average in the opening stint of this race for him, but we know he's a very young, fast driver, so expect him to be able to hustle that car. We've got to ignore the Mahiki McLaren in second, the not Ferrari Lamborghini of Cameron, and Duncan in 3rd place as well.
And there is Dan Harper's view. So while we watch what's going on up front, we can stay on board with Dan and see him pick his way through the field. Amongst the Optimum garage, you saw Adam Wilcox there with the spectacles on, who driver coaches Josh Stanton. Adam was a major part of British GT about 20 years or so ago in a DRM Ferrari 360.
Okay, safety car, speed up, please. Safety car, speed up. 1 more lap.
Oh, it's getting marginal, this, isn't it? It's looking, even though the field is bunched up, the lack of time available.
Safety car is doing 1 more fast lap.
It's helping Garnet Patterson in the lead. Look at the traffic. You've got 3 cars between him and Charles Clark. Now, Clark versus Patterson in terms of pace.
It's Patterson at the moment on form of this race, and I think the car as well underneath him. Last safety car lap, 4 minutes 15 seconds. What we're going to have, 6.5 minutes remaining potentially of this race. 3 to 4 timed laps. The 3 car got lucky, got unlucky. I think it's going to get lucky again on this short sprint to the end.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting to see how Garnet Patterson plays the restart, because he needs to go early, doesn't he, to try and get the gap while the others are still getting through traffic.
He's also got Josh Rowledge behind him, lap down but fast in that Mahiki car, and Josh will want to get involved in this as well. There's nothing stopping him trying to overtake the leader to get his lap back, and that'll be the last thing that Patterson wants to see in his mirrors. I suspect maybe Baz Linders from Optimum will be walking up to Mahiki just saying, please can we play this the gentleman way?
Yeah, out the way, please. Yeah. Right, so the safety car on its last lap. Lorna Vickers needs to be doing purple sectors here, doesn't she, in a sense, to help Dan Harper, to help Charles Clark even. Let's not rule out Charles, because I know we're focusing on Dan in 3rd place, but Charles Clark in the blue BMW then in 2nd position, and a quick driver. And that car's had a great day. OK, they've been fortunate, or they've been clever on strategy.
Safety car in this lap. Safety car in this lap.
But they've still delivered. And Dan Harper, it looks as though the win is still not going to head in the direction of number 91, but boy, they fought for this.
Yeah, they really have, and it'd be interesting their mentality at the end of this race as well, wouldn't it?
So here they come down towards Stowe Corner, and number 3, Garnet Patterson, the race leader. 1 back marker, 2 back markers, 3 back markers between them and 44. So one of those slower cars, number 90, the Optimum McLaren of Jack Brown, that had these false neutrals being triggered. It'd be awful if that got in the way of the BMWs and helped another McLaren get away, wouldn't it? So down towards the end of Vale they come. There'll be all sorts of thoughts going on in the minds of the different team managers and drivers up and down the order, up and down the pit lane. Down through Vale they come into Club Corner. Dan Harper there, ready to have a pounce at Colin Turkington. But remember, it's not you race when the leader goes. You cannot overtake until you get to the timing line. And by the time Dan Harper gets there, Garnet Patterson will be probably the other side of Cobbs.
Yeah, that's going to be the real hard things for them to digest. You talk about the 90 car maybe holding up the BMW. Remember, Brown and Clark, teammates together in British GT formerly, and they were seriously competitive, so I don't think there'll be any underhand tactics there as the teammate of this orange McLaren, Yasser Shaheen, looks on pensive. He's a very calculated character. He's always like that, metronomic with his emotions, and I think will be quite the opposite of his Australian compatriot here in the number 3 Optimum car.
Yeah, the Shaheen family, extraordinary story. Refugees from Palestine, settled in Australia, built hugely successful businesses, motorsport fans. Yasser Shaheen not only races but also owns a circuit called The Bend, and indulges his racing not only as a circuit owner but as a very fast and successful GT3 racer. Right, the safety car is coming in and Garnet Patterson slows everybody down. Number 90 McLaren has slowed and is letting people go. Is that another problem for that car? Well, we'll look at that in a second, because you can see Dan Harper's view. When does Garnet Patterson go? Everybody slows behind Garnet Patterson, now can accelerate.
He's having to go slow because the safety car still hasn't got into pit lane, so he cannot go too early and cross the safety car 2 line before that. He's done everything right so far. He drops the hammer, good restart, and it looks like he should be clear from Rowledge behind.
Right, Dan Harper needs everybody else to have heavy feet on that loud pedal to get away so that he's losing minimal time. We're going to go racing with 7 minutes on the clock then. It's going to be a real dash to the line. Number 3 McLaren storms over the timing line, green flag. We hope this is going to be the last section of the race with no further dramas down towards Cops Corner. So Patterson leads the way. Charles Clark can't get through that traffic. Dan Harper now can. He goes over the line. Colin Turkington's BMW is about to disappear. Dan Harper has got to make up 7 and a bit seconds, and he goes diving down towards Cops Corner. Patterson trying to get away then, and there's another investigation. It's the pit stop involving Jack Brown and Mark Warren's McLaren. We'll worry about that post-race because that car also fell down just before the restart. There's Harper round the outside of 21 Aston Martin, leaving nothing on the table here. Dan Harper, all he can do for 7 minutes and a bit is go absolutely flat out. Damage on the 69 McLaren. Charles Clark getting through the traffic. Patterson getting away up front. It looks like number 3 McLaren is out of the weeds as far as the win is concerned, but for second place it's game on between the BMWs. Harper still charging through traffic.
He's making it like a 90s arcade racing game, isn't he? Things flying to his left, right, centre. He's having to get round them. So far this is as good as he could hope, but there's the gap. You can see them both in shot. This is going to be a big ask. It's going to be 4 laps this race, 3 more at the end of this.
So Dan Harper absolutely charging on in the red Paradigm BMW. Charles Clark getting through the traffic. Yasser Shaheen thinking, OK, this is looking pretty good now. This is better than we might have feared after that safety car compressed the field. So we need to see what the flying laps are like. Garnet Patterson, of course, also has the beauty, not only Dan Harper, Charles Clark getting through traffic, but he's got nothing ahead of him. He doesn't have to worry about anybody at all. He just drives the car, clear road ahead. There's Ross Gunn also now, number 7. That dropped back early on, and he's being desperate. So also is Martin Plowman, and being roughed up a little bit is Tom Bradshaw's Porsche.
Barnacote trying to go round the outside. I think Plowman there was at fault for the contact of the GT4, and it looks like Barnacote's got the job done. Now he's after Ross Gunn in that Aston, held up by the Artura GT4 of Optimum as well. This could be fun for Barnacote.
Indeed it could, as they dive down towards Brooklands. Dan Harper drives over the curb on the inside of the corner. That's Ross Gunn dive bombing the Ginetta number 74 that is still the leading
a black
GT4.
and white flag driving standards. Please respect cars. Car 9, black and white driving standards.
That's Martin Plowman, who a moment ago some sage suggested might have been at fault for contact.
Oh, I'm amazed with Peter Daly twice, one agreeing with me and one issuing it within 20 seconds. So good job again by Peter Daly, our race director.
As the race leaders go through onto lap number 69, there is the second place car, and Charles Clark losing time behind the McLaren is way over the curve. Dan Harper absolutely flying. He's still 7 seconds away, but he's getting through the back markers.
He was 2 tenths quicker than Patterson, even with all that traffic and the restart being slower. He has got serious pace. I just don't feel it's going to be enough with 3 GT3 cars, sorry, still to get past, not including Charles Clark.
Yeah, because they would just have to let him by, and he needs to, they're in their own race. They are trying to maintain the pace that they've got. Yes, okay, the likes of Matt Griffin, who's the next target, knows that this isn't his battle. There's nothing to benefit for Matt for getting in the way, but equally he's not just going to back off for 4 or 5 seconds and let the car go, is he?
No, and this is where you work out who your friends are and what relationships you've done. Doesn't look like Matt Griffin is going to help the Emerald boys here at all. He's kind of holding Harper up in that dirty air. This is really the sort of final nail going into Harper's coffin potentially.
Up the inside he goes, so Northern Ireland goes ahead of Era coming into the corner. So Dan Harper goes by, so he's chipping his way forward, but we've only got 3.5 minutes to go. Garnet Patterson still leads. He, on the last lap, was only 0.4 quicker than Charles Clark, who's now cleared the traffic. Charles Clark on this lap was fractionally quicker in the second sector and fractionally slower in sectors 1 and 3. So they're pretty evenly matched, the top 2 cars.
As we see our GT4 battle now going on, the Ginetta has run strong, hasn't it, from the first lap to the lap that we're on currently, and the Aston Martin sticking with it, as is the McLaren Artura behind.
So just 3 minutes on the clock. There's your GT4 battle down towards Brooklyn. So that has been a really close fight all race. And you've got the 3 of them together. Josh Stanton here in third on the back of Jessica Hawkins, who in turn is all over the back of the Ginetta with now the wheel of it, Hadley Simpson.
Yeah, the 97 Aston at the front here isn't part of the battle. No. You can see now on the timing tower, that's 6th, that's the lap down, that's the car we think should have taken the wave round, but it's not. So all eyes on the Ginetta, to the green Aston Martin, to the yellow McLaren, to the red BMW, then to Turkington. This is a great battle.
Lead gap over the timing line last lap was 2.8 seconds. 2 minutes and change on the clock. A flying lap is just a smidge under 2 minutes, as there's the lead car. Down Vale comes Garnet Patterson, and Charles Clark in the first sector of the lap was quicker, but only by fractions. Dan Harper ain't going to get there in time, but it's been a valiant effort. Had he had a little bit more time, had there been fewer cars between them, maybe. But motorsport is full of ifs and whats and could have beens, isn't it? And right now, clever strategy is heading away, seemingly a win of Garnet Patterson and Yasser Shaheen. There he is, that's Yasser Shaheen. Welcome to Silverstone, welcome to British GT. This is quite a result for them.
Really is, and both Patterson here and Clark doing their fastest lap of the race on that last lap, so they are really giving it everything they've got to make sure they're as high up as they can. And like you said, David, this strategy has worked, and that's why GT racing is a team sport. Look at everyone there. Sean Goff in the foreground, team owner of Optimum, built it from nothing to now one of the best GT teams around in the globe. The race in IMSA under inception as well. There is Harper getting past the teammate Phil Keane,
who lets him go. So that's how it should be done between teammates. Yeah, Optimum not only run a good ship, but also with some very good people in there. And they're about to start the last lap of the race. Is Garnet Patterson. There is less than a lap time left in the Silverstone 500 then. The RAC trophy looks like it's going the way of the 2 Australian drivers. It was first run in 1932 at Brooklands, and so it looks as though today the trophy will go the way of Garnet Patterson and Yasser Shaheen. Up towards Beckett now goes the McLaren, as down towards the braking zone for Brooklands the GT4 battle rages on, and there number 24 BMW having a go to try to take third in GT4 away from Josh Stanton, but Jack Collins gets roughed up a little bit. So now into the mix also comes Colin Turkington, but that car's slightly further back, delayed early on. So Turkington is attacking, but that's not for position. There are different laps. So actually Jack Collins trying to get past Stanton and has delayed himself in the process. GT4 still being led though by number 74 Ginetta, just with enough in hand I think over the Aston Martin as they start the last lap of the race. Race leader is Garnet Patterson, and he's already here. Look, coming to the exit of Club Corner, ready to go along Hamilton Straight and then up towards Abbey, with Charles Clark trying everything he can. 2 seconds that margin Charles did on his last lap, the car's best lap of the race, so he's absolutely charging as best he can. Charles Clark closing a little bit, but it's not going to be enough unless that car, number 3 McLaren, has a problem on the last lap. Up towards the loop it goes. Garnet Patterson and Yasser Shaheen for Optimum doing a superb job. They started 9th on the grid, and clever strategy has played into their hands, and a race win beckons. Even though that BMW behind is closing a fraction, it ain't going to be there in time. And Dan Harper in the background getting closer still. He's going to run out of time as well. Round 1 of British GT for 2026 has given us an enthralling race, at times a confusing race. You've seen strategies play out, you've seen teamwork play out, and you're going to see the opening round be won by the RAC Trophy be awarded to Yasser Shaheen and Garnet Patterson, who win for Optimum Motorsport across the line. A great result, a clever result, teamwork at its highest. That brilliant stuff from Optimum, and Garnet Patterson brings the car home victorious ahead of Charles Clark second, Dan Harper third. 6 seconds covered the top three at the end of 3 hours of racing. Marcus Clutton fourth, Gerald Werberski fifth, Ross Gunn sixth, Ben Barnicoat seventh in the end. This is GT4, which has got just enough of a gap, it seems, between Ginetta 74, 21 Aston Martin for Tom Holland and Hadley Simpson to come through victorious. It's all a bit provisional because, as you can see, anything can yet happen in this race. Colin Turkington trying to go around the outside of Josh Stanton, and Colin gets squeezed out wide, so that brings Jack Collins back towards the mix a little bit. But the checkered flag is at the ready. It is going to be a win for the Innovation Ginetta that comes across the line. Innovation Racing wins at Silverstone. Tom Holland and Hadley Simpson win GT4 to the delight of the team. Hadley Simpson brings it home. Tom Holland very, very happy in the garage, and understandably so. To win the opening round is one thing. When it's as tough as a 3-hour race and as tough as that one has been, second-guessing safety cars, full course yellows, and what to do on strategy, that is quite something. Right, let's go to the pit lane. Brenner's got happy people around him.
I certainly do, yes. I mean, you look calm here, but that was a race, wasn't it?
That was just a little bit too much excitement, I think. But no, thrilled, absolutely thrilled.
Who do you credit that call to, though, for the strategy?
Our good man Will here just did an amazing job with the strategy. I think we pitted just at the right time, and the rest is history.
Point us out so we can... The guy's looking very, very happy with the headphones on there, who's taking all the credit right now. But yes, you come over here from Australia, you start this race, you take the victory. Was that always on the cards?
Look, we thought we could be competitive. I didn't quite like the starting position in 9th, but we were in 5th by the second corner, and I thought, look, we're in with a chance here. So it was a clean race, no risks, and everybody did their job. Thrilled.
It was a thrill ride, well done.
Yeah, awesome. Cheers. Great to be here.
Well, hopefully we might see more of Yasser Shaheen in British GT. That was quite a race, quite a drive. Garnet Patterson, if you're thinking, what's he doing driving off the circuit? Well, it's all to try to get pickup to help with the ride height of the car, because the marbles off track will stick to the hot tyres, so that adds to the weight, which is always good to get through scrutineering, and it's also good for the ride height. So the race, or the work at least, is not over when you take the checkered flag. That's taking it to extremes, I think, driving on the grass, but the drivers will be told, right, remember, go offline, think about pickup, and that's exactly what Garnet Patterson is doing. So he wants to celebrate, but he's clever enough to think about how to make sure that all the processes post-race comply. So way off the road there on that sort of bypass going through Abbey up towards Farm. 74 Ginetta then, the Innovation Racing team entry. Hadley Simpson, Tom Holland, brilliant job done by that team. And a very, very close second in the background. You see the Will Orton, Jess Hawkins, Aston Martin. 1.2 seconds was the gap between them. Great battle that we had between the two British brands, and 74 Ginetta then takes honours. As far as GT3 Pro-Am is concerned, towards scrutineering goes Dan Harper, and so near and yet so far, having dominated the race for the most part. It was when to pit that went against them. They were playing it on pace, but thinking strategy. Optimum Motorsport, and it's number 3 McLaren that comes out on top. And Garnet Patterson having a very, very slow in-lap. Not suggesting that car was light on fuel, but he did seem to slow very soon after that checkered flag, and he's been happy to crawl around on the in-lap. So the pickup operation is continuing, not for retrieving cars, but to put rubber on tyres now and help with the pickup of the car. Right, there, number 42, Ginetta, that comes home as the winning Pro-Am in GT4, Jack Mitchell and Luke Shaw. Good GT debut for Luke, up from a couple of years of one-mate Ginetta racing in the Academy and then the GT Championship last year. And whether it would have been a different outcome had we not had, obviously, the incident that took out 2 of the 2Cs Mercedes very early on, and other incidents that triggered all those safety car and full course yellow periods, well, who knows. The number 91 BMW had the pace all day, but not the luck. It is a win for Optimum. We've heard from Yasser Shaheen, and Garnet Patterson, his co-driver, will be just as delighted as well. What a result for them. And down the pit lane they all pour. Some going to scrutineering, others being returned to the teams. And there is the winning car. It arrives into the Parc Fermé area. Yasser Shaheen walks over, to go and congratulate Garnet Patterson. Both of them, but for different teams, were on Asian Le Mans Series duty in the winter months, but they team up here and have a great start to their relationship in British GT. Garnet Patterson came out of the Asian Formula Renault Series. He's raced in GT World in Australia, Carrera Cup Australia, and the European Le Mans Series. That's what brought him to Silverstone last year. Well done, Garnet. Great effort by GP. Yasser Shaheen celebrating with him. And those two absolutely delighted. So Optimum Motorsport takes first blood. When Rob Bell was talking to us on the grid, he said, yeah, we're good in terms of speed and reliability. Lots of McLaren customers that he's been looking after, and they'll all be happy as Hadley Simpson then gets himself out of the Ginetta, gets his winner's hat. P1 for the cameras, and the innovation team won't be far behind to celebrate for the victory. Right, let's hear from our winners. Let's get down to Bryn.
Well, that's not bad at all, is it? Come to Silverstone, leave victorious.
Yeah, I mean, what a day. To be honest, great job for Yas. I mean, we struggled all day with the car, to be fair. We had a bit of a mechanical issue. We were driving around, so I think to get the win in a you know, the Silverstone 500 with what we've had today is pretty mega. So I guess got a bit lucky with the strategy, but you create your own luck, right? So we're happy, first time.
Just talk us very quickly through the issues you had through the race that you're having to deal with.
Just had a little bit of an engine issue that was playing up that we had to manage. So yeah, the pace wasn't there, but we're smart. We've done enough racing. Brains normally win most races around the world, so I think we managed it pretty good.
Bizarrely, I mean, yes, it looked like you were the calmest person in entire of Silverstone there watching the race. It was all easy for you. I know we've already spoken, but...
Look, I've learned not to get excited too early. Anything can happen in the last few minutes. We were getting excited at the 35-minute mark, and then the safety car came out, and then we were just hoping that the car would be fine, but all's well ends well.
But of course, now you're going to get the RAC trophy. You have to return it in a year, which means you've got to come back and defend.
It's over to this guy.
I look forward to it.
So do we. So do we. Well done, both of you. Just going to run over here and grab the GT4 winners, because Tom Holland is there, so is Hadley Simpson. And let me just get a quick word first with you, Hadley. This was, well, I'm not going to say unexpected, but to come to the opening round of British GT, your debut in this series, and leave Silverstone 500 victorious, that is the stuff of legends, that is.
Oh, don't say it. It'll make me cry. No, I'm so happy. Oh God, we've done so well together today, and the team nailed the pit stops, the strategy, everything. Yeah, we deserved that one, to be honest, and I'm so happy, just so happy.
And Tom, I was saying to you yesterday, you've lost a bit of weight, you're looking nice and trim, and I tell you what, that made you bite your nails. I'm sure you weigh even less now.
Yeah, I think I've sweated out 2 buckets worth of sweat, but still a little bit heavier than Hads. No, I'm absolutely over the moon with the team. They deserve this so much, and thanks to both mine and Hadley sponsors, everyone who's been supporting us, well, started supporting us this year. And yeah, hopefully this is only the start. We want to keep going, and well, this is a feel-good moment. I haven't done this before yet, so I'll take this as a good day.
Sets the scene for a championship push. Go and get your trophies. Well done.
Thank you. Cheers.
Yeah, first win for Tom Holland, who's been in the championship over the years with different co-drivers, but perhaps never in such a competitive combination as he now has with Hadley Simpson. So there is the outright winning car and combination. Garnet Patterson and Yasser Shaheen, they win in Silver Am, and that's the GT4 winning car. Ginetta, another good British brand. Hadley Simpson and Tom Holland come out on top here at Silverstone. Next stop for British GT will be Alton Park at the end of May, the Saturday 23rd, Monday 25th weekend. Nothing on the Sunday, action Saturday, Monday. Confirmation of your class winners then: Pro-Am in GT3, Dan Harper and Darren Lung. Silver Am and outright, Yasser Shaheen and Garnet Patterson. Pro-Am GT4, Jack Mitchell and Luke Shaw. Silver and overall GT4, Tom Holland and Hadley Simpson. And just to make the point, they do that with an extra 18 seconds served in pit stops because of that silver driver grading. Result then: Garnet Patterson and Yasser Shaheen triumph in the Silverstone 500 to win the RAC trophy from Jonathan Beeson and Charles Clark. Darren Lung and Dan Harper third from Marcus Clatton and Simon Orange. Jared Waberski and Alex Martin fifth, and Andrew Howard and Ross Gunn delayed. They are sixth. Seventh to Morgan Tilrook and Ben Barnicoat from Aaron Walker and Andrew Gilbert. Martin Plowman ninth with Mark Smith, and a lap down 10th, Josh Rowledge and Stephen Lake. GT4, Simpson and Holland ahead of Orton and Hawkins, and third, Josh Stanton and Luca Hopkinson. Jack Mitchell and Luke Shaw defeating John Hartshorn and Ronan Pearson, and then Ernie Graham and Colin Turkington for honours in the Pro-Am part of GT4. So Silverstone takes a breath for a moment at the end of quite a race. A good start by Darren Lung put the Paradigm BMW into the lead as the Silverstone 500 got underway, but it wasn't long before drama. At turn 1, the two 2Cs Motorsport Mercedes at the pointy end of the GT3 order colliding, and one was out with damage, one was in the gravel later on. More drama came when Duncan Cameron made a move against Mark Warren, contact and a spin for Cameron. It wasn't his only drama of the race, as in GT4 battle was on between the Orton Hawkins Aston and the Simpson Holland Ginetta. That was for the lead in GT4. Ginetta just getting ahead, but the Aston Martin stood its ground. Soon, pit stops started to cycle through, drivers gambling on the early full course yellow periods, and there was a good fight on track involving Hugo Cook and Ben Barnicoat, who was absolutely flying in the second stint of the race. But it was a relatively short one for Ben as they played the numbers, and it turned out not to be the right call, the car being caught by the next full course yellow period that came when Darren Turner got into Revy Lake, damaged to both and out of the race. And as Darren Lung got ready to take back his BMW, there was further drama. Contact between Ferrari and BMW led to Cameron Campbell having a big spin, and just as he was rotating, Rob Collard was getting hot inside 63 Lamborghini, an engine failure stopping that car, triggering another interruption which played right into the hands of the number 3 McLaren that found itself able to tick off all 3 regulation pit stops and lead the race. Cruel luck for Paradigm's 91 BMW that had been the quickest car all day, but found itself then having to rely on another late race interruption to claw back lost ground as the checkered flag flew to Optimum Motorsports, Yasser Shaheen and Garnet Patterson to win round 1 of British GT for 2026. Very happy drivers getting ready for the podium. The trophies are there. As I say, the next round is Alton Park on the May 23-25 weekend, Saturday, Monday. So because you can't run on Sundays, you can't have a full day on Sunday, there isn't time to have the content needed, so it runs on Saturday and Monday. Pro-Am winners, Dan Harper, Darren Lung. Podium is getting ready. You just saw David Richards, the boss of ProDrive, but wearing his Chairman of Motorsport UK hat to present the trophies. More action getting ready on track as well here at Silverstone, as their frustration not to win outright, absolutely, for Darren Lung. You could see the expression on his face, could not really believe that it wasn't going to be a win for them. So a great start to the season from Bryn Lucas, Joe Osborne and David Addison. We'll see you at Alton Park. Bye for now.